Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If Guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei Had a Family. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. It had been a few days since the end of the school festival, and the entire Gremory family has been talking non-stop about the kiss. The news spread like wildfire, and the only people who weren't happy about that were the Red Dragon Emperor and the Ruined Princess. Akino still had her mission to get Issei to cheat on Rias with her, even if she had to force him into her grips to do it. Asia was a little jealous but was happy for the most part. Issei had promised her that things wouldn't change simply because he was now with Rias. Rase was still a little cautious but had warmed up to him. Kaneko was happy as long as she got to nap on Issei's lap when she wanted, although Rias had gotten a little stingier with her new boyfriend. Zenovia was still on her mission to get Issei's seed and create a child that had both the blood of a holy sword user and a dragon. Irina had the same mission as Zenovia, however it was all for heaven and not so much for her own goals of being intimate with her childhood friend. Kiba was still embarrassed that he had not been able to keep the girls out of the room. Issei had since told him it was fine, but that didn't really help. He needed a way to make it up to his best friend. And Gasper was just happy to see Rias and Issei happy together. Rias was more embarrassed now than she ever had been in her life. At the current moment, she was at her brother's manor for a party for the victory over Sairaorg in the last raiding game. Serzets of course knew of his sister's new relationship but decided to keep quiet for now. The party was loud, music was playing, and everyone was having a good time, except for a certain young couple. Issei and Rias were being bombarded with questions left and right about the battle and the admission of love. So, Issei, what made you decide to admit your feelings to Rias on the battlefield? A reporter asked. Well, Issei took a second and looked at his girlfriend. There was no guarantee that I was going to be able to tell her in the future. He then wrapped an arm around her and pulled her close. No time like the present, I guess. He then kissed the top of her head, making Rias blush. And you, Rias Gremory, what was your initial reaction to Mr. Hayato's admission to you? The same reporter questioned. I was shocked at first, but in my heart, I knew he meant it. I knew that he truly loved me and that my feelings were returned completely. Rias began to hide her face in Issei's black jacket to avoid further questions. MS, Gremory, one more. Please, no more questions right now. Rias and I would like to enjoy our evening. Perhaps we could do this another time. Issei stepped in. Sure thing. You two have a nice evening now. With it the reporter left. Thank you, Rias said in a small voice. Don't worry about it. I'll always protect you, whether it's a mythical god or a nosy reporter. He chuckled. Rias stood on her toes and kissed him on the cheek. Now come on, let's find the rest of the gang. The happy couple walked around the ballroom until they spotted Kaneko and Gasper by the snack table. Gasper waved to them and Kaneko stuffed her face with whatever sweet she had in her hand at the time. Issei, Rias, how's your night going? The timid vampire asked them. We're good, Gasper. I see that you and Kaneko found the sweets table pretty easy. Yes, Gaspy and I have been here a while. The young cat devil piped up. Issei bent down and pat the girl's head, causing her to purr lightly. Well, try not to eat too much. You will end up being sick in the morning. Rias smiled as she looked at the two youngest members of her peerage. Together, Issei and Rias kept hunting for their friends. Eventually they spotted two holy sword users and the holy demon swordsman himself. Kiba, Zenovia, and Irina were seated at a table in the corner talking about the previous battle. Well, I think Kiba's idea to weaken Sairaorg was sheer brilliance. Irina smiled as she admired her once enemy's tactics. Yes, well, it was all for the endgame. Kiba took a sip of his drink. And I couldn't have been more grateful once I figured it out. Thank you, Kiba, Issei said to the blonde devil. I figured you would catch on. How did you get it? I was in the infirmary at the time. We were locked in a fist fight and I kept feeling him losing power on his right hooks. Everyone in the vicinity was listening closely. D-Drag was able to determine that thanks to Kiba's efforts, Sairaorg's right arm was still not quite healed. I'm glad I could help. Kiba nodded. Rias, have you seen Asia or Akino? Zenovia asked her king. Come to think of it, no, I haven't. Rias replied to her knight. I'll go find them. Issei offered as he placed a light kiss on Rias' cheek and went off to find his friends. He walked around until he found a hallway off to the side. He thought a familiar voice came from down there, so he made his way down the hall to check it out. Rounding the corner, he found Asia and Akino. Asia had managed to spill a cup of juice on her pure white dress, so now there was a stain on her chest. Normally Issei would have been ecstatic about being able to see through her dress, but he could see the frustration and embarrassment on her face and decided to help. Hey Issei, I thought you were with Rias still. Akino asked as she sensed Issei's presence. Asia jumped and looked up at him. Hi Issei. I'm sorry, I spilled my drink on my dress. Gosh, I'm such a klutz. She was really embarrassed about it. It's no worries Asia, here take this. Issei took off his jacket and handed to the former sister. This should cover it up nicely. Oh wow, thank you Issei. Her eyes sparkled and her cheeks were a nice shade of pink. Don't mention it. Now, how about we go back to the party? Issei asked the duo. Sure thing. Asia gripped onto Issei's left arm and wrapped her arms around it. Oh, I'm getting in on this too. Akino followed suit and pulled Issei's arm in between her breasts as she too held onto him. Normally, Issei would have a river of blood coming out of his nose, but he had grown up in maturity to the point where this wasn't an issue anymore. "Shall we, ladies?" Issei smirked as he led his friends back into the main ballroom. He was turning over a new leaf. Of course, he always had a thing for Rias, and now he was finally with her, but that didn't mean he couldn't share some love for his other girls too. His perversion had almost been completely wiped out in the rating game, and he found it easier to be around the girls without being nervous. This is the good life, Issei thought to himself as he entered the ballroom once again with one of his girls on each arm. Issei strolled leisurely back to his friends, now with the missing Akino Himejima and Asia Argento in tow. The ballroom was semi-quiet as those who didn't know the nature of his relationships began to speculate that the Red Dragon Emperor was succumbing to his fame by cheating on Rias already. People began to whisper about the possibilities of the affairs. However, those rumors were quickly dispelled when Issei approached the ruined princess and kissed her. "They're talking about us, you know." Issei grinned at his girlfriend. "Yes, it would appear your appearance with Akino and Asia has stirred up some rumors." Rias giggled. "I wonder, do they think you're cheating on me already, or are they just lost?" "I'm willing to bet the former." Akino snickered as she kissed Issei's cheek. "Akino, we're trying not to stir up trouble here," Rias said sternly. "Sorry, I couldn't help myself." She hugged Issei's arm tighter and smiled. "I will not be outdone by you or President Rias," Asia claimed as she stood on her toes and kissed Issei's other cheek. Issei could do nothing but blush at their sudden actions. Rias sighed at her queen and bishop's displays of affection. She had to admit, life was good now. Now all she wanted was to go home with her family. Sairaorg walked up to the main stage in the ballroom and called attention. "I would like to say a few things tonight while we're all still sober enough to remember it." The room chuckled at his announcement. "First, I am so proud of my little sister and her family for overcoming all the odds and taking down Sairaorg." No offense meant Sairaorg. None taken, Sairaorg. Sairaorg laughed at his comment. "I have to admit, it was definitely one hell of a fight." Second, I would like to personally embarrass my sister by congratulating her and the Red Dragon Emperor on their budding relationship. Sairaorg snickered as the audience applauded the couple. Rias was hiding behind Issei while her face was as red as her hair. The normally courageous Rias Gremory turned into a little girl hiding from the spotlight. Issei just turned and smiled. "There is nothing to be embarrassed about Rias. He's genuinely happy for you, even though that has an odd way of showing it." This seemed to get her out from behind him. "You're right, Issei." She then replaced her queen at his side with his arm pulled close to her chest. "Hey, aren't I always?" That earned him a resounding no from his friends. "You definitely have you moments, but there aren't that many of them," Kaneko commented as she and Gasper walked up. "But when you're right, it usually is very critical that you are." Issei in turn pat her head and rubbed her cat ears. "Thank you, Kaneko." "Issei, come up here," Sairaorg called him. "I promise after this, I'll allow you and Rias to go home." "All right," he groaned as he walked up to the stage to meet with Sairaorg. "I'm guessing you want me to make a speech." "That's right." "Okay, here goes nothing." Issei took a breath and approached the microphone. "I want to thank you all for celebrating this victory with us. We had to train long and hard to get where we are now, and in the end, it all paid off. I know that there was a lot of politics involved in the fight and that it affected standings or whatever. But I know that for my friends, and for Lord Sairaorg as well, it was all in great fun and a good challenge." He looked over to his friends and most importantly, Rias. "I'm so privileged to have all of these great people fighting beside me. The thing is, I owe everything I am and everything I have to my friends, but most of all, to Rias Gremory. She is the light in my life. She is literally the reason I'm alive." He paused and chuckled a bit. "Rias, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love you, Issei," was all the ruined princess could say as she rushed the stage and the man she had fallen in love with. Everybody cheered and glasses clinked together to celebrate a job well done by the Gremory household. All the guests in the room drank till their hearts were content as well as ate their fill. As promised, Sairaorg allowed Rias and her family to return home. The group made their escape from the manor through the magic circle. Once they arrived, Issei was suddenly aware of a new presence. It was one he recognized and knew quite well. However, he could tell that this person meant no harm and was simply watching over them from afar. As he glanced around at his friends, only one of them seemed to pick up on this presence, but she stayed quiet. Issei decided to confront his comrade later and discuss the matter, but for now he was just happy to be home. As he walked in the door, he felt a pair of eyes on him again. The same presence had moved in closer, as if they wanted to come inside also. I wonder what she wants, Issei thought to himself as he closed the large doors behind him. The rest of the night went smoothly. He had taken a nice bath alone and was now getting ready for bed. As per usual, all the girls began to take their respective sleeping positions. Before he fell asleep, Issei realized there was a certain weight missing that usually was placed on his lap and stomach. Kaneko isn't here, he thought aloud, gaining Ria's attention. "Oh, I'm sure she'll be along shortly, probably just grabbing a last snack before bed," Rias commented as she went to wrap an arm around him. Issei denied her the pleasure and sat up. "No, it feels different than that. I'll go find her and see if she's okay." He leaned down and kissed her cheek. "Don't wait up." He hopped off the bed without disturbing the other girls. "You sense her presence too, partner," came the voice of D-Drag from his left hand. "Yay, Kuroka's here." Issei was troubled. He had searched the overwhelmingly large mansion for around 15 minutes and still could not find Kaneko. D-Drag had already confirmed his suspicion that Kaniko's older sister Kuroka had come and was watching them. So far, Issei had checked the kitchen, the training room, the bath, the living room, and even Kaniko's bedroom. Even though she slept with him most nights, she still had her own room, as did all of the girls. Where could she be? Issei asked aloud, beginning to get frustrated. Is there anywhere she could be that would bring her comfort? D-Drag asked his partner. Usually this wouldn't concern him, but over time he had grown fond of the girls in Issei's life. Nothing I caw. Issei paused both in speech and motion. I know where she is. With that, he rushed to the elevator and hit the top button. Kaniko was on the roof. The elevator door opened, and the upper terrace came into view. Of all the places Kaniko could be, she was sitting on the ground by the railing overlooking the city. Issei quietly made his way over to the young girl and sat beside her. As if by instinct she leaned over on him. Took you long enough to find me, she said in her usual deadpan tone. Well, it took a minute to remember that cats like two places to feel safe. They like closed spaces where nothing can come behind them, and they like being high up. He wrapped an arm around her and pulled her onto his lap as they looked over the city. Why did you come up here anyway? Kaniko asked as she looked up at him. Duh, to find you. You didn't come to bed when the rest of the girls did, so I got worried. He patted her head and stroked her fluffy white ears. I'm amazed you cared so much. Came a voice from above them. Then again, the dragon loves his harem. Issei stood and put himself between the intruder and Kaniko. I care about her more than you do, Kuroka. He left traces of venom in every word. Wait, Issei. She isn't here to fight, Kaniko stated as she moved between the two. He'd already figured that part out. Yes, I know. He got out of his battle stance and looked up at the older Nekomata. I apologize, Kuroka. Old habits die hard, and that was incredibly rude. No harm done, Dragon Boy. Kuroka jumped down and walked up to her sister. Have you been taking good care of her? She seemed to be inspecting for anything wrong, poking and prodding her younger sister, much to Kaniko's annoyance. Of course, she's part of my family. He smiled. Kuroka had only come to check up on Kaniko. That's what I like to hear. The way she said it did not go unnoticed by her younger sister. What's wrong, Kuroka? You seem sad, Kaniko questioned as she looked up at her older sister. That's the Cheyenne I know and love. Nothing gets past you. Kuroka choked out the last part as tear left her eyes. Kuroka, are you okay? Issei asked, stepping forward. He moved to place a hand on her shoulder, but his internal caution told him to refrain. It's Volley. He said that I've gotten too soft since I allowed Cheyenne to stay with you and Rias. She wiped her eyes with the sleeves of her kimono. So what? He kicked you out? Issei finished. Kuroka could only nod as her emotions took over. I'm sorry, big sis. Kaniko hugged her sister's waist as she wanted to help her. Even though they had a rough past, they were still sisters in the end. You're more than welcome to stay here, Kuroka. We definitely have the room, Issei offered. I don't want to be a burden on you guys, the darker Nekomata said quietly. I promise you won't. Issei finally placed his hand on her shoulder. You're family to Kaniko, so as far as I am concerned, you're family to me. We all need someone who cares. Kuroka lost the last bit of her emotional barrier and fell into Issei's arms. Thank you, Issei Hayaru. How can I repay you? You can repay me by being there for Kaniko. She needs her big sister in her life, and you need family to love you. Please stay. Kaniko's quiet voice broke the silence. Kuroka knelt down to her little sister and looked her in the eyes with her own teary ones. Okay, I'll stay with you. She then pulled her sister into a hug and cried softly. She now had a home to belong to. You two take as much time as you need. I'll go and inform Rias and the others about our new resident. Issei smiled and started to walk away. He turned back and looked at the sisters again. And Kaniko, the younger girl, looked at him. I can assume that you won't be coming to bed with us tonight. That being said, Kuroka should stay with you in your room. Kaniko rushed out of her sister's hold and ran to Issei. He knelt to accommodate to where she was a head taller than him as she held on to him. Thank you, Issei, for taking her in. Like I said, family to you is family to me. Now, go get some rest, I'm sure she needs it. Issei once again turned to the elevator and went back down to his room. As he walked down the hallway, his trusty partner piped up. Are you sure we can trust her, partner? She might be playing the long game with you. D-Drag reasoned. The logic was there, but there was something else. No, I think we can trust her. Volley seems like the type to get rid of her for being emotionally torn. Besides, it's nice to see Kaniko happy again. I could always tell that there was a bit of happiness she was missing, and it seems being reunited with Kuroka on good terms did the trick. Issei finished his conversation as he opened the bedroom door to find all the girls asleep except for Rias. What did the trick? She asked as Issei laid back down with his girlfriend. We have a new resident in the mansion now. I'm going to have to ask you to trust me on this one, Rias. He hoped she wouldn't be too mad at this new development. Who is it? Rias asked in an accusing tone. Kuroka showed up and was watching over Kaniko. We talked for a bit and she mentioned that Volley kicked her out for being too emotionally attached to Kaniko. So, I offered her a place here. It shouldn't be permanent. Issei finished the last part waiting for a slap loud enough to wake the room. Surprisingly enough, that slap never came. Are you sure about this, Issei? She has been pretty hostile in the past. Remember, she's wanted for killing her old master. Rias reminded him. Allow me some time to talk with her and gather her intentions, then I'll make a final decision. He felt a little bad for taking the lead on this one from his girlfriend and kind. Okay, I trust you, my love. She kissed him and wrapped an arm around him. Soon, she was fast asleep. Maybe she's right, Issei said quietly. He decided to leave the matter till morning and drifted back to sleep. The next morning Issei woke up to find some of the girls gone, while others were still asleep. Asia and Rias were gone. That could only mean that they were downstairs preparing breakfast. Akino and Zenobia were still in the bed. The swordswoman was sprawled out at the end of the bed while the fallen angel hybrid was on the pillows near his head. He knew that Kaneko wasn't there, so that left her out, and Rosway slept in her own room down the hall. Time to start the morning, I suppose. Issei groaned as he stood and stretched. He then went to the bathroom to brush his teeth and take a shower. After said shower, he went to check on the Nekomata sisters. What he found was a sight that would bring anyone joy. Kuroka was lying on her side with her arms wrapped protectively around a sleeping Kaneko. Good morning. Kuroka stirred as she looked at the door. Good morning to you too. I hope you slept well. Better than I have in a long time. She sighed as she watched her sister sleep. She is so peaceful. Once she accepted her Nekomata powers, she claimed my lap was her peaceful place. Ironic, considering she never hesitated to call me out for being a pervert. He grinned as he sat down on the bed. She's happy now. I always knew that something was keeping her from being truly happy all the time. I think we just found out what that is. A sleepy groan drew both of their attention. Naya, 5 more minutes. A half-asleep Kaneko complained as she nuzzled closer to Kuroka. Sleep as long as you want, Shiren. I'm not going anywhere. Kuroka smiled and stroked her sister's ears. I already told you that you could stay, Kuroka. Rias is still not 100% on board with the idea, but I told her I would try and talk with you and find your true reason for being here. Issei figured that this admission might cause some unrest, so he decided to quell it quickly. I know that you're here for Kaneko, but Rias still has that protective master side that wants Kaneko to be safe. I think you're being honest and that you want to have someone who cares about you close by. That pretty much explains it, she said as a light chuckle came out. As for the whole me killing my master thing, that was for her protection. She never once looked away from the white cat girl in her arms. Our master loved to experiment on his peerage. He wanted to take DNA from a Nekomata and a demon and create the ultimate soldier. After my DNA proved fruitless, he went after her. I couldn't let that happen. She had tears in her eyes. I'm sorry for bringing it up, Kuroka. I'll let you stay in here with her for as long as you need. Breakfast will be ready in 30 minutes if Asia doesn't drop the pans again. It was at this moment they heard a loud banging from downstairs. Oh no, I'm sorry, Rias. They heard Asia try and pick it up only to drop it again. Better make it an hour then. Issei stood and rubbed Kaneko's head, causing the girl to smile in her sleep. As he walked away, he could feel Kuroka's hesitation. She loves you, you know. She never stopped. She always wanted you to come back to her and be her sister again. I think now is time for you to do that. He smiled as he shut the door to the white and blue room, leaving Kuroka to her thoughts. I'm sorry, Shiren. I am a horrible sister, but I promise I'll be a better sister from now on. She spoke aloud to no one in particular. Looking down at the girl in her arms, she couldn't be happier. Kuroka was finally in a place where she would be loved. The table was set and one by one everyone poured into the large dining room for breakfast. Rias and Asia had once again outdone themselves by preparing a feast for the household. So far, the table's occupants included only Issei and Akino. Zenobia was still in the shower, as was Rosways. The Nekomata sisters were still in bed where Issei had left them, and Rias and Asia were in the kitchen finishing up. Irina had returned to heaven for a while, so she was not there. After another 10 minutes, the only ones missing were Kaneko and Kuroka. Rias was concerned, since Kaneko never missed a chance to eat anything, but Issei quickly eased her mind. He recounted their earlier conversation about how Kuroka had a valid reason for killing her old master. So, she did it to protect Kaneko. Rias asked as Issei finished his tale. Yes, she didn't want her sister to be a lab rat, so she tried to bust them out. Things went south and they were separated. Kuroka was forced to run, leaving Kaneko behind. He finished. I always thought that Kuroka gave in to her power and chased more. Akino, who sat on Issei's left, commented for the first time this morning. She said that she only wanted to become stronger to protect Kaneko. In reality, she had never told Issei that, but he could make the accurate guess that she really wanted to be there for her sister. Who was he to not give her the chance now? Well, all we can do is watch her and see what happens, Rias sighed as she placed the last large plate on the table. All that was missing was a certain white cat devil and a black cat devil. As if on cue, the two sisters walked in the room. Kaneko was in her white nightgown that reached past her knees, and Kuroka was still wearing her black, red, and gold kimono. Issei felt obligated to get her out of those clothes to help her relax. Hey you two, Kuroka, why don't we go find you something else to wear for today? We can find you a change of clothes while your kimono gets washed. Issei smiled to the new resident. That would be very nice. Not really surprising coming from you either, Dragon Boy. Kuroka turned her head a little bit to hide her scarlet cheeks. This did not go unnoticed by Kaneko. Akino, do you mind letting Kuroka borrow some clothes for today? You two are about the same size. Issei asked the fallen angel hybrid on his left. In truth, she was closer to Ria's size, but it was better to ask Akino. Sure, come on Kuroka, let's go find you something to wear. Akino stood and went to take Kuroka upstairs before she was stopped by none other than Rias. Hold on Akino. She can't just show up here and automatically be treated like family. Rias was not really angry, just extremely hesitant to accept Kuroka's change. Rias, can I speak to you in private a moment? Issei took Rias's hand and led her out of the room. Akino, go ahead and take her upstairs please. Sure thing, Issei. Akino made her way to the grand stairs followed by a surprisingly nervous Kuroka. Issei pulled Rias into the living room and closed the door behind him. Okay, what was that about? Issei, I love you, but this is my peerage. Rias countered. Yay, and this is my house. She doesn't have to be a part of your peerage to be in this family. She's already given a reason to be here. Issei tried not to raise his voice, but it was faltering. He could understand why Rias was so stubborn about this, but he didn't get why she wouldn't even give her a chance. He turned to walk away, but figured he'd let her know of his plan for today. Besides, I was going to go talk to Vali today and get his side of things. Maybe then I can get a good view of the situation. Okay, I trust you, Issei. I'll try not to kill Kuroka while you're out. That's all I ask. Thank you, Rias. He turned back and kissed her passionately. I love you, Rias. I know you do, but why do you say it so often? Not that I don't appreciate it. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Because I want to make sure you never forget it. The two then walked back into the dining room hand in hand. Kaneko had since moved from the doorway to the table and was eating with Asia. I'm sorry if Kuroka being here caused you guys to have a fight. She stared at the table and didn't want to look at either of them in the eye. Kaneko, Issei said, causing the girl to look up. He walked over to her and embraced the small girl. It's not your fault. I was the one who allowed her to stay. Besides, it wasn't really a fight. More like a debate. Issei smiled as he patted her head. She looked up at him and smiled. Thank you, Issei. My family is now whole again. She pulled herself into his shirt and cried tears of joy. Issei let her stay there until Kuroka and Akino came back. Kuroka was wearing a purple t-shirt and gray shorts. So, how do I look? Kuroka asked her sister and Issei. The usually cool cat seemed timid and nervous. You look great, big sis. Kaneko went and hugged her sister. She's right. Given what the girls usually wear around here, you'd fit right in. He chuckled as the rest of the girls blushed. Thank you, Issei. Kuroka walked up to him and kissed his cheek, which in turn got a reaction out of Rias and Asia. Oh no, here we go again. Kaneko just backed up to where Akino was standing so she wouldn't be in the crossfire. What do you think gave you the right to do that, Kuroka? Rias raised her voice. Because I wanted to show my appreciation. Trust me, there are other ways that I could show it to him. Kuroka flashed a fairly sultry smile at Issei. You wouldn't dare. Rias challenged. Wanna bet? Okay, you two, that's enough. Issei stepped between the two and forced them back. Unfortunately, he had misjudged where he had placed his hands to push them apart. His left hand ended up on Kuroka's breast and his right did the same to Rias. See, he wouldn't mind another form of appreciation. Kuroka smirked as Rias got all flustered again. Issei quickly retracted his hands and stepped back. I'm going out. Try not to burn the house down while I'm gone. Akino, you're in charge of Rias. Kaneko, try and keep Kuroka in check and keep them playing nice. Kaneko's ears perked up hearing her name. You can count on me. I know I can, kitten. He smiled using the English translation of Kaneko's name. See you guys later. He closed the door behind him and hoped that he did not just make a huge mistake. Vali Lucifer was always a hard one to track down. However, it wasn't that hard since the two had a link with their sacred gears. The fact that Issei had once placed a piece of Albion's power inside the gauntlet had made things simple when it came to tracking down his rival. Well, that was when Vali wasn't hiding. Issei walked into the city and found his rival waiting for him in the center of the main park in the area. It was also the same park where Issei had met Asia almost a year ago. Vali was lounging on a park bench, watching the ducks without much interest. Hello, Vali, Issei said as he walked up to the White Dragon Emperor. Issei Hayaru, what do I owe the pleasure? Vali said lazily as he kept his gaze on the ducks. Kuroka, what about her? Did you really make her leave because she wanted to go get Kaneko? Yay, what of it? Seems a little cold, even for you. Vali sat up straighter and glanced at Issei for a second. You clearly don't know me that well, Hayaru. I want power. She claimed she wanted the same thing. Once I figured out her true intentions, I got rid of her. He seemed to now wonder why Issei had come to him about this. Why does it matter to you? She came to my house last night. She said that she only wanted to check up on Kaneko. Rias had a bad feeling about her story, so I figured I would come to the source. Issei moved and sat next to the white-haired man. Well, there's your answer. Vali stood with his hand in his pocket. He started to walk away before he turned back. For what it's worth, I do hope she's happier there than she was with me. Even though she was emotionally torn, she was still a good asset. And a good friend. With that, Vali took his leave. I'm surprised he cared. Issei stayed where he was for the time being. He had decided that he would do something nice for Kuroka to make her feel at ease coming into a new home, but first he needed to call Rias. He pulled out his phone and hit the first contact in speed dial. After a few seconds, the ruined princess answered. Hello, came Rias's voice over the phone. Hey Rias, I verified Kuroka's story. Vali indeed kicked her out because of her attachment to Kaneko. It's strange though, he seemed to actually care about her. What do you mean? He said that he hoped she's happier with us than she was with him. That is interesting. Maybe he's telling the truth then. Rias looked around the room and saw Kaneko cuddled up to Kuroka as they watched a movie. She definitely seems happier. That's good. One last thing, I need you to send Kaneko to me. Don't tell either of them why, but I'm getting Kaneko to help me get Kuroka some clothes. Alright, I'll send her right away. I love you, Issei. Love you too, Rias. Issei hung up the phone and waited for Kaneko to arrive. After a few minutes, a magic circle appeared in front of him and the white Nekomata stood before him. What did you need me for, Issei? She asked as she walked over to him on the bench. He stood up and looked down at her. I wanted to surprise our newest resident with some new clothes, and I figured you would like to help me. Really? She was very excited with the plan. Thank you, Issei. She jumped up and wrapped her arms around his neck and planted a light kiss on his lips. When she dropped back down, her cheeks were flushed. What was that for? He wasn't mad or upset by it, she just caught him off guard. Aye. She couldn't answer. It was no secret that all the girls in the house had developed feelings for Issei, but Kaneko was usually very emotionless and rarely showed her true feelings. She looked down at her pink shoes in shame. Issei knelt down and hugged her close. She was about a head taller than him at that height. I get it, Kaneko. You've been so used to not showing your emotions that it's not easy when someone asks you to explain them. I think I get the idea though. Asia, Akino, Rias, and Zenobia all have their own way of telling me how they feel about me. I can wait until you find your way. He rubbed her little cat ears as she purred into his shoulder. After a few more minutes they got their shopping trip underway. So, what kind of clothes do you think she'd like? Issei asked Kaneko as they walked through the mall together. She always wore darker colors. It's just kinda her thing. Kaneko was still trying to put together the pieces to explain her actions earlier, but she was happy to be alone with him. Alright, I don't think she'd be interested in going to school like Rias or Akino, so school uniforms are out of the question. Yay, she's smart already. She doesn't apply herself unless she needs to. So, sleepwear first, then some stuff to go around town. As much as I like seeing her in her kimono, it's not really appropriate for public. Issei rubbed the back of his neck hoping Kaneko didn't get jealous of his statements about her sister. Instead, she looked down sadly. I know I don't have her body. I wish I did. She muttered the last part, but Issei heard her anyway. Hey, you may not have her body, but you're stronger than almost anyone I know. That's why you're the most dependable rook. This got her to brighten back up a bit. Even more so once Issei picked her up and put her on his shoulders. There, now you're taller than her. He grinned. Then he heard something that he had never heard before. Kaneko let out a girly giggle. She was quick to put her hands over her mouth in an attempt to suppress the noise, but it was too late. Issei just laughed with her and bounced along with her riding high. Kaneko now knew why she did what she did earlier. She was truly falling for him too. The two made their way through the mall and went through most of the clothing stores, finding almost all the darker colored clothes they could. In the last store they went into, Kaneko found a white jacket that had hollow cat ears in the top. It would be perfect for her to wear her ears out in public in the hoodie. The jacket also had a design of a cat face on the front, much like her black hair clip, and light blue paw prints littered around it. However, she had forgotten any money she had at home. Issei had been paying for all of Kuroka's stuff with the money he made from his TV show. You want the jacket, don't you? A voice came from behind her. She jumped a little bit and turned to find Issei. Oh, yay, I forgot my money at home. Issei moved beside her and took the hoodie off the rack and held it up. Looks about your size. He then put it over his arm with all of the stuff for Kuroka and kept moving. What are you doing? She asked as she followed him towards the checkout counter. Getting you a present, duh. He placed the jacket and all the other clothes on the counter and paid for them. When the cashier gave back the clothes after ringing them up, he handed the cat hoodie to Kaneko. There you go, kitten. Try it on, see how it feels. Kaneko quickly pulled the hoodie on over her head and was elated that it was perfect for her size. She then moved a little to the right so Issei blocked the cashier's line of sight and perked up her cat ears in the hood. They also fit perfect. Thank you, Issei. It's no problem. I dragged you out here, figured you should get a reward. He patted her head and they left for home. As they walked through the streets, the sun started to light the sky in a dark orange. Issei had all the bags over his shoulder and had his free hand on his phone at the moment. Kaneko walked beside him, no bags and her hands in the hoodie's front pocket. She looked up at him while he wasn't looking at her and she blushed brightly. She finally decided to make her move. Issei, she asked quietly. Yes. He looked down and was able to read her face easily. The once emotionless cat devil was blushing, so he had an idea of what she wanted. He chuckled and placed his phone back in his pants pocket. He then reached his free hand out to Kaneko. She stared at it, then him. He took her hand and interlocked his finger with hers as they walked through the darkening streets. They soon arrived back at home. Issei went to open the door only to be stopped by Kaneko. Thank you for everything, she said sheepishly. It was no problem. I've realized I don't dote on you as much as I do the others, so I'm gonna change that. I used to say that you were the worst, but now you're the best. She put her finger up in a beckoning fashion and he knelt to her height. She then leaned forward and put another quick kiss on his lips. She pulled back and ran inside, leaving Issei outside smiling. He had managed to make the girl who never showed emotion smile and laugh again. The Hayatu household was quiet tonight. Issei and all the girls were sitting in the living room watching a movie. Issei had Rias on his left and Aquino on his right. Asia was on the floor in front of him with her back against the couch between his legs. Zenobia was laying on the love seat and Roswace was in the large crimson recliner. Kuroka lay on the other love seat to the left of the large couch. She was wearing her new black kimono that was significantly less revealing than her old one. Kaneko was lying in her lap with her white cat hoodie still on. She had barely taken it off since she got it. Tensions had settled in the house a few days after Kuroka arrived. Rias had finally dropped her grudge when she saw how caring of a sister that Kuroka could actually be. Of course she still had her doubts, but she was willing to allow her to prove herself. For now, she would just relax and enjoy a nice night in with her family. "Alright, guys, I'm going to go get takeout. Pizza sound good to everyone," Issei said as he stood up, leaving the comfort of the 3 girls that were on him. "Yes," said almost all the girls in unison. Issei walked over to the door and grabbed his jacket and the keys to his new car. Surzec had gifted him a car after he won against Sairaorg. The car was an orange Lamborghini Gallardo. It was small, but it packed a monstrous mid-engine V10. He stepped inside and pushed the clutch in to start the car when he heard a soft knock on the window. Looking up, he found Asia was waiting outside. He opened the door and got out. "What's up, Asia?" he asked. "Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to see if you would let me come with you," she asked timidly. "Sure you can. Hop in." Asia squealed with excitement and got in the passenger side. She hadn't had alone time with Issei in a while and she felt that this would be a great chance. As they started going down the road, she wanted to say something, but her words failed her. Issei could tell something was up. "Something wrong, Asia?" "Nope, just fine." She flashed her smile, but he wasn't buying it. "It's a sin to lie, you know." It wasn't a question, but he didn't mean any offense by it. "Yay, I know," she sighed. "It's just that you and Rias are together now, and I feel like you don't care about the rest of us as much." Issei pulled the car into the parking lot and pulled up the emergency brake. "Asia, I will always love all of you. Just because Rias and I are a couple doesn't mean that I don't love you. Sure, she can be a little stingy, but she knows how you guys feel and she doesn't want to hurt that. She loves you like a little sister. That's just it. Do you see me as a little sister?" He had been put in this situation not too long ago, when Rias asked him who she was to him. He messed up then, but he would not mess up now. "I see you as a beautiful girl that I love. I see you as Asia Argento, exiled nun-turned devil. I see you as the one who brought a sense of purpose in my life. Rias may have saved my life, but I didn't have much motivation to be good at being a devil till I was tasked with protecting you. I don't want to be a little sister to you." She took a breath to try and calm herself. "I want to be with you like Rias is." This was nothing new. Asia had always considered Rias and Aquino as rivals for his love. Issei wasn't quite sure what to say to help her feel better. So, he decided that actions would speak louder and clearer than words. He gently turned her head to him as he leaned over the center console and put his lips on hers. They stayed like this till the lack of oxygen became a noticeable problem. When they broke apart, Asia's eyes sparkled. She had her answer. "There's your answer. Now, come on, the others are getting hungry." Issei turned off the car and got out. Asia was still in a state of shock. She knew Issei loved her, but now she knew in what way. Realizing she had fallen behind, Asia jumped out of the car and grabbed a hold of his arm. "Thank you, Issei." In a time, the two ordered the pizzas and had started their way back to the house. Fate had a cruel joke planned for the 2 teenagers that night. The light turned green and Issei started to ease the car across the intersection. All of a sudden, lights came from his left and were charging the passenger side door. In a burst of instinct, Issei pulled Asia to him and tried his best to shield her. As the oncoming car made solid impact with the passenger door, Issei called out for his boosted gear. Hayatu household 30 minutes later. Where could he be? Rias asked aloud as she stared at the entrance to the room. Maybe Asia convinced him to take a detour. Aquino giggled as the phone started to ring. "Not funny, Aquino," Rias said as she stood to answer the phone. Hayatu household, Rias Gremory speaking. "Hello, Ms. Gremory. This is the police. We have just transported one Issei Hayatu and Asia Argento to the hospital. Their vehicle was struck in a hit and run. We found your name in his phone." A few seconds passed with no response. "Ms. Argento suffered a concussion and a broken arm, but I'm afraid Mr. Hayatu is in critical condition." The officer got no response. After a minute, everyone turned to where Rias was as they heard the phone hit the floor. She had tears in her eyes. "Rias, what's wrong?" Aquino asked as she stood to check on her friend. "Issei was all she could get out before she fainted." The rest of the girls went to Rias' side. Aquino picked up the phone. "Hello, this is Aquino Heimjima." "Good evening, Ms. Heimjima. What happened to Ms. Gremory?" the officer asked. "She fainted before she could tell us what was going on. Would you mind relaying to me, please?" "Sure thing. As I told Ms. Gremory, Ms. Argento and Mr. Hayatu were struck in a hit and run. Their car is totaled, and they are en route to the hospital. Ms. Argento suffered a concussion and a broken arm, while Mr. Hayatu is in critical condition." Thank you, we will be there shortly." Aquino hung up the phone. "Issei and Asia are at the hospital." "Why, what happened?" Zenobia asked as she helped lay Rias on the couch. "Someone ran into them and drove away. Asia is okay, but Issei is in critical condition. We have to go now." She got her purse and the keys to the other car in the driveway. While Issei had chosen a sports car, they also had a larger BMW M5 sedan. Kaneko and Kuroka followed her to the car, leaving Roswace and Zenovia to take care of Rias. We need to get there fast, but if we showed up too soon that might cause suspicion that we don't need, Kuroka reasoned. Yes, so we need to take the other car. Akino started the car and the large twin-turbo V8 roared to life. Hurry Akino, we need to go. Kaneko was shaking. She had finally been able to admit her feelings to Issei. She wasn't ready to lose him. Hold on. Akino took off and drove as fast as she could to the hospital. She pulled up the phone and called Kiba. Hey Akino. Kiba answered. Kiba, Issei and Asia are in the hospital. What? Someone hit them on purpose. I need you to go back to the house and protect Rias. She fainted so we let her rest. All right, Gasper, and I'll start that way now. Thank you. She hung up and kept driving. She had to make sure that Issei was all right, for Rias' sake. And her own. With Kiba and Gasper entered the house with a magic circle. He saw Rias on the couch passed out and Zenovia keeping an eye on her. Kiba, Zenovia asked looking up. Akino called and explained. She wanted me and Gasper to come and protect Rias with you and Roswace. Thank you. She went back to rubbing a cold cloth on her head. Rias was slowly coming to. I hope Issei and Asia are all right. Kiba said aloud to nobody in particular. Oh, if I had my way, the dragon and the girl would both be a bloody mess in that crumpled tin can they were in. A looming black figure stood in the doorway. Kiba went to draw his sword to find nothing able to happen. What? By this time, Rias was sitting up. You like that? It's an anti-magic barrier. As long as you're in it, you can't use your magic. However, the man reached in his pocket and pulled out a yellow amulet. This little gem is still active. He waved it in front of them and started to chant. You will forever forget the name Issei. All you know is that the Red Dragon Emperor is the enemy and he must be eliminated at all costs. Akino, Kaneko, and Kuroka all ran into the front office of the hospital and up the charge nurse. She was an older lady with gray curly hair. We are here to see Asia Argento and Issei Hayao. Akino panted. After a few clicks on her computer, she looked up. Yes, Ms. Argento is in room 335, and Mr. Hayao is still in surgery. The nurse replied. When will he be out? Kaneko peeked her head over the desk and looked up at the nurse. I don't know, sweetheart. The report says he has a head wound, a few broken ribs, and shrapnel in his chest. The nurse said glumly. She could tell that all the girls cared for this man. Thank you, ma'am. Akino led the two to the elevator and to the third floor to find Asia. The door opened up to a long gray hallway. The trio started their way down. .33, .34, .335. Kuroka called out. She's in here. They knocked on the door and got a sleepy, come in, for a response. They opened the door to find Asia in a hospital gown and her arm wrapped up in a sling. She looked cheery as always, but inside she was miserable. Hey Asia, how you feeling? Akino asked the blonde-headed girl. Oh, I'm fine. The nice doctor said that Issei was able to save me. He told me that Issei managed to pull himself between me and the truck. A tear dropped from her eye. He's always so brave. Kaneko hopped up on the bed and sat next to Asia. Yay, Dum-Dum is very brave. Asia, do you remember anything after the crash? No, I was knocked out and when I woke up, I was here. Okay. Akino, can you call Rias and let her know that Asia is okay? Sure. Akino pulled out her phone and dialed Kiba in case Rias wasn't up yet. Hello? Hey, Kiba. Asia is okay, but Issei is still in surgery. Issei. The way he said it as a question struck her as odd. She stared ahead at nothing for a second. What do you mean? Issei is hurt. Once again, Kiba seemed confused. Why Issei? I don't know. Issei Hayao, your best friend, pawn of Rias Gremory, the Red Dragon Emperor. Akino seemed confused. Why was Kiba acting like he didn't know who Issei was? Something seemed to snap as he answered her. Oh, yay, sorry. We will be right there. He hung up instantly. That was weird. Akino thought aloud, pulling the phone away from her face. What was? Kuroka asked as she helped Asia get in her jacket to keep her warm. Kiba acted like he didn't know who Issei was. As soon as I mentioned the Red Dragon Emperor, he said that they would be right here. It's not like him to forget anything, much less about Issei. Wait, I've heard of that. Kuroka thought for a moment. No way. No way what? Asia asked innocently. The HDAA, Holy Dragon Annihilation Activists. A group of humans that know of the Holy Dragons and plan on destroying them. They attacked Vali a while back. We barely made it out alive. They must be coming after Issei. She was about to go sit with her sister, but didn't get the chance. We have to protect him. Kaneko stood and ran out of the room. Kaneko, come back. Akino shouted after her. Kuroka, can you please stay here with Asia? Sure, thank you. Akino raced out the door and followed Kaneko. She found her outside of a set of double doors. He's in there. Kaneko opened the door and found Issei on the table, his shirt discarded somewhere. Many lacerations crossed his chest and a few on his face. He was covered in dried blood. No one was in the room to tend to his wounds. Where is everyone else? The doctors? The nurses? Akino asked as she placed a cloth over Issei's chest to wipe away some blood. A barrier has been placed around the building. Came the voice of Ddrag from Issei's left hand. Ddrag, what's going on? How hurt is Issei? He's banged up for sure. But now with these nurses and doctors out of the way, Ms. Argento can come and heal him. Ddrag answered. Quick, Kaneko. Go get your sister and Asia. Yes, ma'am. Kaneko ran out of the room and down the hall to where Asia was. D-Drag, will he be okay? Aquino leaned over Issei's face. He had a deep scar that ran down his cheek parallel to his jawline. With Ms. Argento's help, he will be perfect. I'm afraid that scar on his face is permanent, however. D-Drag paused a moment. Someone's here. You mean Kaneko and Asia? No, something else. The doors opened and Asia was carried in on Kuroka's back. She placed her on the table next to Issei. Asia, how long will it take to get him back up again? Aquino asked her gently. Not too long, 5 minutes. Asia answered, a green light surrounding them. Let me help. Kaneko put her ears up in her hoodie and her twin white tails came out. She then hopped up on Issei's lap and began her senjutsu healing. Kuroka, I'll need your help fighting them off while those two heal him. Aquino ordered. Fight who off? Rias, Kiba, Zenovia and Rossways. I sensed their presence when they entered the building. All right. Kuroka began to form a seal on the door to keep them out. That plan went out the window when Zenovia kicked it in before she was finished. Zenovia, Rias, Kiba, what are you doing? Aquino asked frantically. What scared her more was the mighty Valkyrie was nowhere to be seen. We're here to eliminate the Red Dragon Emperor. Kiba answered. He drew his demonic holy sword from its scabbard and leveled it. He's your friend Kiba. Rias, he's your lover. It's no use, they've been spellbound. We don't have time to break it. Kuroka began to charge her energy. He had a teleportation circle ready around Issei. What about you? Just do it. The darker Nico charged a light blue power ball in her hands. The others were blinded at first but began to advance. Aquino ran over to Issei and pulled up a magic teleportation circle to the house. Kuroka, gotcha. The dark cat devil unleashed a powerful blast that launched Kiba and Zenovia back. Rias was knocked over, but still close. Go, 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 go. Aquino activated the circle and the group was gone. Rias got to her feet and looked around. They're gone. They can't have gone far. Aquino didn't have the coordinates for a long jump. It's possible they went back to his house. Zenovia placed X Durandal back in its seal. We must hurry. Rias activated her own circle and her posse followed. A second later they were in the large living room in Issei's home. Get him on the couch. The girls all laid Issei on the couch, and Kaneko and Asia resumed their healing. A light shuffle was heard behind them. What was that? Kuroka asked, getting ready to fight again. She approached the closet and prepared to blast whoever was inside. When she opened the door, whoa, guys, it's me. Gasper came out of the closet with his paper bag on his head. Aquino rushed over and hugged the small vampire devil. Oh, Gasper, are you hurt? Nope. They ignored me when you said Red Dragon Emperor. Gasper walked into the living room and saw Issei's condition. Did they do this too? We think so. Gasper sat down on the couch next to Issei and looked down. If I had been faster, I could have gotten everyone out in time. But I was only quick enough to get in the closet. No, Gaspy, you were right to hide. Kaneko looked up at him. If you had stayed put, you would be just like them and we couldn't stop you. Thanks, Kaneko. After another 5 minutes, Issei began to wake up. Ugh, where am I? Where's Asia? He asked in a panicked tone. I'm right here and I'm alright thanks to you. Asia smiled as she hugged him. I assume the Gallardo is destroyed. Kaneko sat up on his lap. Yep, man, I like that car too. Where's Rias? There is a lot we need to get you up to speed with, partner. D-Drag said from his hand. After a long tale of the wreck and the attack at the hospital, Issei was shaking with rage. You can't kill me yourselves, so you use my friends to do it. He stood on wobbly legs and tried to walk. Hold on, you don't have all of your strength back yet. Kuroka moved to catch him as he started to fall. I have a place where we can go and be safe for a while. Where? Aquino asked. There is an old house not too far from here. It's where I went after Volley turned me away. She looked down at the fresh memory. It is easily defendable. Well, let's get going. Aquino gathered everyone in the circle and they were off again. The dark room was lit by the red magic circle. Within seconds, Aquino, Kaneko, Kuroka, Gasper, Asia, and Issei all entered the older house. It seemed to have been abandoned for some time. As they walked around, Issei noticed Kaneko go off into another room alone. He decided it was best to follow her. As he walked in the dark room, only moonlight was able to tell it was a bedroom. The low light also showed that Kaneko's ears had fallen and her tails were still. Kaneko, are you all right? Issei came up and placed a hand on her shoulder. I haven't been here in years. She answered in a low voice. You've been here before. Yes, this was the house of my old master. Issei crouched down to her shoulder's level and stood there with her. After some time, Kuroka found them. Should have figured she would find her way in here. She sighed. Why did you bring us here, Kuroka? You know what happened. Issei stood back up and faced the older Nekomata. Because this house is easy to defend and very out of the way. She walked in the room and sat next to Kaneko, who had moved to the bed. It will take them time to find us here. Aquino was soon also in the door. I found some other beds and supplies here. We should fortify while we can. I'll help too. Issei went to stand but his legs failed him. It was a miracle he'd made it to the bedroom in the first place, but his love for Kaneko had spurred him on. Partner, they may have physically healed your body, but your strength is still too weak. You need to rest. D-Drake tried to convince his wielder. He's right, you need to sleep. Aquino almost demanded. Issei stood in silence, defeated. He turned when he heard a yawn behind him. Kaneko was starting to fall asleep sitting up. Kuroka was the first to make a plan. Aquino, I know some places where we can find stuff to barricade with. We can set traps around the property as well. While we do that, Asia and Sairaorg can sleep in here with Issei. Sounds like a plan. Akino turned and told Asia and Gasper the plan. Issei walked over to the bed and laid down. It wasn't long before Kaneko got settled on his lap. Asia came in not much later. The trio were all soon asleep in the dusty old bed. 3 hours later, Issei awoke a few hours later feeling something moving on him. He looked down and saw Kaneko shaking and shifting erratically. She was whimpering. Kaneko. Issei tried to get her attention without waking Asia. It turned to be all for naught when Kaneko sat up and screamed. It wasn't like her to be afraid of anything really, so this had to be very bad. Hiroka and Akino ran in to find Kaneko shivering, and Issei sitting behind her with his arms wrapped tightly around her as she cried. Asia was now awake and trying to help calm the frightened girl. What happened? Akino walked in the room and sat on the end of the bed. Night terror. She was shaking and whimpering in her sleep, then she woke up screaming. Now here we are, Issei answered as she stroked the girl's ears and tail, trying to calm her down. SHHH, you're safe now, kitten. Nothing is going to happen here. This seemed to get her to relax into his chest. She was soon asleep again. Can I speak to the dragon boy alone, please? Hiroka asked. Sure, come on Asia. We can go get some tea ready. Akino walked out the room followed by a worried Asia. Hiroka sat down next to Issei and stared at her sister. I was always the only one she could trust to calm her down when this happened. However, it's not surprising that she trusts you with the same task. Thank you. I will always protect her. She is a part of my family. So are you. Issei smiled as he rubbed Kaneko's back. It was something that helped Riaz when she had her bad dreams about Riser, and it seemed to work on Kaneko as well. Hayatu household. Riaz and Kiba stood inside the living room. They had tracked their target back here and were getting ready for their next move. The vampire is gone, Kiba noted. Yes, it would appear that they took him with them on their stop here. Riaz walked around and noticed blood on the couch. He's still injured, we can defeat him. She walked upstairs to see if there were any clues to find where the target may have gone. As she walked into the master bedroom, she stumbled upon a framed picture on the bedside table. The photograph was of her and Issei after the raiding game with Sairaorg. All of a sudden, her head started pounding. She dropped the picture and the glass shattered across the floor. Kiba walked in and found a distraught Riaz. Are you okay? No, I got a headache when I saw that picture. Well, it doesn't matter. Roswace found traces of another teleportation circle. We need to get going. Not a single trace of his knightly personality. Yes, all right. She turned and followed Kiba back downstairs. She found Zenobia and Roswace working to follow the magic that the circle left behind. Find anything? I have found a faint trail, nothing much to go on. Roswace continued to comb through her analysis. We don't have much time. By the time we get there, he will more than likely be at full strength. Kiba walked out of the room. The abandoned manor. Issei had finally calmed down Kaneko and was letting her rest on his chest. He looked over at Kuroka and saw the eyes of a caring sister. So, Kuroka, you said that Vali fought these guys before. That's right. They almost got him. She let out a light laugh. How could anyone get the drop on Vali like that? They'd mapped our moves and found our base. It was when we all came to help you find Riaz in the dimensional gap. When we returned, they set a trap that we couldn't sense. These guys are ruthless. I got lucky enough to have a talk with one of the foot soldiers before we cleaned house. He said that their mission is to eradicate all the holy dragons and their wielders. They decided to start with the sacred gear users since the dragons were trapped in there. They want to free the human race from the tyranny of dragons or something like that. Hiroka finished. Do you think we could convince Vali to help us? Issei wasn't happy about the idea, but it might be necessary. No, he won't help you. Or me. She said the last part quietly. Kuroka, if you don't think he'll help us, then I'll trust your judgment. You're the reason that we're all alive right now instead of some bloody mess in a surgery room. Thank you. He reached out and held her hand. She turned her head to try and hide a blush. And here I thought you were always a pervert. I've grown up. I like to think of myself as a charmer. Well, you've got that right. She stood and walked out the room. She needed to talk with Akino and Asia. Everyone was preparing for the impending attack by Riaz and their friends. Kuroka was setting traps in hallways and doorways. Akino was working on forming a barrier around the main rooms. Issei, having regained his strength, was standing guard as a sentry outside. Asia and Kaneko were working on defenses inside the house. Issei couldn't believe this was happening. 2 weeks ago, he and Riaz were still trying to figure each other out. Now, he would possibly have to fight her. Of course, he had done this before, but he didn't remember. Something on your mind? Diedrag asked from Issei's hand. I feel like I have battled Riaz before. Not like sparring, but actually fought her. Issei stared up at the night sky and was thinking. Diedrag let out a sigh. Well, I guess now is as good of a time as any. For what? You have dueled her before. What? This was not something he remembered doing. When did that happen? Remember when Loki forced Riaz into the gap, and you went after her? After everyone was sucked out of the field, you two continued to fight full throttle. I remember everyone being sucked out the gap. After that it's all a blank. You and Ms. Gremory fought until you could barely move. That was when you first declared your love for her. I did what? You claimed you loved her and would do anything to protect her. You then shattered her armor and brought her out of her trance. A few moments later, Great Red arrived, and we followed him out of the gap into another dimension. Another dimension. Yeah, I think I remember a little bit. The sky was dark, and we were on a beach. Indeed, that is the location where you and Ms. Gremory pronounced your love for each other, as well as shared your first meaningful kiss. You're saying that I had told Rias how I felt before the raiding game. Before Kyoto? Yes, partner. Your memories were lost due to the journey back, but I kept mine as I am a heavenly dragon and am not affected by such problems. Thank you, D-Dreg. I think you just gave me a way to try and save Rias. I warn you, the attempt to force memories into her head could cause severe damage. So, you're saying that giving Rias her memories back will save her, but it could hurt her as well. Unfortunately, it seems the other way around. The process might save her, but she will be harmed in some way. I can't speak for the degree of damage we would do. Issei stood tall and seemed determined now. Then it will be a last resort. The woods outside the house. Rias, Kiba, and Zenovia were approaching the house. Behind them lay a small battle group of HDAA, all armed to the teeth and ready to kill the Red Dragon Emperor. Everyone ready. Rias called back. The dragon will not go down without a fight, so don't expect it to be easy. Would never dream of it. Kiba smirked, pulling out his holy demon sword. Kiba, lead the first attack. Yes, ma'am. Kiba and 10 soldiers began to rush the outer wall of the mansion. The moon was high in the sky and shone light down on the courtyard for a battlefield. Issei stayed on his perch on the wall and waited. He knew that Kuroka had set traps in the main gate, so he waited to see what would happen. As if on cue, explosions went off one after another and screams of the damned wailed in pain. This got all of the girls to come outside, ready to brawl. They're here. Akino yelled as the rest of Kiba's forces came through the gate. Kiba was out front. Kiba, stop this. Why are you trying to kill Issei? I know not who this Issei is. I am here for the Red Dragon Emperor. Kiba slammed his sword on the ground. Sword birth. Dragon shot. Issei jumped down, not in armor, and destroyed the swords before they could reach his friends. Where's Kiba? Issei was not playing around. So, the dragon has decided to show. Kiba smirked and readied his sword. You'll have to deal with me first. No, I won't fight you. We are best friends. You're like my brother. Issei jumped as he dodged an attack from Kiba. Issei, incapacitate him. Then I can work on removing the curse. Hiroka called from the ground. Got it. Balance break. Issei's crimson armor encased his body and the emerald jewel in his chest shone brightly. I'm sorry, Kiba, but this is the only way to save you. Kiba charged with his knight's enhanced speed. However, Issei's recently grown power allowed him to dodge the swordsman pretty easily. The battle went on for a few minutes before Issei realized he would have to start hitting Kiba in order to get him down. Alright, here goes nothing. Issei thought as he predicted Kiba's route. Once he figured it out, he made his play. Bishop Blaster. 2 large cannons appeared from his shoulders and fired to where Kiba was. Luckily, the shot hit the mark and did not damage Kiba enough to kill him. Normally, this move would not have affected Kiba, but the spell over him had interfered with his skills as a knight. Issei dropped down and picked up his unconscious friend. He then took Kiba over to where Kuroka and Asia were and set him down. The mask of his armor pulled back a moment. Take care of him. We've got him. Finish this. Asia leaned up and kissed him quickly, then turned away blushing. Be careful. The helmet slammed shut. Aren't I always? Before he could hear her response, Issei launched up again. He used his armor's enhanced sight to search for Rias. He found her at the edge of the tree line. She was alone. Issei raced towards her and landed down the hill. Rias. He quickly deactivated his armor so she could see his face. Rias didn't even hesitate to fire a destructive blast at him. Rias, it's me, Issei. Issei Hayaodu. I don't know anyone by that name, Red Dragon. She fired another shot, causing him to jump and land closer. Issei dodged another blast, landing a lot closer to her. Rias, do you not remember all of our good times? Do you not remember that I love you? That got Rias to hesitate for a moment. Standing atop the hill, she pondered his words for a brief moment before resuming her attack. I don't know you. She fired multiple blasts of destruction at him. Issei continued to evade her. At the house, Akino and Kaneko were standing guard at the front gate. They both took battle stance when Zenovia walked through the gate, followed by 20 soldiers. They looked up and saw Roswace in her Valkyrie outfit creating magic circles. You handle the ground troops, I've got Roswace. Akino stated as she took off in the sky to fight the rook. Yes, ma'am. Kaneko strapped on her sparring gloves and pulled down the hood on her jacket. She had yet to take the jacket off. It reminded her of Issei and made her feel safe when she wore it. Kuroka looked up at her little sister and smiled. Go get him, Shiren. She then resumed her work on Kiba. Kaneko walked calmly out towards where Zenovia stood. Her ears were out, and her 2 tails swished together. She didn't want to hurt her friend, but she needed to stop her to get her help. Kaneko, why are you against us? Zenovia called. Because Issei has been there for me through it all. You, Kiba, Rias, and Roswace are the ones that are in the wrong. Can't you see? He will destroy everything if you help him escape us. She pulled Exterandal out of its seal. If he succumbs to his power, then we will be there to bring him back to us. We need you all to help us if that day does come. Please, Zenovia, come home. Kaneko pulled up her juice and was ready to fight. I'm sorry, Kaneko, if you won't stand with us. Then you are against us. Zenovia charged with the blue and gold sword ready. So be it. Kaneko dodged the first slash and somersaulted in the air. She charged her fists and let blue flames fly at the holy sword user. Her next move caught Zenovia off guard. Why isn't she trying to use hand-to-hand? She is a rook, Zenovia thought as the cat girl stood there waiting. Akino now. Suddenly, lightning came from the sky and pushed against Zenovia's blade. The sword may be holy, but it was still metal and therefore a conductor of electricity. The blade turned on her and the lightning hit her hard. The second knight of Ria's Gremory was thrown into the stone wall behind her. Please, Zenovia, let us help you, Kaneko said as she walked up. She looked up to see Akino and Roswace locked in a duel of magic. After a few moments, the Valkyrie began to fall from the sky. She was unconscious, declaring Akino the winner. You are done, Zenovia. Let us bring you back. With that, Zenovia passed out. Zenovia, Roswace, and Kiba were out of commission. Akino, Kaneko, and Issei had seen to that. The foot soldiers that the three had led were all scattered and motionless. The two swordsmen, as well as the Valkyrie, were now under the care of Akino, Asia, and Kuroka. Kaneko was standing guard to cover them. Issei had gone to confront Rias. Rias had stayed behind and let her small army do her work and draw the Red Dragon Emperor out. She now stood in front of the dragon himself as he tried to convince her of who he was to her. It was unknown to her that her knights and her rook had been defeated already. Rias, look at me. Tell me that you don't recognize me from somewhere. Issei called out as he prepared to dodge another attack. He looks like the man in the picture from yesterday. Rias though to herself. She hadn't thought about it until now. He was for sure the man in the picture. Aye, I've seen your face before. That's a start, Issei said to himself as he ran at her again. I really don't want to hurt you, Rias, but you're not giving me much choice. Seems you will have to fight her dragon. An ominous voice came from the trees. Who's there? Issei called out. My name is Valdos Cassati. I am the organizer for this little attack. The man answered as he came from behind a tree. He wore a long gray jacket and black pants. His dark hat and hair covered most of his face, but when he looked up, Issei saw a scar coming across the man's eye. And is that supposed to mean anything to me? Oh, I doubt it. Your friend, the White Dragon Emperor, was kind enough to leave me with a parting gift when we found him. The man pulled back his hair and showed the scar went across his eye and down his face near his jugular. If you don't release Rias from your control right now, I will give you an identical one. Issei shot back. Such fire. But that is to be expected from a dragon. Cassati pulled a dagger that had been laced with holy water out of his pocket and threw it at Issei. The knife was accurate, but never hit its mark. Issei no. A voice came from the sky and landed in front of the man who had stood with no armor. Akino landed and did her best to shield him. It worked. The knife pierced her shoulder and she dropped to the ground, blood pouring from the fresh wound. Akino, what have you done? Issei knelt down beside her and cradled her head up. This could kill you. Don't worry about me, save Rias. She smiled up at him before her head went limp. Akino, Akeno. Partner, she is still alive. Her fallen angel blood is holding off the holy water. You need to hurry and get her back to Ms. Argento, Diedrag said from the red gauntlet on his hand. Don't you want to save your beloved girlfriend dragon? Cassati taunted as he crossed his arms. This in turn caused Rias to look his way. Does he mean me or her? She thought. I will come back for you, Rias. I have to save Akino first. I'm sorry. Balance break. Issei picked up the poisoned Akino and raced back to his friends. It seems he doesn't love you after all, Ms. Gremory. Shall we be off then? Cassati snickered. He had fractured any doubts Rias had about the boy. Why yes. Rias joined him and they were soon out of sight. With Issei, Asia. Issei came in hot and skidded to a stop right next to Asia and Kuroka. Issei, what happened? Asia asked as she took a hold of Akino's shoulder. It burned at her touch. Their leader, Valdos Cassati, he tried to poison me with a dagger laced in holy water. Akino took the hit before I could stop her. Issei looked down at the fallen angel and sighed. Why are you so stubborn? It's because she loves you, dum-dum. Kaneko commented as she sat on a barrel. She didn't want to see you hurt, even if it meant herself getting hurt. A tear fell from her eye. She knew that she would have done the same. So how do we fix her? I might have something for this in my bag. Asia reached behind her and pulled out a spell book. It's Latin, so I might mess up a little bit. She took a deep breath and began to read. Venenum and hoc demonium Isir me sancti. The spell had to be recited over and over again along with the use of twilight healing. Please, Asia, you have to save her. I'm trying. It will take some time and a few healing sessions to restore her demonic powers. The former nun shed a tear when she looked at Akino's smiling face. I think she is stable for now. We just need to let her rest. Thank you. Issei stood and turned towards the woods. Where are you going? Gasper asked as he finally came outside. To find Vali. Issei took off into the night sky and disappeared. I guess we're on our own for now. Kaneko stood and walked inside to where they had put Kiba, Zenovia, and Roswace. The girls were fine and were now sleeping off the spell in their defeat. Kuroka had managed to remove the spell with Asia's help. So it would seem. Kiba groaned as he sat up. Kiba, take it easy. Asia ran over to her friend and helped him sit up. What happened? Kiba rubbed his head. Last thing I remember is Akino calling saying to protect Rias. Then me and Gasper arrived, and everything goes blank. That was 2 days ago. Since then, you, Zenovia, Roswace, and Rias have been attacking us. Kuroka walked over to the knight and offered him a cup of water. Thank you, Kuroka. Kiba took the cup and sipped it. I assume since those two are still knocked out, that the three of us lost and Issei is out after Rias. Close, he went to find Vali. Great. First we have a group of dragon hunters that will hurt anyone to achieve victory. Now we are going to have the white dragon show up. Yay, pretty much sums it up. Asia helped him lay back down on the couch. How is Issei taking it? He has been the same for the most part, looking after us more than himself. We could tell that he was not showing his true thoughts. After Aquino took the hit, he got angry. Asia's smile faltered a bit at the flash memory of his face. What do you mean took the hit? Kiba sat up and glanced at the unconscious Aquino. She took a knife that was laced with holy water that was meant for Issei. Asia dropped her head. She hadn't been able to heal her friend and it frustrated her. Kiba placed a hand on her shoulder. It's not your fault. Holy water is hard to remove from a devil. It's a miracle that she is still breathing. Hiroka, being the pessimist in the room, spoke up. What if it is too late to save her? The poison must have spread by now. Hiroka, Kaneko snapped at her sister. Asia walked over to Aquino and sat next to Gasper. No, she can't go. It's not too late, it's never too late. Aquino Hanjima was still injured after her brave action to save Issei from a knife coated in holy water. Asia had since been trying to flush the poison out of her system, but it was proving to be a difficult task. Hiroka had been right in suggesting that the poison would have spread throughout her bloodstream, so Asia had been working almost non-stop to get it out. Kiba and Kaneko were standing guard at the front entrance to the courtyard. Zenobia and Roswace were out back getting wood for the fireplace. In all this time, Issei had been off searching for Volley. He had gone hoping that the White Dragon might assist him with this threat. The rest of the group was now focusing on Aquino. If not for her half-fallen angel side, she'd be dead for sure. Hiroka smiled as she wiped a cloth over Aquino's head. All she needs to do now is wake up. If Issei were here, he and Deidre could look for more damage. Asia smiled, then frowned, remembering Issei's face when he left. It was pure rage. With Issei, damn it, we've been searching for hours. Last time he was easy to find, now he's gone. Issei grumbled as he continued the search for his rival. We should head back. Everyone needs to be ready in case they come back. Deidre stated, making Issei stop. Suddenly, Issei's phone started ringing. He took it from his pocket and answered. Hello? Hey, Issei. How's the search for Volley? Came Asia's voice over the phone. Not good, bastard has vanished. I'm sorry, but we need you to come back here. We need to run a last analysis of Aquino's blood and you and Deidre stand the best chance at finding anything else wrong. Asia said sweetly. Sure thing. Be back soon. I love you, Issei. She stuttered out. She was trying to be like Rias. Love you too, Asia. Issei smiled and hung up the phone. He then activated a teleportation circle and went back. Appearing in front of the group a few seconds later, Issei deactivated his armor and walked over to the sleeping Aquino. How long has she been clear? Since not long after you left. Asia was able to flush most of the poison out, but it seems her mind hasn't come back yet. Kiba answered. All right, I have an idea. It worked before, so maybe I can help her again. Issei sat down on the bed where Aquino laid and placed his hand on hers. Deidre. Yes, partner. Can you project my consciousness into her mind, like last time? I can try. That's all I ask. Issei closed his eyes and let his mind flow from his body to hers. His body soon went limp and he too was lying on the bed. We should keep working on defensive mechanisms, Kiba suggested as the group left the room. Aquino's mind. Issei was floating through a pink and purple nothingness for a while before he found a door. He decided to open the door and venture inside. Upon opening said door, he found a terrifying sight. Aquino was destroying everything around her. The school, Issei's home, everywhere was rubble. Aquino, Issei called out. She turned her head and looked at him, tears in her eyes. Help me. She then began to plummet to the ground. Issei leaped into action and caught the girl in his arms. Hey, are you okay? I am now. She nuzzled her head into his chest and cried. What happened here? I don't know. One moment I was taking a knife for you, the next I was in here unable to control my body. She sniffled as the destruction lay around them. Issei, where am I? You're asleep, Aquino. This is all a dream. The holy water must be messing with your mind, making you feel guilty for who you are. Aquino shifted so that Issei was now cradling her. Tears flowed continuously. Issei. It's okay, you're okay. I'm here, we can get you out. How? I'm not sure, but I promise that we can get you out of this nightmare. Deidre sensed no more holy water in your system, so it's up to you to wake up and join us again. I'm not even sure if I should wake up. I mean, I'm the daughter of one of the most destructive beings ever. I don't deserve to live. She broke down again and Issei just held her. After a few minutes, he began to softly sing a song to her. Fallen angel, in the dark. Never thought you'd fall so far. Fallen angel, close your eyes. I won't let you fall tonight. This seemed to get her attention. What was that? Oh, that was just a song I heard on the radio the other day. It's nice. See, can you keep singing it? Anything for you, my fallen angel. And so, Issei kept lulling Aquino into a sense of safety. She was soon asleep and able to be brought out of her coma. Issei sat up and stared at the girl in the bed. Aquino too began to wake up. She rubbed the sleep out of her eyes and her gaze settled on Issei. Without a moment's hesitation, she leaped forward and kissed him. This caught Issei off guard, but he wasn't complaining. You know, I still want to convince you to cheat with me. Aquino giggled. I think I can convince Riz to let me love you all equally. Issei leaned back in and kissed her again, only to be interrupted by Asia and Kaneko. Issei, me too. Me too. Asia ran and jumped onto Issei. He looked up and saw Kaneko standing shyly in the door. You joining in, kitten? That got her attention and she too was on him in seconds. He's my Issei. Akino laughed as she pulled Asia off. No, he's mine. Asia fought back. Kaneko just sat on his lap and watched the squabble in front of them. And here I thought you were the cat. Issei smiled and pat her head. Listen, I love all of you. Just be patient, you'll all get a turn. Promise? Asia pouted. Promise. Issei, you have a visitor. Kuroka came in and found her sister sitting on Issei's lap. All she could do was smile. Sure, I will be right there. He stood and set Kaneko down on the bed. Excuse me, ladies. Issei walked out to the courtyard and found the one he had been searching for the last few hours. Hello, Vali. Hi, Odu. I heard you were looking for me, Vali said nonchalantly. Yeah, the HDA are after me. We could use your help. I don't really have a good reason to. They have taken control of Riaz and are using her against me. Oh no, anyway, Vali chuckled. Give me a reason to stay here, Odu. If they kill me, you won't get to prove that you are the strongest dragon. They got Vali's attention. The thought of losing his rival was annoying and compelled him to at least think about helping. Okay, so I decide to help you. What's the plan? We don't know. You were the one to face them in the past. How did you win? Issei, Juggernaut drive. Why use that on humans? They wouldn't go down with anything else. Vali began to walk away. As much as I would love to help you, I don't really want to. Vali, a voice came from inside. Kuroka came storming out. Kuroka, nice to see you again. Vali smiled as he turned to face her. To what do we owe the honor? Zip it, Vali. Why won't you help us? Like I said, No, not because you don't want to. You've seen what these guys are capable of. As much as it pains me to say it, we need your help. Kuroka was getting very mad. This was someone she had grown to respect in the past. Now he was just leaving them to fight alone. She couldn't say she was surprised. I already gave Issei the advice he needs to win. Vali thought for a second. Come to think of it, you were there with me. Why didn't you tell him to use it? Because I know that he is against that power. And how would you know that? You've barely been with them a week if my count is right. Kuroka began to turn away and blush. Issei then spoke up. She doesn't need to explain herself to you. She may have only been here a week, but she has a family and a home here. A place where she is loved, unlike with you. Issei spat out with no remorse. I've told you what you need to win Odu. As for you, Kuroka. He paused and looked at her face, which was a mix of blush and anger. Have a nice life. He then disappeared into a magic circle. I'm sorry, Kuroka. For what, Issei? She turned to him, her cheeks still flushed. For letting him talk to you like MMPH. Issei couldn't get the last part out due to Kuroka's lips on his. After a few seconds, she pulled away. What was that for? For standing up to him. For reminding me that I have a home and don't need him. Thank you, Issei. She wrapped her arms around him, her tail swished as she purred into his shoulder. You're welcome, Kuroka. Come on, let's go make sure that Akino and Asia haven't killed each other. What the two came to walk in on was not at all unexpected. It would appear that sometime during the conversation with Vali, Zenovia had joined into the cat fight. Ironically, Kaneko had kept herself out of it. They found Rosway standing in the door in shame. So, how long have they been at this? Issei asked the tall white-headed woman. Not too long. Zenovia came looking for you and found them fighting. She joined in once she realized it was about you. Rosway sighed. Those girls sure were a handful. Should I go break it up? Issei chuckled. Probably. All right. Issei walked in and instantly regretted when all of them jumped him. All the girls, including Kaneko, were all over him and pushing him to the bed. Well, that didn't work. Kuroka laughed as she walked back into the kitchen. She was beginning to see what all the other girls saw in him. Who knows, maybe I'll end up with him too. Riaz Gremory was working on her next strategy to take down the Red Dragon Emperor. She had been working tirelessly since her last battle with him at the Old Manor. Valdos had spoken carelessly in saying that she was the Red Dragon's girlfriend. Afterwards, there was no discussion on the topic, and both went their separate ways. Riaz was back in Issei's home. Since it was where she also called home, there was nowhere to go. She explored a little bit when she got time. In her search, she found numerous photographs of herself and the man in the crimson armor that she had been trying to defeat. Holding one in her hand, a subconscious tear fell from her eye. That photo was when they had defeated Loki at the Leaders' Summit in the Underworld. How could I not remember who he is? She thought aloud, not realizing someone was listening. I've asked myself that for a few days now. 5 minutes prior, Issei had awoken to find most of his girls around him on the bed. Zenovia had ended up on the floor sometime during the middle of the night. Asia was down by his left leg, Akino was near his head on his left side, and Kaneko was on his lap. He turned to the right and found an empty place. That was where Riaz was supposed to be. I wish you were here. Issei sighed. Need help, Dragon Boy? Kuroka stepped in and saw his predicament. If you would be so kind. He grinned as the older Nekomata stepped in. All right, Shiren. Upsy daisy. Kuroka pulled the smaller Nekomata off as she growled in her sleep. Calm down, he has to get up. Asia and Akino were easy to roll out from under, and since Zenovia had ended up on the floor, she wasn't an issue. Thank you, Kuroka. No problem. You might want to get going before they wake up and realize their favorite body pillow is gone. She giggled as she set Kaneko back on the bed. All right, I think I have an idea of where to start. Issei opened up a teleportation circle and was gone. He found himself in his home. There were footsteps from the floor above, so he decided to investigate. After quietly making his way up, he found Riaz holding an old photo of them. How could I not remember who he is? I've asked myself that for a few days now. Issei made his presence known and carefully approached his master. She turned and looked at the man in the picture that now stood before her. Who are you? My name is Issei. You are Rias Gremory, heir to the house of Gremory. Your peerage is made up of your friends that you consider family. Akino is your queen. Taniko and Roswace are your rooks. Kiba and Zenobia are your knights. Asia and Gaspar are your bishops. He took a deep breath. And I'm your mightiest pawn. Something seemed to click in Rias's mind, but it wasn't enough to free her. I was told that the Red Dragon Emperor is the enemy, she stated firmly, although she was questioning her beliefs. You were deceived by a lie. The truth is that I'm your servant, your loyal pawn. Issei was not going to tell her about the fact that they were together just yet. Ugh, my head hurts. Rias groaned as she stumbled back. Issei was quick to catch her. I got you. He picked her up and held her steady. I've always got you. Issei. Yes, Rias. Do I love you? That was a big question. Issei was not going to answer that for her. What do you think? I see all these pictures around and I see myself along with you. These are the kind of pictures couples would take together. Rias turned around and stepped back to see a tear in Issei's eye. You're crying. I'm amazed you thought this far into it, considering the spell. Spell. You've been spellbound into forgetting who I am and believing that I am an enemy. Issei stepped towards her in the dim lighting. They wanted to break me, break my spirit, and in some ways they've done that. But they will never win because I have an unbreakable heart. Issei took her hands in his. You are the owner of that heart. As long as I know that you're alive, my heart will forever belong to you. He leaned in and took her lips with his own. This action stunned Rias. After a few moments she accepted the kiss. This is right. This is right. Issei is mine forever, and I'm his. She pulled back and stared in his eyes. The crimson aura returned in full. Issei. Her voice was shaky. Yes, my love. She then jumped into his arms and held him close. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She wept on his shirt, her memory returning in full. You have nothing to be sorry about, Rias. I'm just happy you're back. He held her and let her cry for a while. Well done, Red Dragon Emperor. A voice came from behind him. Valdos. Yes, it is I, me. Valdos laughed as he approached the two. Stay back. Rias shouted as her aura charged. Oh, I don't think so. I am here to finish my mission. I will kill you, Holy Dragon. A scraping sound came from the dim hallway as the man dragged his knife along the wall. Bring it on then. Another voice from down the hall made itself known. Vali, so, the White Dragon has come to help the Red One. Interesting considering you two are enemies. Valdos laughed arrogantly. Rivals, not enemies. Issei corrected as he stood in front of Rias. Oh, I'm sorry. Last time I saw the two great dragons fight, my family died. Valdos dropped his smile and stared down the duo. My mother and father were lucky enough to be caught in the first blast from you, Red Dragon. My sister and I escaped the carnage only for it to follow us. A building dropped on us and she pushed me out of the way. I held her hand as she suffered, knowing I couldn't save her. I'm sorry about that, truly I am. But we're not responsible for what our ancestors have done. Issei stepped up. Vali activated his balance breaker and his armor went white. Issei followed suit with his own crimson. Together then, Issei asked his rival. Sure, why not? Vali chuckled and the two rushed Valdos. You can't defeat me, dragons. I have come close to killing you both in the past. Let's come out with a different result. Valdos activated his fabricated sacred gear as well. His hands were then covered in gauntlets that could produce knives, all covered in holy water. Steer clear of those blades. They are coated in holy water. Vali rushed and put his armored knee into Valdos's stomach. Yeah, he used one and nearly killed Akino. Issei threw an elbow into the back of his head. The two were so in sync that it turned from a fight to a one-sided beatdown. Meanwhile, Rias stood back and watched. The large hallway was lit with armor clashing and a mix of red and white lights. She heard what Issei said and was enraged. She now remembered seeing her friend being taken down by said knife. This set her off. Her once calm crimson aura began to rage, catching the attention of one Issei. You used me. You hurt my friends. You forced me to attack the one I love most. Rias brought up her hands to fire a destructive blast. Now you will understand the true meaning of the lowest level of hell. Rias, stand back, we can handle him. Issei shouted. Hate to break it to you, princess, but if you unleash that, this entire building is coming down with us in it. Vali added. I can't let him get away with all he's done. Rias prepared to fire again. Rias, stop. Issei jumped back and kissed her, pulling her concentration away, causing her to not be able to fire her destructive energy. What are you doing? Rias complained as she came back to reality. Yeah, not the time, Issei. Vali threw a left hook and caught Valdos's jaw clean. Valdos dropped, completely still. Damn, Vali. Did you have to kill him? Issei chuckled as he walked over to the fallen man. Who says I did? Vali smirked as he kicked over Valdos onto his back. He's still breathing. Have an idea for him, Rias. Issei smirked as his girlfriend stood over the man. What? He's your prisoner? She questioned. Think of it as a present to my future wife. He smiled at her. Ugh, I am out of here. See you around Hayaudu. Vali disappeared through a magic circle. What do you mean? I see now that we may not have forever. Enemies will come and try and tear us down. So, I wish to do what I can, while I can. Issei took her hands and looked in her deep blue eyes. Rias Gremory, we may have only known each other for about a year, but this has been the happiest year of my life. I wish to spend the rest of my life just as happy. The only way I can do that is with you. I may be rushing this since we only have started being a thing, but I know that I want to be with you forever. I also know that a low-class devil like me has no chance with the heir to the Gremory house, but I might as well try. Issei stepped back and landed on his left knee. Rias Gremory, the most beautiful girl in the world, will you marry me? Rias was shocked. This was not what she had expected to come out of these events. She had just days ago tried to kill him, now he was proposing to her. Her mind raced back through her memories. The training camp before the fight with Riser, when he said he liked her for her and not her name. She remembered the day he fought for her till he couldn't move against the Phoenix heir. Her wedding party that he crashed to get her out of there. The bravery he showed and the sacrifice he made to do so. She thought back to when Loki attacked and how she felt after Fenrir had gotten him in his teeth. The blood and the wish of just a little more time with him. Clearly, she is going through her memories with you. Shall we remind her of what happened after your duel? Diedrag suggested. I thought you said it could be dangerous. Only if it was forcing her to remember you. She's okay now, so this won't harm her. All right, Rias. The red head was brought out of her thoughts as she looked at him. We want to return something to you. A memory forgotten. Issei reached his hand out and held her cheek. The memories of the duel came back. Their fight, how she didn't want to hurt him, but she had no control. She remembered floating through several dimensions in his embrace. The beach, the place where their feelings to each other became indescribably clear. She remembered everything. Yes, was all Rias could say. What? Yes. She looked up with tears in her eyes. I will marry you. Her voice faltered a bit, but it was okay. I know I don't have a ring to give you right now, but I promise I will soon. Issei smiled as he picked up his fiancée and spun her around. This was the happiest way to end the day's events. Rias and Issei teleported back to the abandoned manor to find all the girls on full alert that Rias had shown up. Issei came out from behind her and showed them that she was normal again. He sat on the couch with Rias and then went on to tell the tale of their fight with Valdos. They did not mention the engagement yet, it was a surprise. So, what did you end up doing with Valdos? Kiba asked as he stood by the window. Surzech came and escorted our new guest to the eternal flames of hell. Rias giggled happily. Is there anything else you're not telling us? Aquino grinned, she had an idea what was going on. I don't know what you mean, Aquino. Rias shook her head, but still held her dreamy smile. Okay, keep your secrets. She knew that her best friend was hiding something, and judging by her attempts to hide it, it was important. Can we go home now? Asia piped up as she snuggled closer to Issei on the couch. Sure, we can. Issei patted her head. A teleportation circle was activated and all 10 of them returned home. It didn't take long for everyone to get settled back into the Hayato household. A few days later, everything was back to the way it was. Hiroka and Issei were in the living room, Rias and Asia were making dinner. The rest of the girls were in their rooms or somewhere else in the house. Kiba and Gasper had returned back to Kiba's place. Issei, I've been meaning to ask. Where are your parents? Hiroka asked as she plopped herself down on the couch. They've taken a world trip. Never said how long they would be either. Wouldn't surprise me if they didn't come back. He shrugged as he picked up the TV remote. Oh, Hiroka thought a moment. I'm sorry, you must miss them. Not really. I mean, yeah, they are my parents and I love them, but they were never really here, you know. Always on a business trip or working late. When Asia came to live here, she was the first person that I expected to be home when I got here. Did you need me, Issei? Asia peeked around the corner hearing her name. No, Asia. Issei laughed at her a little. I was telling Hiroka that I was happy you came to live here, since my parents were never around. Oh, okay then. Asia smiled and went back to preparing dinner with Rias. Kaneko was in the kitchen too, but mainly to snatch a snack. You really don't care that they are gone. Hiroka brought the conversation back. If they're happy, then I'm happy. Issei pressed a button on the remote and the channel changed. The Formula 1 Grand Prix came on. It just so happened to be that the race in Japan was coming up. That would be interesting to see. What? The race? I've always loved racing. Seems fun. Issei changed the channel to a movie and tossed the remote to Kuroka. That reminds me, I need to talk to Surzech about replacing the Gallardo. Get something black this time, the black Nekomata snickered. No, get it in white. Kaneko butted in as she came out the kitchen with a bag of gummy bears. Black, white, okay, that's enough, you two. Issei was trying not to laugh at the predictable argument he was in. How about when I get time to go look for a new car, I bring you two with me. It will be good sister bonding time and you can see what cars look best in which color. That's fine. Kuroka went back to watching the movie. I'm putting cat stickers on it. Kaneko laughed as Issei bopped her head softly. No stickers, kitten. He picked her up on his shoulders and they walked back into the kitchen. Hi, Issei. Rias looked up from her preparations and kissed her fiancé. They had still yet to tell the rest. The plan was to break the news at dinner. Hello, my love. Issei put Kaneko down and hugged Rias. Issei. A certain blonde pouted as she wanted attention too. Fine, come here. Asia jumped up and kissed Issei right on the lips in front of Rias. After a minute, she dropped back on the floor. Cheeks flushed bright pink. My Asia. That was a bold move. Aquino teased as she came into the kitchen to find something to drink. Indeed. Rias scowled at the younger girl. Rias, we need to talk for a moment. Issei once again took her hand and led her away. They went all the way upstairs to the master suite. Okay, we need to figure out where we stand with the other girls. Yeah, I know. She sighed. I want them to all be happy. It's just annoying that for them to be happy, they want to be with you. Rias, you will always be my number one. That will never change. But I do have room in my heart for all the other girls. Asia, Aquino, and Kaneko have made it clear that they won't be with anyone other than me. Zenobia just seems to want my DNA, but I think there is more to it. I know, it's just that. She sat on the bed and looked down. I never thought of myself as the jealous type, and seeing all of them around you just makes me jealous. Zip it, smartass. She giggled. Hey, I know what you mean. I love you and all the other girls too. Besides, if anything, now I can become harem king. Issei wrapped an arm around Rias, laughing as he mentioned his once goal in life. Well, my king, shall we go and let them know about what's really going on? I believe we shall, my queen. They went to open the door and found Aquino, Asia, and Kaneko listening in. The three girls all fell into the room since they were leaning on the door. Remind me to soundproof this room. Issei smiled as he helped the girls up. So, something is going on. I knew it. Aquino happily cheered. W, what do you mean you knew it? Rias was suddenly very nervous. You two have been acting weird since you got back. Kaneko pointed out. Could it be that the king and the pawn have done the deed? Aquino's suggestion stirred up more trouble than anticipated. What? Asia charged Issei and jumped on him again. I don't want to be left out. You're not being left out, Asia. Besides, we didn't do it. Rias pouted as Issei was knocked to the floor. I'm not. No, Asia. You're just as important to me as Rias, Aquino, Kaneko, Zenobia, and all the others. Issei patted her head. Oh, I'm sorry. I've made a fool of myself. Asia wiped her eyes, feeling embarrassed. There is nothing to be sorry about. Issei pulled the blonde into a hug, and that caused all the others in the room to join in. He was squeezed tight by arms from all directions. Okay, enough of all that. Let's go eat, shall we? Right. The group headed back down to find Zenobia and Kuroka talking in the dining room and Rosswace reading over papers. Riz and Asia retrieved the dishes from the kitchen, and everyone got seated. After a few minutes, the doorbell rang and Issei went to answer it. I was wondering when you guys would show up. Issei smiled at his friends. Come in. We are glad to be here, but why call us over tonight? Tiba asked as Gasper walked past him to go eat. Yeah. Is there something important going on? Irina asked as she set her bag down in the hall. Yay, you could say that. I will be announcing something later and I wanted you guys here. Issei led the two back into the dining room. Almost everyone was here. So, Irina, how's heaven? Oh, you know, smiting here, paperwork there. The usual stuff. She shrugged. How's everything here? I heard about what happened to you guys. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to help. It's okay, Irina. There was a chance the doorbell rang again. Oh, that must be the last of our guests for this evening. Ria stood and walked out to greet the rest. Brother, Grafia, Milikas, how are you? We're good, Rias. Thank you, Serzech replied as he hugged his little sister. Our mother and father coming. They will be here momentarily. As he said that, a red circle opened in the living room and Zioticus and Venelana appeared. Mother, father, I'm glad you could make it. Rias hugged her parents and led them back into the dining room. A place was set, and it was almost time to make the announcement that had been rumored. One last time the doorbell rang. I think I know who that is. Issei stood and greeted the final guest to the family gathering. He opened the door to find none other than Ravel Fenix standing there. Welcome, Ravel. Good evening, Lord Issei. Ravel said sweetly, her cheeks slightly flushed. You don't have to call me that, you know. Issei works just fine. Issei took Ravel's pink coat and placed it on the rack. Okay, Issei. He led her into the dining room, and she caught an instant glare from Kaneko. Kaneko, play nice. She's our guest tonight. Kaneko eased her stare and returned to her food. Got it. After another hour of eating, introductions, and small talk, Issei stood at the head of the table. Can I have everyone's attention? The room fell silent and everyone had their eyes on the host. First, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight. Some of you were busy and I appreciate you coming anyway. Second, he took Ria's hand and had her stand with him. We have an announcement to make. Everyone was silent instead of making silly guesses. We're getting married. Riaz all but squealed out. Applause erupted throughout the room and everyone was congratulating them. Zioticus eventually found his way over to Issei. Can I speak with you a minute, son? He smiled. Sure. The two made their way into the living room and shut the door. You want to know why we kept this a secret from you? I don't really care about that. I also remember how stubborn Riaz is about arranged marriages. I would much have her be wed to the Red Dragon Emperor than Riser Fenix. I still don't like him. Lord Gremory chuckled. I want you to know that you have my full support and that of the Gremory household. Thank you, sir. Zioticus turned to leave, but stopped when he reached the door. Oh, I am expecting more grandchildren soon. He chuckled, leaving Issei speechless. The announcement was made, and everyone was thrilled. They partied until the midnight hours. Around midnight, the guests began to leave. Serzech and his family were the first to depart. Zioticus and Venelana left not much later. Irina, Kiba, Gasper, and Ravel were still there, however. The angel picked up her bag and turned towards Issei and Zenobia. I guess have to go back to heaven now, Irina announced to her friends. Oh, come on. You can't just spend the night here. Zenobia had missed her old partner and wanted her to stay. Well, I can make a phone call and see. Irina pulled out her phone to dial Gabriel, who happened to be on Earth at the moment. Hey Gabrielle, it's Irina. Do you mind if I take the day off tomorrow too? Issei and Riaz just announced their engagement and I wish to stay here a little longer. I don't mind. Give them my congratulations, won't you? Gabrielle's voice came over the phone. Thank you, Gabrielle. Bye-bye. She hung up the little pink phone. I guess that's gonna be news for everyone now. Issei smiled as he stretched his arm around Riaz. The fact that everyone was soon gonna know was annoying, but it was okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I just kind of set off a chain reaction, didn't I? Irina was really bummed now. She had just let out a huge announcement to pretty much all of heaven and she was sure that her friends would not be happy with her. Issei walked up to her. It's not a problem. Knowing Lord Surzech, everyone was bound to find out sooner or later. Really? Really? Irina jumped up and hugged Issei tight. After a few seconds she dropped down. I am sorry Issei. I don't know what came over me. I'm used to it. Asia tends to surprise me the most though. He chuckled. The girls around here can be a handful. Hey, almost every girl in the room said it once. Hey, yeah, well tonight I'm here too. Indeed. Kiba and Gasper stood from the couch. We're going home guys. Issei, Riaz, congratulations again. Thank you, Kiba. You guys be safe going home. Riaz hugged her knight and bishop. We will. Gasper added as the two walked out the door. Now we're down to one guest. Issei turned and looked at Ravel, who began to blush. Yeah, when are you going home, Birdbrain? Kaneko said, catching a glare from both Issei and Ravel. I will not be disrespected by some lowly cat devil. Ravel shot back as she stood from her seat. Lowly cat devil? Huh. Kuroka stood. Keep in mind that there are two of us and one of you little birdie. Enough. Issei got all of their attention. Ravel, you're more than welcome to stay the night if you so choose. I can promise that those two won't mess with you. Thank you Issei. Ravel bowed her head. As for you two, Ravel is still our guest. I'm sure you guys can find something in common. He grinned as he had an idea. That being said, the three of you will bunk together tonight if Ravel chooses to stay. I will stay, Ravel said defiantly. Please, don't put her with us. Kaneko whined. Don't worry kitten, she won't bother us. Kuroka patted her head. If she apologizes for the lowly cat devil comment. After a moment, the proud phoenix conceded. I apologize to the both of you. My behavior was out of line. Ravel bowed her head to the two sisters. That settles it. Akino, be a dear and help Ravel get settled in please. Issei's gaze found the fallen angel on the love seat with Asia. Of course, Issei. Her cheeks were bright red from the dear comment. Ravel followed Akino up the stairs into the elevator that led to the upper floors. So, Ravel. Yes, I know this may seem random, but do you feel anything for Issei? This got Ravel's cheeks to go red again. I don't think. I'm sorry if that seemed out of line. It's just that all of us here care for him. I've learned to see the way that girls look at him when they feel something. I see it in Riaz, Asia, Kaneko, Zenovia, everyone. I saw a little bit of that in you tonight. Akino grinned as Ravel blushed. The elevator doors opened, and the long hallway came into view. Ravel sighed and looked down. Do you remember when I first transferred to Kyo and my mother called Riaz? Yes, you seemed flustered after that conversation. It's because she suddenly dropped the idea that I was single and that I had feelings for Issei. Oh, that explains why Riaz got so mad after it ended. She caught on and he didn't. Now that won't happen. He's getting married and I've failed my mother. The two eventually found the Nekomata sisters' room. Let me fill you in on a little secret. Issei, ever since I met him, has desired to become the harem king. He may be engaged to Riaz, but I know that he has enough love in his heart for all of us here. You can be included in that if you choose. Thank you, Akino. You're very kind. Ravel smiled as she set her purse and coat down on the spare bed in the room. It's what I do best. That enlightening. Akino smiled and left the young phoenix girl to herself. Maybe I still have a chance. The young devil said to herself. Still have a chance for what? A certain white cat girl walked in and found her sitting on the bed. Nothing. Ravel stuttered, not very convincing. Alright, what's up? Kaneko sat on her bed and faced the phoenix. What do you mean? Look Ravel, I can see that something is bothering you. Issei said we need to get along and now might be a good time to work on that. Give me one reason why I should talk to you about anything. She blurted. After a second she took it back. I'm sorry Kaneko, that just kind of came out. Don't sweat it. You can talk to me about it if you want. Otherwise, it's time for bed. Actually, yes. Akino said she noticed how I got flustered around Issei. Ravel looked down at her pink shoes. Oh, so you like him too? Kaneko smiled, her little cat ears wiggling. A little. My mother wanted me to spend time with him in hopes of me marrying him. I thought that the chance was lost, but Akino mentioned the harem king idea. Yay, Dum Dum has always had the dream. Not so much anymore. Her ears fell slightly. You love him too, don't you? Shush. Kaneko said, getting Ravel to giggle and in turn making Kaneko giggle as well. They weren't so much enemies as just two girls talking about a boy. Meanwhile a certain dragon and black Nekomata were listening in. I'm glad those two are finding common ground. Issei smiled as he peered through the crack in the room. You aren't the least bit surprised that Ravel has feelings for you and has been sent to marry you. Kuroka spoke quietly. Not really. The way her mother talked when we last spoke kind of clued me in. Anyway, it's time for bed. We have school tomorrow. Issei knocked on the door making both girls go quiet. He entered and saw both faces go pink. Alright you two, time for bed. You have school tomorrow. Yes, Lord Issei. Ravel took off her shoes and placed them by the bed. Oh, you too, Sairaorg. Kuroka stepped in. Fine. Kaneko dropped her own shoes and started stripping to change clothes. This caught Ravel's attention. What are you doing? There's a boy in here. She was in shock that the cat girl seemed so cool with Issei in the room as she changed. He's seen me in less. Hell, he's seen me naked more times than I can count. She giggled. There was a new rivalry in the house and Kaneko wanted an early lead. Oh, was all Ravel could come up with to say. Her cheeks were bright red. Normally she would try and outmatch her opponent, but her pride as a phoenix kept her from doing so. And that is my cue to leave. Good night to the three of. Now I must go find my fiancé. Issei turned to walk out the door. Save some lovin' for me. This caused both Ravel and Kuroka to look at Kaneko in disbelief. This girl never showed emotion, now she was acting like a normal teenager. Alright, I will. Now go to bed. Issei shut the door and walked down the hall. This is going to be interesting. The next month was graduation for Kyo Academy's third-year students. This meant Akino and Rias were graduating high school and could go on to college if they chose to. The celebration was supposed to be huge. Surzech had a big party planned for the two girls and was scheduled to be at Issei's house. Currently the last day of school for the semester was coming to an end and Issei had gotten a call to keep the two girls occupied for a while longer. As he walked out back to the old school building, he ran into Kaneko and Asia. Both girls were giddy and ready for the party. Hey, what's up guys? Issei asked the two. We're just excited for tonight. Asia smiled back. Yay, there's gonna be a lot of snacks too. Kaneko's mind was already racing. It was strange that considering how much she ate sweets and sugar that her body was so small. Yeah, Surzech told me to keep those two away for a while. Issei thought for a moment. I have an idea. Maybe I can take them shopping for a new car. Those two have worked hard enough and earned it. I thought you were gonna take me and Kuroka. Kaneko pouted. This one won't be for me, but for the two of them to share going back and forth to college. Oh, I wonder what they'll pick. Asia asked as she started walking to the gate. Come on Kaneko, let's go help Lord Surzech and Mrs. Grafia get set up. Coming. And like that, Issei was alone again. Yes, I get to go find the fallen angel and the ruined princess. What about the fallen angel and ruined princess? A certain redhead called to him. Oh, nothing Rias. Just wondering where you two were. Issei rubbed the back of his neck. It wasn't a lie, but not the whole truth. So, how'd your last day of high school go? Our teachers didn't really make us do anything. We just kind of hung out the whole time. Akino smiled. How was your day? Long and boring. Well, not really boring. Asia, Zenobia, and Arena keep me entertained. That came out really wrong. And what do you mean by entertained? Rias was not really accusing him, just intimidating him. Nothing out of the normal. Just them telling stories of the church and ideas for what they want to do after school. He was hoping Rias wouldn't get the wrong idea. Okay, ready to go home? Akino asked the couple as they made their way to the gate. Actually, I had a present for the both of you. Issei stepped in front. What could that be, my darling? Rias's eyes lit up at the idea. Keep in mind that this item will be shared between the two of you. Okay, that's not really a clue. Akino giggled. Follow me and we will go find your gift. Issei led the two girls through the streets. Since it was a nice spring day, the wind blew and the pink leaves fell from the trees. Everything was beautiful. They walked past all kinds of shops on their way to the final destination and he caught them both eyeing him curiously. Eventually made their way to an exotic car dealer. You're gonna buy us a car. Rias was amazed at how much Issei was willing to go for her. That's the idea. I wanted to surprise my wife to be in her best friend. You guys can share the car going back and forth to college. Wait, who says I won't become your wife one day too? Akino smiled as she kissed Issei's cheek. Her arms wrapped around his left arm. Akino, Rias was not too happy about the idea. She then remembered what Issei said, that she would always be his number one. She sighed. Maybe one day. Issei quickly tried to defuse the situation. Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's go look. The two girls led Issei to the car lot. The inventory was huge. Many of the cars were pastel colors, others were shades of gray. Do we want a saloon or a coupe? Rias asked her friend. I think a saloon that has a sport look to it would be nice. Akino replied. For two girls, it was probably better that they have a larger car of some sort. Yay, sports cars are more Issei's thing. Rias looked at her fiancé to see him looking at a dark green Aston Martin. And he's off looking for something on his own. Here, Rias. Akino called Rias over and they spotted the perfect car. Hey Issei, come here. He looked up from the green race car. Okay. Issei made his way over and found the two girls standing next to a Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo. So, this is it. Yep. Rias looked inside. It has plenty of room and is all white leather. I love the dark purple color. Akino was looking in the back seat. We could have some fun back here, couldn't we, Issei? She giggled. Rias just rolled her eyes. Okay, so you two seem to have made up your mind. Issei walked away to find a salesman. Akino, what has gotten into you? Rias turned to her best friend. The fallen angel smirked cheekily. Whatever do you mean? You keep making lewd faces towards Issei and suggesting things. Rias was trying not to get jealous, but she couldn't help it. Oh, come on Rias. It's all in fun. You know that I love him too. Akino tried to convince her best friend, but it wasn't working too well. Yes, I am well aware of how you feel. But please, restrain yourself a little bit. Maybe once Issei and I are married, I can. lend him to you for a night. She squirmed at that thought and Akino lit up like a Christmas tree. Really? Akino jumped and hugged Rias. Thank you, I know it's not hard to say something like that. Well, I know he loves all of you. Indeed, I do. Issei surprised the two. Issei, how much of that did you hear? Rias was blushing brightly. Oh, not much. Just that you might lend me to Akino for a night. That made Rias' face as dark as her hair. The salesman is getting the keys to them now. Them? Akino was confused. The Gallardo got wrecked, so I decided I would buy a replacement. Issei pointed at the British Racing Green Aston Martin V12 Vantage. Wow, Issei, it's beautiful. Rias was amazed at how clean the car looked. It wasn't brand new, but it was still a head-turner. Wait, you promised Kuroka and Kaneko that they would get to pick the color. They can pick the next one. I'm sure I'll add more fine additions to my collection. The salesman came with both sets of keys and left the group to their own conversation. Load up. It's getting late, and the others are probably wondering where we are. Issei opened the door to his new car and the girls got into theirs. Issei led and the girls followed. After about a 15-minute drive, the two new cars pulled into the driveway next to the blue M5 that still sat there. It seemed that the BMW was now the average family car. Issei parked the car in the garage and the girls left theirs in the front circle. They got out and were amazed by it. Issei, this thing is so cool. Rias almost shouted as she got out. Yay, this car has so many fun little features. Akino added, that's what you get with high-end cars. Issei laughed and they all went inside. Surprise! The entire room lit up and everyone was waiting for the two graduates. Surzech, of course, standing in the front. Welcome home, guys. So how did my future brother-in-law keep you busy? Surzech asked the girls. He bought us a car. Akino leaned over and kissed Issei's cheek. He did now. That doesn't surprise me at all. I like cars, what can I say? Issei grinned and wrapped an arm around Rias and Akino. Did you pick up something else too? I heard two cars pull in. The Demon Lord asked. Yay, I got a new Aston Martin. That caught the Nekomata's attention. What color? They both asked. Okay, I know I promised you both that you can pick the color, but this was too good to pass up. He led the sisters outside. Everyone else followed, intrigued by the new cars. British Racing Green, Aston Martin V12 Vantage, black and white two-toned interior with a rare 6-speed. Issei grinned. He was proud of his new purchase. The girls then showed of their new Porsche, purple gloss finish, white leather seats, and all the little fun gadgets for a car of that class. Everyone was soon partying and Surzech brought out the alcohol. It didn't take much to convince a certain red-headed girl to drink a little bit. Akino decided that she would keep up and drink as well. That would make her regret the idea. The two were soon wobbly on their feet and Issei told them to call it quits. Okay, you two, upstairs. Issei took both of them and helped them up the stairs. Oh Issei, you're so strong. A wasted Akino complimented as she tripped on the steps. He caught her quickly. He's always been strong, Akino. That's why he's the mightiest hick pawn. Rias was also borderline blackout drunk. Cold showers for the both of you and then straight to bed. Issei got both girls into the large bathroom and helped them strip. He had seen them both naked before, so this wasn't anything new. However, anyone would look since it was such an amazing sight. After a cold shower, both girls were soon closer to sober than they were, but now were freezing cold. Issei helped them to the bedroom and got them under the covers. All right, I will come to check on you two in a little bit. He leaned down and kissed both of them on the forehead. That was a mistake. Before he could pull back, both girls had wrapped arms around him and pulled him into the bed. We need to thank you for taking such good care of us, Issei. Rias pulled his head into her breasts and stroked his hair. Indeed, it just wouldn't be proper if we didn't reward you for being so kind. That and I've wanted to do this forever. Akino grabbed a hold of Issei's head and kissed him full force on the lips. Asia had been worried about what was taking Issei so long to come back. The party was over and everyone had gone home. Ravel volunteered go and check on him. As she approached the door that was clearly Issei's, she heard a distinct feminine moan. She was going to knock on the door, but it was cracked. The door moved the slightest bit and was enough for the Phoenix to see inside. What she saw was both incredible and scarring. She found Issei and Rias going all out with Akino kissing Issei like her life depended on it. Ravel quickly and quietly shut the door and left. As she came downstairs, she ran into Kuroka, who saw her red face. What happened, Ravel? Catch them in the act. It was meant to be a joke, but when Ravel nodded her head, Kuroka's face turned red also. She soon made it known to all the girls that Issei's room was off limits tonight. Her reasoning was that Rias and Akino were resting and did not need to be disturbed. The girls soon split up and went their separate ways. Kuroka had slipped close to Issei's room so she could hear for herself. Her cat senses caught both the sound and smell of sex from a mile away. She made her way to the door and placed a sound barrier around the room so her lie would hold. Then she went back to her room. Asia, Zenobia, and Irina returned to the room that the three shared. Roswace went to her own room. Ravel also went to her room. Issei had recently designated her own room. She quickly shut the door and removed her clothes. The idea of Issei doing things like that kept the young Phoenix occupied for quite some time. The next morning, Issei awoke to a certain fallen angel hybrid bolting up and racing to the bathroom. The unmistakable sound of retching came from within. He decided it would be best to go comfort her. As the young man walked through the door, he found Akino leaning over the toilet. Kneeling at her side, he rubbed her back and pulled her hair out of her face. "You okay?" Issei asked as she leaned down again. No, Akino wasn't her cheery self. She was miserable. "Issei, I'm sorry about last night. I was drunk and got carried away. It's not your fault. Besides, what guy would pass up the chance to have two beautiful women in bed at the same time?" Issei grinned. Akino was able to sit back up and leaned into his chest. She groaned in pain as her head started to pound. A few seconds later, another set of footsteps ran into the room. Rias had woken up with the same issue. Rias, like Akino, had alcohol poisoning and her body was working to be rid of it. Issei did the same treatment he did with Akino for Rias. He held her hair and rubbed her back. Akino was now lying on the cold tile floor with her head in his lap as he helped his fiancée. Rias was soon able to take a breath and relax a bit. "Thank you, Issei," Rias muttered, her strength gone. "I will always be here for you, Rias." He looked down to his lap. "You too, Akino." Both girls were now leaning on him, trying to rest from their sickness. "All right, up you two. Brush your teeth and I will get a cold bath started." The two girls reluctantly got up and did as they were told. Issei left the room and walked down the hall to fetch fresh towels. On his journey he ran into Asia. He could only hope she had no idea about the previous night. "Good morning, Asia." Issei snuck up behind the former nun and wrapped his arms around her. She jumped a bit, startled at his presence. "Oh, good morning, Issei. How are Akino and Rias feeling?" "Just a bit of alcohol poisoning. Nothing out of the ordinary for drinking that much, I suppose. They are getting ready for a cold bath right now, so I'm here to get towels for them." "You're so kind." Asia thought for a moment. "Would you take care of me if I was in the same condition?" "Of course, I will always take care of you. However, I don't think you would go that far." He planted a kiss on her head and held her close for a minute. Here." Asia pointed to her lips. "Greedy, aren't we?" Issei obliged and kissed her on the lips. Afterwards he left the giddy Asia and returned to the two that needed him right now. As he walked into the bathroom, he found both Rias and Akino completely naked. Not that he hadn't seen that exact same sight less than 12 hours earlier. He started to blush at the recent memory. It had indeed been a wild night. "Issei, I'm cold," Akino whined. For someone who was generally happy all the time, seeing her sad and miserable was very painful. I know. Unfortunately, it's about to get a lot colder." He wrapped Akino in his arms and kissed her head. "There, that should warm you for a little while." Rias had her arms crossed over her chest. She was shivering too. "Don't think I have forgotten about you, my love." He held her for a moment and kissed her head. Afterwards the two girls got in the freezing cold bath. Issei turned the water off and stood up. "All right, I'm going to go get Asia's help in curing your hangover. I will return shortly." He was soon out the door and approaching the elevator. Once he reached the ground floor, he found Asia and Ravel in the kitchen. Both girls were singing along to the radio as they prepared breakfast. "Good morning, Issei." Ravel turned around with a blush on her cheeks. Issei caught on quick. The Phoenix knew something happened. "And to you, Lady Ravel." He teased as he bowed. "I do not need to be teased in such a manner." Her old brat personality coming back for a moment. "Sorry, it was too good." Issei walked up and hugged Asia. She quickly reversed his grip and kissed his lips. After a moment she pulled back and saw Ravel's bright red face. "Sorry, Ravel. I forgot you were here for a minute." Asia quickly went back to what she was doing, but Issei kept teasing the youngest blonde. "What's with that look? Could it be that you want the same treatment?" Issei was getting under her skin and he knew just how to stay there. "Most certainly not." Ravel shouted back at him. "Suit yourself." He turned back to Asia. "Hey Asia, can you make some tea for our hungover royalty upstairs?" "Sure, anything special you want in it to help them." "An aspirin to help ease the headache. Just crush it up and mix it in. Won't that taste bitter?" Consider it teaching them a lesson for drinking so much. Issei turned and made his way back to his room. He reached the bathroom to hear the two girls arguing again. 5 minutes earlier, Akino and Rias were soaking in the cold water. Rias tried to summon some heat from within her body, but when she tried it just hurt her head. Akino found it funny. "Serves you right to be just as miserable as me." She chided as she watched her king struggle. "Like you haven't tried." Rias shot back. "Lightning wouldn't help in this situation." "I know." Rias thought for a moment, her head clearing up the previous night. "You seemed to let a few bolts out last night." Akino's face went as dark as Ria's hair. There was an accident." "Oh, come on. You love the idea of sparking things up." Akino's memory came back in full. "Holy hell, I slept with Issei." She smiled wider than anyone could imagine. "We slept with Issei," Rias reminded her. She wasn't as jealous, but a nagging thought was in her mind. "Wait, who was with him at the end?" Akino got the idea. She wanted to know who Issei finished with. "That would be you." "What? What if I get pregnant?" She was freaking out. This could cause a scandal in throughout the whole underworld. It was highly unlikely she would turn out pregnant due to low birth rates in devils, but it wasn't impossible. "Isn't that a good thing? Your mother was talking about children last night anyway. We aren't married yet, Akino. So what? We're devils, Rias. Nothing we do is going to be morally right." A new voice entered the room. "What's morally right?" The two girls looked up and saw Issei standing above them. He had a grin on his face that meant he heard everything. "Oh, Issei. We were just," Rias stuttered. "We were talking about whether or not you got her pregnant last night." Aquino smiled shamelessly. She instantly got a glare from Rias. That does sound like an interesting topic to discuss. He pulled up a chair and sat next to the bath. So what do you think, Rias? Are we going to be parents? I don't know. I want to be, but I wanted us to be married first. Rias looked down in shame. Issei reached down and gently pulled her chin up. No use worrying about it now. If it's done, it's done. Nothing we can do. If you are pregnant, then I will be with you every step of the way. Me too. Aquino joined in. Well, I guess that makes me 3. They all turned and found Asia standing there with a tray of tea. She had the biggest blush on her face. Rias was worried about how much the ex-nun had heard. Asia, how much of that did you hear? Issei asked as he helped her set down the tray. He then distributed the drinks. Oh, I heard the part about Rias might be pregnant. Asia blushed. Zenobia and Kuryu had taught her where babies come from a long time ago. So that means, yes, they did the deed, Asia. I was there too. From what I remember, we did it as well. Aquino smiled and sipped her cup, then instantly spat it out. Yua, it's bitter. I told Asia to crush up an aspirin and mix it in. Issei chuckled as he watched Aquino keep sipping the warm drink to heat up her body. Rias did the same. I want to do it too, Asia said quietly. Everyone's eyes turned to her in shock. How about we wait on that one, Asia? I love you almost as much as I love Rias, but let's do things right. For your sake. Issei stroked her hair, hoping he didn't upset her. Okay, then. She smiled. Was she disappointed? Yes, but she understood his idea. He knew how close she held the church's beliefs, and that meant waiting till after. Wait a minute. That means, yeah, I know. This is my promise to you and all the other girls who are willing. In due time, I promise to marry all of you and be a husband worth loving. Issei held her hand. But of course, I will marry Rias first, since after all, I made her a similar promise. It had been about a week since Issei had made his promise to the girls of his house. Since then, all of them had been informed about said promise. Now almost all the girls were excited by the idea. Irina had become a full-time resident. Ravel had stayed longer than anticipated, so she decided to also move in. Rias was still fretting over the possible pregnancy, although Issei told her he loved the idea. At the moment, Issei was in the underworld discussing things with Surzech about the show and how that would work. The two were mid-conversation when Issei got a phone call. It was Rias. I'm sorry, Surzech. He opened the phone. Hey Rias, what's up? Issei, I'm pregnant. Alright, I will be home as soon as possible. I love you, he said calmly, trying to not let Surzech in just yet. I love you too. She hung up. Issei almost dropped his phone. Surzech noticed his expression. I take it something has either gone really wrong or something really good has happened. The current demon lord snickered. He had an idea about what it was about. Putting 2 and 2 together was not hard. Yes sir. Do you remember the other night and Rias and Aquino got really drunk? I'm gonna take a long shot and say that my sister is pregnant now. He took a sip of his cup. Yes sir. Issei looked down in shame. I'm sorry about that. I'd promised to be there with her through it all. I expect nothing less. Although it really is amazing she's pregnant after the first try. Don't worry about any scandal to come from this. Your engagement is probably the biggest piece of news in the underworld. Hell, Grafia and I had conceived Milikas before we were even engaged. Thank you, Surzech. Now, if you don't mind, go. Be with your family. I don't envy your position right now. We shall continue this another time. Issei activated a teleportation circle and was gone. The Hayatu house was loud as normal, however a certain redhead and blonde were upstairs. Rias and Asia were coming up with a health plan. Even though both the parents were devils, the child was also half-dragon and needed a health routine that wouldn't hurt Rias. Issei walked through the door and found Aquino and Irina in the living room. They were watching some TV show about a guy who seemed to have an inhuman skill with a bow and arrow. Aquino, can I speak to you really quick? Issei called her over. Sure, what's up? Aquino said in her cheery voice. Who all knows? Knows what? About Rias. What a boo. No way. Well, I'm screwed. If she didn't tell you then she told nobody but Asia maybe. Issei put his head in his hands as he sat down. Don't worry, I can keep a secret. Now come on. I'm sure she wants to see you. Aquino and Issei made their way to the elevator and then to Issei and Ria's room. Here we are. I will go back down with Irina. If you need me, text me. Thank you, Aquino. He kissed her cheek and walked in the room, leaving the fallen angel in the hallway with glistening eyes and a dreamy look on her face. He approached his fiancée, who was sitting next to Asia on the bed. He kneeled down in front and held her hands. Rias, I'm sorry, Issei. If I had been more careful, this whole thing could have been. She got cut off when Issei reached up and kissed her. This might be the happiest moment of my life, Rias. This may be an accident, but it's not a mistake. I love you so much. He wrapped his arms around her, and she cried on his shoulder. I will leave you to be then. Asia frowned and began to walk out. She was overjoyed for the new parents but was slightly disappointed that Issei wouldn't be able to spend as much time with her. Hold on. Issei stood and caught up to her. She turned around as he caught her lips with his. Standing on her tiptoes, she returned the kiss. Thank you for taking care of her while I was away. I trust you won't tell anyone till we are ready. You can count on me, Issei. Asia winked and ran out the door where she found a still love-struck Aquino. Well, she is certainly energetic. Issei chuckled as he returned to Rias. All right, you have my undivided attention for the rest of the day. I promise, I'm yours. All mine, huh? Rias quickly pulled him into a kiss and laid back on the bed. She wrapped her whole body around his, constricting his movements. Issei just decided to go with it and see what happens. It's not like he could get her pregnant. Already done that. After a heated makeout session, the two laid in the bed and enjoyed each other's company. Rias was asleep and Issei was her pillow as normal. His eyes started to fall and sleep was fast approaching. I promise I will take care of you and our child. You will never be alone again. Issei woke up later that evening. His body was stiff. Surprisingly, no other girls were in the bed with them. It was just him and Rias. All he could guess was that someone told. He quietly got out of bed, being careful not to wake Rias, and made his way downstairs. He found Kuroka and Akino watching TV. Kaneko was asleep in Kuroka's lap. Evening. Issei yawned. Hi, Issei. Akino smiled. So, how's the life of a father? Kuroka smirked. How was it possible that she knew? How did you? It's obvious. After what I witnessed the three of you up to the other night, it was only a matter of time before a baby dragon came into the picture. She was petting Kaneko's head in hopes to keep her asleep. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Thank you, Kuroka. Now, I recommend that you get what you came for and get back to her. Girls tend to be cranky during this stage of life, and given how stingy she is with you anyway. Yay, I know. He walked into the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of water. By the way, what did you tell the others to keep them out of my room? We told them that everyone was banned from sleeping with you till the wedding. Akino giggled. So I would hurry that up before they get upset. We'll see about that. Good night, you two. He walked over and kissed Akino's cheek. He then went to Kuroka and kissed Kaneko's head. Where's mine? Kuroka asked. Oh, okay then, since you've been such a good girl. He leaned down and kissed her forehead, turning both of their cheeks bright red. Well. It's time for bed. So it is. Kuroka looked down at her sleeping sister. Issei, could you help a girl out? Gladly. He picked up the sleeping Kaneko and carried her to the sister's room. Soon enough, Kuroka and Issei reached the room and Issei laid Kaneko on her bed. Thank you. She can be heavy sometimes. It was no problem. He was about to shut the door behind him when Kuroka turned him and kissed him. That was for all the times I wish I could have done that sooner. She smiled and shut the door. I guess it was only a matter of time. Issei walked back to his room and found Ria still asleep. Now my beautiful fiancé, I am all yours. He pulled her back on his chest and she wrapped her arms around him. The days were a lot longer now. Rias had some bouts of morning sickness every once in a while, but for the most part it was manageable. Issei was having trouble keeping everything a secret. So far, the only ones who knew about the baby were Akino, Kuroka, Asia, and Surzech. Everyone else was still in the dark. It had been about 2 months since they found out, and the wedding had still not happened. Now they had to come up with a way to let the gang know before Rias got too big to hide it any longer. Rias, how are we going to tell them? Issei stroked her head as she laid on his chest in bed. The two were granted alone time due to being engaged. They had been tossing around ideas on how to announce to the world that Rias was pregnant. I don't know, lover boy. I thought you were the smart one. She giggled. We both know that is a lie. He kissed her head. Suddenly, an idea came into his head. Rias, I've got a perfect idea. Her jaw dropped when he explained his plan. That's bold, Issei, even for you. She held his hand. But I like the idea. Let's do it. Within a week, the wedding was planned and the date was set. Surzech had taken care of everything. The event was to take place in Kyoto. The reception, at the Gremory House in the underworld. Today, Rias, Akino, Venelana and Grafia were in search of a wedding dress for Rias. The group entered the store to buy the dress. Issei was not invited and Rias was a bit upset. Simply to make it easier, she had informed the older women that she was with a child. Unsurprisingly, they had taken it quite well. Both were over the moon for the ruined princess. We might have to accommodate for the size, but that won't be hard. Venelana said as she looked through dresses. I'm not big yet, mother. Rias rolled her eyes, but she couldn't help but smile. Her life was amazing. You will be, honey. But not right now, I'm still my size. Rias pulled out a dress that had an interesting design on the side. A great western red dragon was articulately printed onto the dress's mid-torso area. This is perfect. A tear fell from her eye. She was marrying a dragon, so it made sense. He will drop dead seeing you in this, Rias. Akino giggled as she helped Rias collect all the dress's parts. She went into the changing room, leaving the other women outside to wait. After a few minutes, Rias emerged in her dress. Wow, Akino smiled at her friend. You are truly beautiful, Rias. Venelana was so happy for her daughter. Stunning, my lady. Grafia was also amazed by the dress. Thanks, you guys. She turned to look in the mirror and saw herself for the first time. Unlike her dress for riser, this one was more over the shoulders, covering her chest more. The veil was red and matched the dragon printed on the side of her dress. A large bottom showed that the dragon wrapped around the dress with the head resting in her front. From what Rias had been told D-Drag looked like, she guessed that this was the same species. Rias, Akino asked. Her friend had been looking in the mirror for a while now. What do you think? It's absolutely perfect. Rias started to cry tears of joy, and Akino embraced her. I never thought I would find love, Akino. Now I am marrying the man I want to spend the rest of eternity with, and I have his child in me. We will all be with you, Rias. I'm so happy for you. The fallen angel began to cry with her friend. She too awaited the day that she could marry the Red Dragon Emperor. With Issei, while the girls were off getting a dress for Rias. Issei, Gasper, Kiba, and Surzech were out getting a suit for Issei to wear. The group had gone out and found a tailor to custom make a suit for Issei that would also give it a symbolism for the Gremory house. "Hello gents, what can I do for you today?" The older man who ran the tailor shop asked them. "We are here to buy a suit for my future brother-in-law here." Sairaorg smiled, placing a hand on Issei's shoulder. "Any specifics you would like before we get started, young man? What do you have in red?" Issei grinned, catching an eye from Kiba. The tailor walked in the back to fetch a palette of colors. "Any reason you chose red, besides the obvious?" Kiba asked as he too looked around for a nice suit for the wedding. He was the best man after all. "Yeah, red is the reason I know who Rias is. Her hair looked like my blood the day that Rainer killed me. It's the reason that I am where I am today." Issei grinned as he picked out the shade of red that he wanted. "Won't red stand out a little?" Gasper asked as he looked for tuxes. Normally he would have worn his school dress, but he wanted to try a suit and see if he liked the feel. "Think about who I am marrying, Gasper. Red hair, red suit. Everything is gonna stand out." The realization finally hit him. "Wow, I'm gonna marry Rias." He became lightheaded and almost dropped if not for Kiba's lightning-fast reflexes. "Whoa, buddy, I got you." Kiba helped his friend up and over to a chair. "You okay?" It just hit me. A year ago, I was a simple pawn in the service of Rias Gremory. My only goal was to be the harem king. Now, I am marrying the woman of my dreams and I am surrounded by the best family a guy could ask for." "Yes, you have come a long way." Sairaorg approached the younger man. "The tailor is ready to get started now." "All right, I will be out in a little while." Issei stood and walked into the back and got measured. About 15 minutes later, Issei walked out in a bright red silk suit. Underneath, he had on a black vest and a white dress shirt. The blazer was bright red, almost the shade of Rias's hair. The pants matched the shirt, and he wore a pair of jet black shoes. "You look amazing, Issei," Gasper shouted as he saw Issei's suit. "You are very, very red." Kiba chuckled at the man he saw as a brother. "Well, if you were going for her hair color, you nailed it." Sairaorg stood and prepared to pay the tailor for his work and time. "Thank you, sir. Keep the change. I wish you best of luck," the old man called as they left his shop with the desired goods. Issei had his suit. Kiba and Gasper had both acquired their own black suit as well. Now all that was left was for the day to finally arrive. All Issei had to do was wait for the weekend. 5 more days, and he would be Issei Hayato Gremory. The day of the wedding was set for Sunday. It was set for around midday in the Kyoto Botanical Gardens, under the cherry blossom trees. Everything was perfect. Neither the bride nor groom had seen each other's apparel for the event, so neither knew what to expect. The guest list had been set and everything was ready. The day before the wedding was a little more hectic. 2 of the girls were fighting over who would be Ria's maid of honor. Their dresses had also yet to be picked out. Last-minute planning and that. You think it would be easy to decide who would stand next to Rias on her big day? You would be wrong. Rias couldn't decide. Akino was the obvious choice since they had been friends forever. However, Asia was adamant about being a big part. Sona Citri was another logical choice, but she decided to stay out of this. "Come on you two, can't we settle this?" Rias asked the 2 girls. "Only if little Asia backs down." Akino giggled. "Never, I want to be a part of this too." Asia whined. "What in the hell is going on in here?" Issei stepped in to find all 3 locked in a debate. "Akino and Asia both want to be the maid of honor and I can't choose." Rias sat down and put her head in her hands. "Damn hormones are messing me all up," she said as she started to cry. "We'll fix this. You just go take a nice relaxing bath. I will join you shortly." He kissed his fiancée and she left the room. "All right, what will it take to fix this? I want to be a part of your wedding, Issei." Asia grabbed his hand. "I know you do, Asia. That being said, I think Akino should be her maid of honor." This caused Asia to pout. "Think about it like this. Who will you have as your maid of honor when you get married?" "Probably Rias. She is like the big sister I never had." Asia was still frowning. "Okay, so how about this? Akino is Rias's maid of honor tomorrow. When you get married, let Rias be your maid of honor. Then when Akino gets married, you can be hers." Issei hoped this settled the matter. "Fine, but you have to promise me that I will get married before Akino." "Hey," Akino cried out as she felt offended by that. "Everyone's time will come one day. We will see when that day comes." He patted Asia's head. "I have a way you can make it better," Asia said quietly. "And what would that be?" Issei caught on quick. "No, Asia, you are pure and I'm not taking that away yet. Come on, you did it with Rias and Akino." "Yes, and you see what came out of it. If we are going to do it, then I want you to be married as per the Bible's customs." "Okay." Asia was pouting again. Issei leaned down to where she sat and kissed her passionately. "There, did that help you?" "Yes." "Good, you are too cute to not be smiling." Issei looked up at Akino. "That's for you." He decided to play into her favorite thing. "I might just have to punish you when this is all over for fighting." "Oh no, what does the big bad dragon have in store for this oh so fragile fallen angel?" Akino caught on to his game but was too turned on not to go along. "I don't know, but I know all your weak points now. So, it will be lots of fun." He kissed her hard and she moaned at the action. "Now, I must go join my soon-to-be wife." He left the 2 to their own. Next morning, the day of the wedding came fast. Rias woke up to find herself alone in bed. It wasn't like Issei to leave her alone. A minute later, he walked in carrying a tray of food. "What's all this?" Rias asked. "Breakfast in bed, dummy. I figured that it would be a nice start to the best day of our lives." He looked down at her stomach. "Well, another day will come to match it soon. I don't want to be fat." She pouted. You won't be fat. What you hold within is proof of how much I love you. No matter what you look like, how big you get, I will always think you are the most beautiful person in the world. He kissed her tenderly. Come on, we have a wedding to do. That got her right up and moving. Around midday everything was set and ready to go with the ceremony. Issei and Riaz had arrived earlier but had since been separated to prepare. Riaz had been sent off for makeup and her dress and all the fun stuff. Issei had decided to help Kiba, Gasper, and Zenobia set up the seating and the tables for the ceremony. So far everything was going off without any issues, but we all have seen or read DxD before, so we know that doesn't last. Something always has to go wrong, or else the story would be boring. But I don't think that will be necessary right now. The guests started arriving and began to be seated. Ria's parents were sitting in the front row, Sairaorg and his family were next to them. Surprisingly enough, Issei's parents had come back just in time for the wedding. They were very surprised that any girl would marry their son. We always thought that Asia would be married before Issei was. Issei's mother spoke to Sairaorg. I'm glad they found happiness in each other. Ria's always wanted the perfect wedding with the perfect husband. I believe that Issei has given her this. He has fulfilled her happiest dream. Sairaorg was very happy for his younger sister. Riaz was ready and waiting for her father to come escort her. She blushed when she looked in the mirror. I can't believe that this is really happening. Believe it. Issei has been so busy making this perfect. Who do you think set everything up? The location, the food, the music, everything. Akino giggled as she helped Riaz get on the last bit of her dress. I thought Sairaorg paid for everything. He did, only because he wouldn't let Issei use his own money for it, but trust me, Issei planned everything. She straightened the veil one last time. Perfect. Akino, I'm nervous. I will be right here beside you. It's not like you are marrying Riser. There is nothing to fear. Riaz quickly whispered something into Akino's ear that made the fallen angel blush bright. Okay, that is worrisome. Don't worry, I'm right beside you and so is Issei. Your whole family is right here with you. She hugged Riaz tight. Just then a knock came. Come in. How's it going, ladies? Sairaorg stood in the door. Wow, Riaz, you are truly beautiful. Hey daddy. Riaz spun around showing him the dress. I can't believe my little Riaz is getting married. It wasn't so long ago that you were running around my feet telling me about how you were going to marry the bestest man in the world. I think it's safe to say that you've accomplished that goal. He wiped a tear from his eyes. Oh daddy, you're making me cry too. Akino handed her a tissue. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Sairaorg took his daughter's hand and began to lead her to her future. 5 minutes ago with Issei. Holy hell man, you really do talk a lot when you're nervous. Kiba chuckled. Shut up Kiba. Issei pulled at his collar. He was really nervous. This was big news everywhere. He looked around and took a glance at who all was there. In the front row on his left were Kuroka, Irina, Zenobia, Roswace, Gasper, Ravel, and even Azazel. There were also 2 empty seats near the edge of the row. On his right, his parents sat beside Ria's family. Why is he here? Kiba asked. Who? He took another look in the direction Kiba was facing to see the White Dragon Emperor standing off to the side. Vali, want me to take care of it? Kiba asked his brother. No, let's ignore him for now. I will speak to him after. The man who was to perform the ceremony was soon standing next to Issei. Are you ready, sir? Ready as I will ever be. The wedding music began and down the aisle came 2 people. Those 2 were Kaneko and Asia. Both were dressed in red dresses and held baskets full of red flowers. It was easy to guess the theme of this ceremony. Issei couldn't help but smile at the 2 girls as they made their way to the forefront and sat down on next to Kuroka. Soon enough, Riaz and Sairaorg started their way down. Every eye was on the dress that the ruined princess had picked out for this occasion. The magnificent red dragon that wrapped around her dress was the talk of the crowd. The father and daughter duo reached the front and he gave her hand to Issei. I trust you to always take care of my daughter. I always have. He looked in Ria's eyes. I always will. Then I leave her to you. Sairaorg went and sat next to his wife and son. The priest had been given special instructions to not mention that either was a devil since there were humans in the crowd. Archangel Michael had also given the 2 acceptance to be married in the eyes of God without being harmed. The older man soon began his long speech. Dearly beloved, friends and family, we are gathered here to celebrate the union of Riaz Gremory and Issei Hayato. Normally, I would move straight into the vows, but it would appear that the happy couple have written their own vows. He stepped down from his pedestal. You may proceed. Issei cleared his throat and began. Riaz Gremory, I have been lost in you since I met you at school almost a year ago. There were times that I wasn't sure if you loved me. Now I see that you are just as hopelessly in love with me as I am with you. The audience laughed at his comment. I promise that I will always stand by your side, through the battles we face here and far. I will be by your side, both of you. The audience was confused, except for those who knew. Issei Hayato, the man that stole my heart. You saved me from the shell of my family name. You saw me for who I am and the girl inside. I can't say it enough times. I love you, Issei. I also promise to be there alongside you. She took a hold of his hands. For the good of our child. She smiled brightly at the fact she could finally say it out loud. Everyone was soon elated to hear that Riaz was pregnant. The priest had to return and quiet them down. Please be quiet, my friends. We are almost done here. He smiled. Now who has the rings? Asia stood and walked up to the 2. Here, one for Riaz and one for Oops. She tripped only to be caught by Issei. Thanks. She blushed. Thank you, Asia. His smile was enough to calm her nerves. You can go back now. She did as she was told and skipped back to her seat, only to be nudged by Kaneko, who also smiled. Thank you. Should anyone here object to this union, speak up. No voices were heard as Ria's death glare would silence any who dared speak up. So be it, Mr. Hayato. With this ring, I promise to be the man, husband, and father that you and our family deserves. He placed the ring on her finger. The bright green emerald shone in the sun that cast its rays through the pink leaves of the trees above. Rias held the other ring close. She then kissed it before placing it on his hand. With this ring, I promise to be the woman, wife, and mother that you and our family deserves. Mr. Hayato, you may now kiss the bride. Issei turned to kiss her, but Rias beat him to the punch and kissed him first. Everyone was cheering. Some were still trying to grasp the fact that Rias was pregnant, with Issei's child, nonetheless. The two finally broke apart and looked out at the crowd. All they saw was a sea of smiles and cheers. Issei looked down at his now wife. You know, I had no idea there was a dragon there until now. He chuckled as he pulled her close. I picked it out just for you. She blushed. Thank you, Rias. My darling wife. Say that again. Rias was shaking slightly. Issei leaned down to her ear. My darling wife. Rias couldn't contain herself any longer. She jumped up and grabbed a hold of Issei in a hug and kissed him hard. It had took Kiba and Akino to pull them apart. Eventually, all the guests made their way to see Rias and Issei. Many of the girls from school were questioning her choices but were happy for her. Meanwhile, Issei was hunting for Volley. He found his rival not far from the entrance to the gardens. Volley, I'm surprised you came. Issei stood next to the white dragon as they stared into the distance. You said something a long time ago that has stuck with me since. During your fight with Sairaorg. Okay. You said that you'll show everyone a future that shines of deep crimson. Yeah, that was kind of overdramatic. Issei rubbed the back of his neck. Yes, it was. Volley chuckled. But it showed me that it is possible to overcome the will of our ancestors. You chose to turn against them. He paused for a moment. I told you once before that us dragons have never had easy lives. I never said this life would be easy, but I am willing to protect those I care for. You're right. I've been thinking. All I ever chase is power, to be the strongest, to defeat you. But I see now that there is more to life than what we are born with. It's what you do with your life that defines who you are. That's some enlightening shit, Volley. Issei turned to his rival. Yeah, I've given more thought to our fated battle. Why don't we go against our ancestors in another way? What did you have in mind? We hold fights. They can be spectacles. The wedding was done and of course, like most newlyweds, they decided to leave for their honeymoon. Sairaorg had granted the two devils a leave from doing packs for the time being and sent them off. The resort they ended up at was a large mountain hotel in northern Italy. Snow covered the ground and the air was freezing. From the minute they got there, Issei couldn't decide whether he loved or hated this place. Come on, Issei. This place is beautiful. Rias snuggled closer to him on the large bed in their room. Sairaorg had paid for the top room in the resort just for them. I know that much, it's just too cold. Dragons don't like the cold. Issei pulled Rias closer. Well, allow me to keep you warm. She was soon asleep on his chest as he read his phone. Sairaorg had also been kind enough to start a car dealership that Issei could own and manage after he graduated. He was reading over possible inventory selections when Rias started shifting. To feel her moving in the middle of the night wasn't anything unusual, but this was too much. One glance down showed a pained look on her face. She was having a nightmare. Rias. No response. Rias. He called. No, Riser. I won't marry you, she said in her sleep. Thinking fast, Issei wrapped Rias up closer to him and kissed her head. He only hoped that his presence would bring her out of her night terror. A minute late, she shot up. Breathing hard, Rias studied her surroundings for a moment before her eyes caught her husband. Hey, you're okay. Issei pulled her down to him. She started to cry. You're safe, Riser's not here. He was. He said that this was all a dream and that I've been stuck with him since the raiding game. She sobbed into his shoulder. SHH. He's not here. This is not a dream. Issei kissed her tenderly. Even if it was, I would never want to wake up. He held her until she stopped crying. I have a thought that can make your dreams better. What? Think of our child. Rias started to drift back to sleep as Issei spoke of the future. Our child will be the perfect blend of the two of us. They will have my hair and your eyes. We can go to the park where I met Asia. We can visit all the wonderful spots in Kyoto. She was soon asleep, dreaming of her life in the future. Rias' dream. Rias woke up like any other morning. She was in bed with her husband surrounded by most of the other girls in the house. Looking around, her eyes settled on a crib in the corner near the bed. A small coo could be heard from the inside. She rolled off of the bed to investigate the noise. Peering inside, a small baby girl stared back up at her. The child's eyes were an ocean blue, and her hair was dark brown. She had a blend of Issei's face and Ria's own face. The little girl smiled up at her mother. She's perfect, the dream version of Issei said standing behind her. Yes, Ria's voice faltered a little bit. She is the most precious thing in the world. Maybe one day, we will have more. Issei, that's not fair. How do you mean? The other girls want this life too. It wouldn't be fair to deny them this. I know that you are capable of loving all of us equally. Rias couldn't take her eyes off of the creation in front of her. You will always be my number one. Dream. Issei wrapped his arms around her and kissed her neck. The two stood and swayed together, looking down on the child that they created together. Dream over. The ruined princess started to slowly wake up from her sleep. Issei was nowhere to be found, and the clock read 22:00. Her eyes began to adjust to low lighting, and she could see out the large glass window. The sun had set, and the snow was now shining like little crystals from the moon's light. A small squeak came from the bathroom. Riaz instantly turned her head to see what the noise was. As she did, the only person who she expected to be in there walked out. Issei's form moved through the dark. Once he moved closer to her, she was able to see the outline of his abs from all of the training he had done for her, from all the battles, and the fact he had a dragon living in him. He was cut. If any other girl saw him like this, Riaz would have to fight them away. I was wondering where you went. She rubbed her eyes and smiled up at him, only to take a warm shower. I would have asked you to join me, but you seem to be happy with your dream. He snickered, showing that he knew something that she didn't. I didn't talk in my sleep, did I? I'm afraid so. He chuckled as he laid down next to her. You kept saying she's beautiful and she's precious. I would ask what it was about, but I think I already know. Issei, she was absolutely adorable. She moved up and rested her head on her husband's bare chest. From your description, she sounds like a mix of us. Issei held her close and rubbed the small of her back. She let out an involuntary moan. You like that, don't you? Riaz nodded slowly, her hair tickling him. So, do you think this means that we are having a baby girl? She looked down at her slightly larger stomach. I hope so. And no, she can't join your harem, Issei. She giggled. He instantly threw his hands up. I would never dream of it. Good. A sudden movement came from Riaz's midsection. She gasped, realizing what it was. Issei, feel. She pulled his hand to her belly and waited. A small kick hit square on Issei's palm. Wow, she's strong. He moved his hand around, and when he stopped, the baby kicked his hand. She likes knowing you're here. So do I. Riaz was soon asleep, the baby having drained her energy from kicking. The next morning was a nice day. The sun shone brightly and there was not a cloud in the sky. Issei, like usual, was up first. Since Riaz was growing a baby, her energy was zapped. Issei smirked as an idea popped into his head. He picked up his sleeping wife and brought her into the bathroom. Then, he proceeded to strip her and start a warm bath. The tub was large enough for both of them, so that's exactly what he was going to do. Once the water had reached the desired temperature, he carefully picked Riaz up and set her in the tub. She groaned a bit at the change in temperature. Somehow, through all of this, she remained asleep. Issei stepped in after undressing himself and sat her up against him as he leaned on the side of the large marble basin. He then took a soft cloth and lathered it in soap. He carefully moved it over his wife and cleaned her body. The sensation of the cloth passing over her sensitive parts caused Riaz to eventually wake up. Morning, sleeping beauty. Issei kissed the top of her head. What are you doing? It wasn't that she didn't enjoy what he was doing, she was curious. I'm giving you a bath. I figured that one day I will have to bathe our child, so I might as well practice. And you needed your rest. Having a baby form inside you has to be tough work. He kept up his ministrations and moved his other hand down to her sweet spot. You naughty boy. She moaned but did nothing to stop him, instead opening her legs to give him better access. I'm the naughty one. I'm just bathing you, my lovely wife. He grinned. Say it again. She moaned as Issei kept stimulating her. My lovely wife. That sent Riaz over the edge. Good thing that they were already in water, or whatever they would have been on would be completely soaked. Issei. She laid comfortably against him. Yes, thank you. For what? For making me the happiest woman on in this world, the underworld, and even this dimension. She nuzzled against him. You're welcome, Riaz. You of all people deserve to be happy in life. If I am what gives you that happiness, then who am I to say no? He wrapped his arms over her stomach and they enjoyed their bath together. After their eventful morning, Issei and Riaz ventured out into the small town that the resort was situated in. Issei had worn a simple pair of black jeans, a black jacket, and tan boots. Riaz was way more fashionable for said outing. She wore a crimson parka that matched her hair. Her long pink leggings ended in her matching pink boots. She also wore a crimson ashanka that they bought when they arrived. The two strolled arm in arm through the snowy mountain town. Their devil powers were able to translate what the others around him were saying. It also allowed them to speak any language, so understanding wasn't an issue. Most young women were either gawking at Issei or admiring the adorable couple. The guys were all jealous of Issei and the fact he was with a gorgeous girl like Riaz. It was the elderly couples that Riaz liked to listen to the most. They had entered a small cafe to eat breakfast. They invited the owner and his wife to sit with them a while after they had gotten their food. Oh, I remember when we were that young, the wife said. Her name was Elise. The man laughed. Yes, that was such a long time ago. Now we just run this little shop together. His name was Roland. Oh, please, I see the way you are around each other. You two are the epitome of a sweet elderly couple. Riaz smiled as she sipped her cocoa. Wait, Roland, look. Elise looked closer at Riaz. She has the glow. The older man straightened his glasses and looked over to her. Yes, it appears she does. What glow? Riaz asked them. Why, the glow of pregnancy, of course. I didn't notice it at first. Might I assume that you are the father? Elise glanced over to Issei, who had stayed quiet. Yes, ma'am. That would be correct. He reached across and held Riaz's hand. And I couldn't be happier. Congratulations, son. Roland smiled cheerily. Thank you, sir. Well then, let this meal be on us. Elise smiled. Oh no, we couldn't. My brother would never let us. He's already said that he would pay for everything. Riaz was grateful, but Serzech would be a little cross. What does your brother do? They couldn't outright say that he was a demon lord. He's in real estate and an exotic car dealer. Issei answered. Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. Where are you two from? Pardon my curiosity, but you don't look like anyone around her, yet you speak our language perfect. Roland asked the couple. We are from Japan. Wow, and you came all this way to see out little old village. Elise was amazed. Yes, I heard that this place was beautiful and that it snowed all the time. Riaz smiled. She had in fact done some research into the mountains of Italy. This town seemed perfect. It was rumored that it snowed here during the summer as well. Indeed, it was true. Yes, it does tend to snow a lot. There are times where you can see the grass and everything is truly beautiful. Elise looked out the window to the snowy outside. This place reminds me of a Hallmark movie. Issei stared at Riaz as she admired the outside view. A lot of those old classics were based off of this sleepy little town. The older man chuckled. Thank you so much for the delicious breakfast and the company. Issei stood and paid the sum of the meal. You're very welcome, dear. You two don't be strangers, okay? Elise waved as they walked out the door. We won't. Riaz waved back and they left. The newlyweds continued their stroll through the snowy town and found many other little shops and businesses to explore. Riaz found a cute little teddy bear with devil horns and a little trident. The shopkeep thought that it was strange that she would purchase such item but didn't question it. The young woman seemed so happy that nothing could bring her down. Her husband just laughed at her. This was the life she wanted, and now she had it. They finished up the outing with a walk through the local park. A large church sent both of the devil's senses into overdrive. However, there was something familiar about this church. Something felt off. Issei approached the front doors. Issei, what are you doing? We can't be on holy grounds. Riaz warned him. I think I know this place. He entered the church only to find a few nuns near the front. They instantly spotted him and knew what he was. Begone, demon. The oldest nun spoke. The other two were cowering by the altar. Please, sister, I only have a question. Issei pleaded. What could a demon possibly want? Is this the church that was home to Asia Argento in her youth? This shocked the nun. Asia's name was not to be mentioned in this church, but she had treated the young girl like a daughter. She sighed. Yes, she was raised here until she used her powers to heal a devil like yourself. I can explain that power. How? Issei activated his sacred gear. The younger nuns still were afraid to approach him. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. This is sacred gear. Humans are entrusted with this power from God. Asia is one such person. She was entrusted with twilight healing. This allows her to heal anyone who needs her help. That doesn't explain why you are asking about her. We haven't seen her in over a year. She frowned a bit. Asia was once like a daughter to her, because she lives with me in Japan. She was sent to the church in my town and was held captive by fallen angels. We busted her out of captivity, but not before she died from her injuries. I am confused. You say that she passed, yet she lives with you. My master and now wife Riaz Gremory brought Asia's spirit back as a devil. She now serves her. Riaz heard her name mentioned and decided to investigate. Did you call me? Riaz asked. So, you are Riaz Gremory? Yes, ma'am. I am Riaz Hayatu Gremory. You are also the one who enslaved Issei Argento. She almost growled. Riaz stood tall and got authoritative. That is where you are wrong. She may be labeled as a servant and demon, but Asia is like the little sister I never had. She is kind and warm-hearted. Archangel Michael even allowed her to pray without pain, since she tried to and it hurt her. She still tried to pray, even after being turned to a demon. The sister was amazed. Issei decided that it was time to speak up. She never stopped trying. When I met her, she was still a nun in the service of the church. She would always talk about the Bible and God. When she was reincarnated, she still tried to read the Bible and pray. If you asked her today if she would ever go back, she would say no. She would say that her life is amazing now, being surrounded by family and love. She was loved here. She was abandoned here. Issei shot back. Silence filled the room for a few minutes. The snow outside began to fall harder and making everything white. The only sound in the church was crackling candles and snow hitting the roof. Come on, Riaz, let's go. They abandoned her and aren't sorry for it. Issei took her hand and led her out. Wait, one of the younger nuns called out. I remember Asia like a little sister too. She only wanted to help others and now she's become a devil. She seemed to just be summing up the conversation. Isn't she happy? Riaz turned and looked back at the younger sister. She is very happy with us. Riaz and Issei moved out the door and started along the trail. Did you know that this was Asia's church, Issei? I had no idea. It just felt familiar. I could still sense her presence here, if that makes sense. I think it does. The two made their way into the resort and back upstairs. Soon they were on the bed and getting ready to go to sleep. This world really is cold. Well, yay. It's up in the mountains, so it's gonna be cold. Issei chuckled. He knew what she meant but tried to lighten the mood. You know what I meant. Riaz looked down to his chest. Poor Asia. It looked like a nice home. It's still hard to believe they just kicked her out. It's like Michael said, anything that threatens the system's integrity needs to be removed. He rubbed her back gently and she pulled herself closer. Let's not worry about this now. Let's focus on this. He took his free hand, laced it in hers and set it on her little baby bump. She was close to 4 months pregnant and she had grown a bump in her stomach. Not to the point where others would dare call her fat, but enough to tell she was pregnant. Only 5 more months and they would have their own child. Life had become very routine for Issei and Rias. It had been over a month since they returned from the mountain resort, and this brought Rias into her 6th month. She was now fairly large in the middle and needed help up and down the stairs. Of course, Issei was more than happy to help. All the other girls were very helpful in assisting with Ria's needs. Most would say that it was to get on her good side so they could be with Issei in the future. Today was the first time Rias and Issei would get a look at their child. They had been to the underworld for checkups and such, but now the child was grown enough to tell features. The two had packed a bag and were currently sitting in the waiting room to be seen. Rias was reading a parenting magazine, and Issei was reading the newest issue of Car and Driver. "Issei, I'm nervous." She set down the book and looked over to her husband. "About what? We've been here before." He looked up from his own book. "Yes, but we've never been able to see our baby before. Now we can. And you're afraid of." "I told you I thought it was a girl." She looked to the ground. He instinctively pulled her to him and comforted her. "I don't care whether it's a boy or a girl. They will be our baby, and we will love them unconditionally." He kissed her head. "I know, but what if there is a complication? What if the baby is deformed? What if—" She got cut off when Issei kissed her. "We're devils, Rias. From what your brother told me, our DNA doesn't even have those possibilities. No deformities, no complications. The only thing is that our baby is half dragon, but since you have been following Asia's health plan, it's not a problem." "You're right. Thank you." The lady up front called their names over the intercom and they went back into the room. The doctor soon entered. "How are we today, Lady Rias?" "Big and irritable." "So, nothing new from last time." He laughed as she glared at him. Issei found it funny. "He's not wrong. You said the same thing last time we came." He placed a hand on her shoulder. The doctor pulled out a small squeeze bottle. "This is going to be a bit cold." He began to rub the gel on her stomach and her body recoiled a bit. "There we go. One moment." He typed some stuff into the computer and the screen that was facing away from Rias came to life. "It would appear everything is perfectly fine. Your baby is where they should be for 6 months along." He took another look at the screen. "Would you like to know the gender?" "Rias." Issei held her hand tight as she thought. "Yes, please. It would seem you are having a baby girl." Rias smiled so wide, Issei thought her face would get stuck. "Looks like you called it." He hugged his wife as tears of joy rolled down her cheeks. "Can we see her?" Ria's voice faltered a bit. "Of course." He turned the monitor slowly. "Here she is." There was clearly an outline of what looked like a baby, but the screen was still blurry. "Has she been kicking at all?" "Definitely. She tends to kick at the strangest times too." Rias giggled, remembering a make-out session with Issei that got interrupted because of the baby's kicks. "She likes to get involved when her parents have alone time." Issei held Ria's hand with no intention of letting go. "That seems common in babies. When the mother is happy, they are happy." The doctor handed Rias a paper prescription and let them go. "Have a great day." "Thank you." After they returned home, Issei helped Rias back to their room. Of course, all the girls were waiting for a gender, but Issei had said they were doing a gender reveal the next week. He had to purchase a few things for it to be perfect. One of those few things was pink powder to kick up from tire smoke. The couple were soon engaged in another heated makeout session. Within a matter of minutes, their baby girl started kicking again. "Mommy wants to be with Daddy alone. Can you calm down for just a minute?" Rias asked her unborn child. It was of course impossible for her to hear her mother, but she seemed to get it. The kicking stopped and the kissing resumed. Hours later, Issei woke up to find Rias lightly snoring on his chest. "I love seeing this over and over again." "Issei." He looked up to see Asia standing at the end of the bed. "Hey, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk to Rias about her health plan, but it seems she is tired from holding a baby." The ex-sister smiled. She was genuinely happy for the girl she saw as an older sister. "Here, I can help you." Issei sat up and laid Rias back down on her pillow. After about 10 minutes, they had a meal plan for proper vitamins as well as medication for other such vitamins. Asia had since gone quiet and seemed deep in thought. "Something on your mind?" Issei asked as he wrapped an arm around her. "Yes, you are always with Rias. I get why, because of the baby and all, but I miss our time together." She frowned and looked to the floor beneath her feet. Issei kissed the top of her head. "You know, one day, that could be you in that position. Having all my attention." They got her to smile. "You mean it, if it's what you want." She jumped up and hugged his neck. "How long? How long what? How long till I can marry you, Issei?" This was a question he didn't know how to answer. The plan for that part of his life had not really been formed. Normally he would have an eternity for this, literally. But ever since his accidental juggernaut drive, he had lost that ability. Kaneko and now Kuroka had been working with him to get those years back, but in truth, Issei had informed him that that was not possible. "I don't know Asia. I want to be with all of you. Akino, Zenobia, Irina, Kuroka, Ravel, Kaneko, Roswace. But I don't know how to do it. Initially, I was going to just do it all at one time, but now I want all of you to have a special day like Rias did." Issei pulled his arm back to himself. "You're worried that you won't live as long as the rest of us." She saw right through him. "Yes, Kaneko and Kuroka aren't helping anymore. Not that I don't appreciate them trying. Is there anything we can do?" "I'm afraid not," Issei answered. He had been surprisingly quiet the past few months. "We have to save him." Asia began to cry. "I can't lose him. I'm sorry, Ms. Argento, but my partner will not live a long life. I suspect that he might live the next 20 years if he is lucky. Isseidragon's voice was solemn. He liked Issei and was not ready to depart from him. This made Asia cry harder. She had loved Issei since they met. Now she had to come to terms with the fact that Issei would not live long enough to see his child or children grow up. They wouldn't be able to spend their lives together. Don't worry, Asia. I will make it work. He once again wrapped the blonde girl in an embrace and let her cry. Rias had grown to a very large size in the 2 months since they had first seen their baby girl. She was now 8 months along. She was due sometime in December. Since then, Issei had stayed with her and waited on her, hand and foot. Some of the other girls were getting a little jealous, but they knew that their time would come to be treated like this. The day was winding down to an end and Issei, Rias, and Akino were all in the living room watching a movie. Asia and Kaneko were out filling contracts. Roswizy was doing paperwork for school. Ravel had been called home for the weekend. Irina had said there was an emergency in heaven and had to leave immediately. Zenovia was out with Kiba to train, and Kuroka was taking a long bath. Issei, I'm hungry. Rias whined as she laid on his chest. Well, unless you let me up, I can't help you. He smiled at his wife. You two are so adorable. Akino giggled. She was really happy for them. Shut up, Akino, before I make you go get food. Rias snapped. She instantly shut her mouth. I'm sorry. No worries, I know it's the hormones. However, if it were Issei who said it like that, there would be a different type of hormone. The ultimate sadist was once again living up to her title. Rias just rolled her eyes. She wasn't mad at her friend, but she could use a little less perverted jokes right now. Akino, if you aren't careful, I might have him punish you. She stunned both her husband and her target. You mean it? Akino's eyes lit up. Her S&M side had just been activated. What do I have to do for that? Oh, I don't know. Go out and get some takeout. Done. Akino hopped up and grabbed the keys to the Porsche they shared. I will be back later. And she was gone. Issei rubbed her back and kissed her head. You are truly creative, Rias. I know, right? Issei was about to answer, but he got a phone call. The number read Irina's. Hey, Irina. Issei Hayaudu. Archangel Michael's voice came through. Michael. He sat up slowly to give Rias time to move. Where's Irina? We need your help. The Chaos Brigade has started a riot in heaven. Irina was on the front line to fight them off. Michael, is Irina okay? Issei was now standing. Rias looked at him worried. She is injured. In time, she will be all right. A high-class devil was able to get past her sword. I'm on my way. Issei hung up and started to dial another number. Asia picked up, and Kaneko was able to hear. Asia, I need to go to heaven to help Lord Michael fight off the Chaos Brigade. I need you and the others to stay here with Rias. Oh my, is Irina all right? Her voice came back over the line. She's wounded, but alive. Issei threw on his black jacket. Better call Zenovia too, let her know what's up. Okay, be careful, Issei. I love you. He could tell Asia's voice was shaken. I love you too, dum-dum. Don't die yet, I still haven't got my kittens. Kaneko smiled. I love both of you too. He hung up and found his wife looking up at him from the couch. Why do you have to leave me? She wasn't mad, just sad. He knelt down in front of her. I will be back before you know it, my love. He kissed her and was gone. Heaven. Issei appeared out of the teleportation circle. The normally gold and marble structures were broken and in flames. The clouds that sat under the buildings were stained red. As he looked around, he could tell that he had come to Heaven 5. The gates behind him were blown apart, showing that the enemy had come from a lower level. Most likely, level 3. Before him lay bodies of devils, angels, humans, and other creatures. A second later, another circle opened up. Zenovia stepped out. She was in her black battle gear. Issei, what happened here? Michael said that the Chaos Brigade attacked. It's likely they came from level 3 since it connects to Purgatory. Where is Irina? I know she would be on the front lines. Issei's face fell. She got wounded. Michael is taking care of her. Zenovia gritted her teeth. How did this happen? Soon a voice called out to them. Red Dragon Emperor, Zenovia Quarta, I have been sent to bring you to Michael. An angel approached them. If you will stand still for a moment. The young boy cast a spell over the two. Now you can move freely throughout heaven. The three were soon off and in the area known as Heaven 7. This is the holiest area of all of heaven. The place where God himself resided when he was still alive. Michael spotted the two devils quickly. Ah, Issei, Zenovia, thank you for coming. He walked over to them. Another head turned quickly. Gabriel's Queen Griselda. Zenovia, Sister Griselda. Zenovia rushed her and hugged the woman she once saw as a mother. Griselda Quarta was once Zenovia's guardian and sword master. She was later reincarnated as an angel. SHH. I am all right. Griselda comforted her old ward. Issei, is it? Yes, ma'am. He extended a hand. A pleasure to meet you. And you. She let go of Zenovia. I trust you have been taking care of Zenovia whilst she is in your home. Of course. All the girls in my home are my family. He smiled brightly. If he planned to keep his promise to Zenovia, he needed to make a good impression. If I may interrupt, Michael said in his soft tone. We do have an army to push back. Lord Michael, sir, may I call a friend to help with this battle? Issei asked. Who might you wish to contact? Volley Lucifer. Every head turned to the Red Dragon Emperor. Was he really suggesting bringing the White Dragon here as well? Do you trust him? I trust that he will follow one goal and win. Do I trust him as a person? No, I will take your word. Michael made arrangements for Volley to be brought to heaven. Soon a circle opened in the room and the tall white-haired man stood in front. What in the world am I doing here? He looked around and found his rival. Never mind, Volley, we need your help to push the Chaos Brigade back. Issei spoke to his rival and friend. Interesting. How about that? He began to stroll around the white and gold room. Where are they now? They are outside the gate of the final sector of heaven. We have moved all of the souls that have passed on into this area to protect them. Do you have a plan? Michael asked the two dragons. Well, I plan to just all out fight him. How about you, Hayato? On game. Let's rock and roll. The two dragons activated their balance breakers and leapt into action. I'm going too. Zenobia pulled out her sword, ready for a battle. Please, you stand no chance against them. Rysela was eager to try and protect her. Zenvoya stood tall. I want to avenge Irina. She ran out after the dragons to the front gate. As the trio approached the main gates, they saw all kinds of creatures and demons up against the gate. Some were devils, others were straight out of a comic strip. I take the left, you take the right. Zenobia, the middle is yours. Issei called out as they split up. Volley made easy work of those in his path. Soon enough, bodies lined the outer gates. This got boring fast. Issei was having a bit more of a struggle. Dragon shot. His blast took out most of his opponents. Zenobia, not being a dragon, was having to fight harder. As she took down low demons and spirits, a large man with a sword approached her back. She turned around to see the blade moving faster than she could react. Panicking, she kneeled down and squeezed her eyes shut in pure fear. Zenobia. Suddenly, a clash and a crack was heard from behind her. Zenobia opened her eyes to see that she was in fact not dead. She took a minute to breathe before feeling a drop of something on her head. Looking up, she found Issei. He was standing in front of her with his back facing away. What really caught her attention was the large blade that had penetrated a weak point in his armor and pierced his body clean through. Issei. Her voice quivered. Before he answered, he swung around and decapitated the swordsman with a scalayon. Afterwards, he fell to a knee in front of her. You okay? Was all he could say as he coughed up blood. Why did you do this? I've told you before. I will protect all of you, even if that means that I have to get hurt. Issei's armor disappeared and he hit the ground, the blade still in his back. Volley had turned from his own battle to see Issei's heroic and stupid move. Hayato. Volley took off at supersonic speed and used his wings to slice through the adversaries that dared try to strike down his friend. He slid to a stop next to the two. How bad is it? Hey Volley, come here. Issei's voice was faint. Take care of my wife and daughter. You got it. Volley ripped his shirt open to assess the wound. Issei soon fell unconscious. He's not breathing. Zenobia was crying. She had loved Issei for a while and was never shy about her feelings, but she never got the chance to act on them. Now, she held him in her arms while he was dying. Quick, hand him here. Volley stretched out his arms and picked up the red dragon. He then launched off to the main building that served as an infirmary. He jogged in and found Michael and Rysela talking near Irina, who was now awake, but lying down. Michael, we got a problem. He slowed down and laid his rival on the white bed. He's lost a lot of blood. How did this happen? Michael asked. Irina still hadn't seen his condition yet. That would be my fault. Zenobia entered and dropped her sword to the ground. Her hands were stained with blood. Issei's blood. What do you mean, Zenobia? The acting god asked her. She panicked when some dick got in her blind spot. Dumbass here jumped in front of the blade. The sword pierced his armor and through his body. Volley recapped as he moved back. In doing so, Irina got a view of the man she had fallen for. Issei. Everyone turned to see the angel sit up and stare. Irina. Zenobia went to comfort her old partner. Is he gonna be okay? She looked over Zenobia's shoulder as she embraced the other girl. We don't know. These next few hours are gonna be crucial. What say you, Dreg? Michael spoke urgently. My partner's bold actions may have just sentenced him to an early death. The dragon's voice was worried. Who's gonna tell Rias? Irina was still staring at him. The room fell silent. Nobody wanted to face the ruined princess and tell her that her husband and father of her child was on his deathbed. I'll go. Zenobia stepped up. It's my fault he's here. She wiped an eye for her comrade that lay in the bed a bloody mess. Nah, sit down. Rest up. I got this. Not like she can hate me anymore. Volley was soon out of the room and off to find one of the only people that could match his own power. He would be lying if he said he wasn't a bit concerned for his own safety. Rias, Asia, and Aquino were waiting in Issei's room for him to return. It had been a few hours and they didn't expect him home anytime soon. Volley teleported to the front door of Issei's house. Respectfully, he knocked on the large oak doors and waited. Kuroka was the one who opened up. Volley, Kuroka growled. Why are you here? I'm not here to see you, kitty cat. He reached an arm to pat her head, but she moved back. Don't touch me. I'm sorry, Kuroka. The white dragon walked past her. Where is she? Who? The wife of the man who lies in heaven on his deathbed. Kaneko and Ravel were in the living room and heard everything. The younger cat girl sprinted to the door. Where is he? Ravel soon followed. Is he safe? Is he all right? You two clearly didn't hear me well. Hayato is on his deathbed. All the girls were shocked again. Kaneko started to tear up. No, he can't be. He can't go. She ran to her sister for comfort. What's going on down there? The group looked up to see the fallen angel, the former sister, and a heavily pregnant ruined princess. Rias was in her pink nightgown and holding her stomach as the other two helped her down the stairs. Rias, Kaneko ran to her once she reached the bottom. "What's wrong, Kaneko?" she asked the smaller girl. "Issei is. May I?" Vali spoke up. "Yes, please do." Her voice was cold. "He's in heaven, on his deathbed as Issei put it." Ria's knees buckled, and if not for Akino and Asia, she would have hit the ground. "No." She looked up at Vali. How did this happen?" "He took a hit meant for your knight. Zenobia, if I remember her name right." The white dragon began to walk over to her. "I can take you to him. Wouldn't want your baby girl to have less energy because you were using it." "How did you know we were having a girl?" "Issei told me to take care of you too." He wrapped an arm around her as she cried in his shoulder. "Come, let's go." The two vanished in a magic circle and appeared in heaven. When the door to the room slid open, Rias got a clear view of what happened. Carefully, she made her way over to him. As she glanced around the room, she found Michael doing his best to heal the dragon. Irina was on a bed as well with her head and arm wrapped up, and Zenobia was in a corner staring at her hands. "Lord Michael." The man in question turned around to find Rias. "Rias Gremory, I'm so sorry about this." His head dropped. "Can you heal him?" "I can heal his body, but he's lost a lot of blood. Given the time and an injury size, his brain may have lost enough blood to fatally injure him. Right now, I can detect his consciousness is in his sacred gear. Most likely a defense mechanism in case this happens. Do you know how long it will take till he wakes up?" She took a seat next to him. Her hands reached out to hold her husband's that had been stained in his blood. "The rest is up to him. We have started a blood transfusion, but it will be up to him to come back." In the boosted gear, Issei sat up with a horrible headache. "Ugh, what the fuck happened to me? I felt like I got hit by a truck." "Wait, I have been hit by a truck? It's not that bad." He looked around and saw the faces of red dragons past. "Oh great, you guys again." "Yes, young dragon," one of the hooded figures said. "You are dying. In order to survive, you must activate the Juggernaut drive." "Didn't I tell you old bastards last time? I'm not doing that. I'll find my own way out of here." He began to look around. A crimson door appeared on his right. I wonder what that is." Issei opened the door to find a view of his family. Everyone was at home except for Irina and Zenobia, which he knew were with him. He found Akino sitting on the stairs holding a crying Asia. Ravel, Kaneko, and Tiroka were in the living room. Everywhere he looked, he could not find Rias. He tried asking, "Hey, Akino, do you know where Rias is?" He got no response. "Hello? It would appear they cannot hear you." A female voice came from behind him. "And you are?" "I am Modna. I was once a wielder of the boosted gear." She seemed older, but not by much. Her physique was like Akino. She had white hair. Streaks of red ran through it. "How come you aren't under a hood with the rest of them?" "Because, like you, I went against the power that they offered. I chose to live a happy life with my husband and son. When the white dragon came, I allowed him to kill me. He threatened to kill my family. Once the ancestors met my spirit after, they locked me in here. Only the current red dragon emperor can come and go from this room. So instead of fighting him, you allowed yourself to be killed to save your family. Sounds an awful lot like why I'm here." Issei looked back and saw his family. "So, they locked you in a room with the visions of your family for what? Punishment?" "Yes, however, as you've noticed, I appear to be younger than I am. Since I reached my balance breaker at 18, my spirit is saved in that form of my body." "Wow, that's why you're smoking hot." He shook his head to get his mind back on track. "Sorry about that. My mind likes to wander." "It is no problem, young dragon." "Issei, my name is Issei." "Very well, Issei. It would appear your wife was by your side in heaven. How can I get back to her?" Issei was urgent to return to his family. "There is a side effect of staying in this room, young Issei." Her smile fell. "Time outside passes much faster than in here. You will wake up and the time will not be the same." "Are you saying that? The time we've spent in here has allowed a month to pass out there?" Issei dropped to his knees and held his head. "That means that my daughter could be born by now. I can sense that in this time, she is not yet born. Your wife holds on hoping you will arrive to be with her." "Wait, how can I see my family now?" "They are crying, which means they must know. You are seeing the current time. It would appear that they never stopped mourning. Send me home, please." She began to wave her hands around. "Goodbye, Issei. I hope you will come and visit." "I will, thank you, Modna." Issei was transported back to reality. Real world. The red dragon had been in a coma for a month. Zenova and Irina never left his side for too long. Rias had since returned home in order to have her child. Everyone watched and waited until the day that Rias started to go into labor. After a few weeks, Issei had been moved into the hospital in the human world and was under care there. Irina had been completely healed, but she requested to stay with him. Zenobia and Irina were playing cards when the brain monitor hooked up to Issei lit up. They both glanced over and saw his hand move. "Issei." Both girls jumped up and raced to his side. "Issei, can you hear us?" Irina was gripping his left hand while Zenobia held his right. "Yeah, but thanks to you I can't feel my hands." He groaned as he struggled to sit upright. Both girls jumped up and hugged him close. Each girl took turns kissing him. A knock on the door caught their attention. "Come in." "Zenobia, Irina, Rias has started." "Issei." A voice came from the doorway. "Hey, Asia." The blonde girl ran and jumped on him also. Hey, that still kinda hurts." "Oh, sorry." She quickly kissed him. "Now, where's Rias?" Rias knelt by her husband's side. No matter how many times Michael or even Sairaorg tried to get her away, she wouldn't let up. Eventually, Aquino got her to leave. She stayed at home in her room most days and read every book she had. Asia would bring her food and medicine as she approached her due date. The nights were hardest for Rias. Normally, she would have her husband right next to her and would snuggle up close to him if she had a nightmare or she was cold. Now she had nothing. She was on her own. After a week, Rias started going out more. She would go downstairs to eat and be with family. She found that being around them relieved her stress some. However, she would soon re-isolate herself again. Her time taking baths would grow longer to the point where Aquino would come in and get her out. Ravel was in charge of doing Ria's paperwork as president while she was not able to. The devil still had work to do after all. Another week went by and still no word on Issei's condition. Irina had been scheduled to come home, but she stayed with Zinovia and Issei for now. Tiba was, for the time being, in charge of the orc. Aquino would normally be the one to take over, but she tried to stay with Rias as much as possible. Ravel helped out as much as she could. It was good for her to learn how the business works. On the weekend, Issei was moved to the human world so that Rias could be near him. This seemed to ease her stress for the most part. It also helped the other girls to be able to see him. Zinovia and Irina were still adamant about staying with him. Since Sairaorg had made a generous donation to the hospital, they allowed this. The Demon Lord also placed his own doctors to watch over Issei. Rias sat in her room. She was reading a book while Kaneko napped on her lap. The young Nekomata had slipped into her room one night and laid there for comfort. She thought that being close to Issei's child would help her find peace. It worked for her and Rias. Rias found comfort in having the girl on her lap. The kitten purred and the heiress read her book. Suddenly, Rias hunched over and grabbed her stomach. Kaneko woke up and jumped from her lap. Rias, what's wrong? Kaneko quickly stood back up. She breathed heavy and hard, her stomach clenching up and constricting. A puddle of water like liquid began to pool beneath her. She breathed heavy, baby. Coming, and I will go get Aquino or Asia. Kaneko sprinted out the room. Everything was happening so fast. She ran as fast as she could to the elevator. She happened to bump into Asia on the way. Kaneko, what's wrong? Asia asked her friend. Rias, Kaneko huffed, baby. What? Asia ran off to go and find Rias. Kaneko continued her mission to warn the others. Asia continued her way to Rias' room and found the ruined princess sitting on the bed holding her stomach. Rias, are you okay? Yes, Asia. I think she wants to come out now. Rias smiled. All right, I will go and get Aquino. Asia got up to leave. Stay, I need your help with the pain. I also need help getting downstairs. Rias went to stand and almost fell over. Asia caught her as best she could. Everything was happening so fast, neither could really keep it together. The two worked their way to the elevator at the end of the hall and found Aquino, Kuroka, and Kaneko waiting. I'm gonna take this as the baby dragon is coming sooner than we anticipated. Kuroka giggled as she moved to help Asia. Yay, she wants to see her mommy and daddy. Rias smiled. She may have been in a lot of pain, but she was never happier. Didn't I tell you? We are having a baby girl. By the looks of it, we're having her soon. Her voice faltered as another contraction hit. All of them were soon all on the way to the hospital. Everyone was ecstatic and wanted to get there to make sure that Rias was safe and happy. But first, they needed to get her to a doctor fast. How much longer, Aquino? Kuroka asked as they raced through the streets in the girl's Panamera. I don't know. We are running every red light in the city, come on. She pushed the pedal as far as it could. The large V8 engine growled as the surge of fuel pushed it faster and faster. The dark purple car screeched into the parking lot and pulled to a stop. Kaneko ran inside and got a nurse to come get Rias. The nurse came out pushing a wheelchair and Rias got settled down in it. She was writhing in discomfort as the group rushed to the maternity ward. Doctors got in place, and the girls were told to wait outside in the waiting room. Luckily, there was one right outside the door. However, Asia and Aquino were adamant about being in there. The doctor kept refusing. I'm sorry, but only the father is allowed in the room during childbirth, he said. Asia dropped a tear. Please, she needs someone with her in this trial. Where is the father of the child? Aquino's stare hit the floor. Down the hall in a coma. He's been here for a week. Her thoughts went to Irina and Zinovia who had stayed with him. Asia, can you go get Irina and Zinovia? She mumbled. Yes, right away. Asia took off down the hall and went around the corner to find her friends. I gotta find his room. She eventually found her way to the room and knocked on the door. Come in. Both girls answered. Asia opened the door slowly. Zinovia, Irina, Rias has started. Issei. Hey, Asia. Issei flashed his grin. Before she knew what was happening, her legs ran faster until she jumped up and joined Zinovia and Irina on top of Issei. Hey, that still kinda hurts. He smiled at her. Oh, sorry. Asia quickly took her chance and kissed Issei. Now, where's Rias? Issei rushed down the hall. Well, rushed isn't the best word given that he was being held up by Asia and Zinovia. The church trio helped the dragon to his wife who needed him now more than anything. Rias was in more pain than she thought she would. The end result would be worth it, but right now, the pain was more than pleasure. She was almost at the required 10 centimeters dilation, but it was slow going. The ruined princess kept looking around the room, looking for Issei. Okay, Mrs. Gremory, I'm going to need you to hold on a little bit longer. The doctor placed a cool cloth on her head. He turned to one of the nurses. This position won't work very well if she's in this much pain. We have nothing to support her back with, doctor, the nurse replied. Both turned when a knock came to the door. Yes, may I come in? A young man's voice came through the door. Yes. The owner of said voice was none other than Issei who stood leaning on Asia. It took a minute before Rias caught sight of him. Hi Issei, is that you? She stammered out as another contraction hit. Last time I checked. Asia helped him over to the bed. In all the rush, he had forgot to wear a shirt, so Asia was blushing up a storm. How are you? Are you all right? Rias cried as she held his arm. That's not what matters right now. I promise to explain it all to the both of you. He held her a moment before the doctor called his attention. Mr. Hyodu, I need you to assist me. The doctor walked over to him. Your wife is in a great amount of pain and stress. She will not be able to give birth in this condition. I ask that you place yourself behind her to help her sit up. No need to ask me twice. Issei turned and looked in his wife's bright blue eyes. You ready, babe? Why yes, she panted. All the pain was wearing her out. She then sat herself up enough for Issei to climb behind her and she laid back on him. This is nice. MS, I need to ask you to leave. The doctor looked towards Asia, who was still there. No, she stays. Both Issei and Rias shouted. I promise I won't be a bother. She looked down sheepishly. Asia, come sit over here. Rias called her over and the blonde sat in the chair next to the bed. Can you help me? Of course. Asia had been able to conceal her ability from visual sight due to her training, as long as she is touching the one being healed. She proceeded to hold Ria's hand and heal the pain that the baby was causing her. You can do it, just a little more. All right, on the count of 3, I need you to push. Issei, can you place pressure on her mid-torso? The doctor ordered. Gotcha. Issei began and gently squeezed her in his arms as Rias pushed hard. Good, good. All right again. 1, 2, 3, push. Rias groaned as the pain hit her hard. The head has come out. You have a second, but you need to go again. The doctor knew that it was only a matter of time before the infant was pulled back into her body. Okay Rias, hold on. Issei placed one hand on her head and whispered in her ear. Boosted gear gift. Suddenly, Rias had almost all of her strength back. She was going to be able to finish this now. I'm ready. 1, 2, 3, push. Rias screamed as she gave one final push and collapsed into her husband's chest. A new scream soon filled the room. The sound of a baby. In front of them, the doctor was holding a very small baby covered in all kinds of bodily fluids from Rias. The child continued to scream, even as she was being cleaned and wrapped in a soft cloth. She screamed until she found herself in the loving embrace of her mother. Only then did she quiet down. Congratulations Mr. and Mrs. Hyodu on your new baby girl. The doctor smiled and cleared the room. He left the paperwork for the birth certificate on a table near Asia. Issei, she's perfect. Rias couldn't take her eyes off of her. Well duh, she swam around inside you for 9 months. I expected nothing less. He kissed her neck, and she nuzzled his head. I can't believe we made this. She smiled. The baby looked just as she did in Ria's dream all those months ago. She was the perfect blend of herself and Issei. She had his hair and nose, but she had Ria's face. The child had yet to open her eyes. She is absolutely adorable, guys. Asia was grinning ear to ear. Asia, can you hand me that paper and a pen? Issei asked as he reached past Rias. Asia turned around and grabbed it. Here you go. Thank you. He took the pen and noticed a few blanks. All were filled but 2. The doctors had already taken care of the weight and length parts, as well as the names. There was of course the name, and one for the godparent. So, Rias, thought of a name. I figured you would have one. Rias smirked at her husband. Might I suggest one? Asia spoke up. It wasn't really normal for someone else to pick the name, but since when do these guys do anything normal? Sure Asia, what did you have in mind? Rias smiled at the girl she saw as a little sister. Elizabeth. Asia hoped it wasn't a bad name. She closed her eyes and waited for the denial of her suggestion. To her surprise, the couple seemed to like it. Elizabeth, I like it. Issei grinned. You want her to have a middle name? Sure, and I think I know. Rias looked over at Asia and reached for the birth certificate in Issei's hat. She wrote a few words in the blank and then filled out another blank. She then handed it to Asia. So, what do you think? Asia took hold of it and shed a tear. It read, Elizabeth Asia Hyodu. Below that there was a spot for the godparent. That blank read, Asia Argento. She looked up at her friends with tears in her eyes. Are you serious? Well, it's written in pen. No use trying to change it now. Issei smiled. Asia stood and hugged them both, being careful of little Elizabeth. Why though? Because Asia. Rias spoke up. You were with me through most of the pregnancy. You helped me come up with a health plan for my little half-dragon here. You are the one that would bring me medicine and food when Issei was in his coma. You are just as much as mother to her as I am. Thank you. Asia couldn't hold it anymore. She gave it a second for Issei to take Elizabeth and she hugged Rias tight. Thank you, Rias. You are the big sister I never had, and now I get to be her godparent and in her name. This is too much. She cried tears of joy. Asia, Issei said once she calmed down. Would you like to hold her? Yes, please. She took a hold of the squishy baby and smiled down at her. She is absolutely adorable. The baby's face twitched, and her eyes fluttered open. Elizabeth opened her eyes and looked up to see Asia. The newborn stared up in wonder at who this person was. Normally, a baby would be uncomfortable in the arms of one they did not know. However, she seemed perfectly happy with Asia. Usually, a newborn is happiest around voices they know. Since Rias was her mother, Elizabeth recognized it. Same thing with Issei. Asia was around so much that she had gotten used to her voice. Rias, she has your eyes. Asia began to weep again, craving for the day that she would hold her own baby in her arms. She handed Elizabeth back to Rias and let them be alone for a while. Are you sure that was the best decision? Issei asked his wife. What do you mean? Naming her after Asia and then making her Elizabeth's godparent. Issei scooted closer. Not that I don't agree with you, I was just wondering if it was a little much. Like I said, she is as much as of a mother to her as I am. I'm also sure that she will play a prominent part in her life now that she's born. Rias looked down and smiled at her baby. Hey little Elizabeth, I am your mommy and this is your daddy. We love you so very much. They were left for a while and they enjoyed their time together, finally as a family. Life was once again easy in the Hayadu household. Well, as easy as having a newborn around can be. Most of the girls had once again started sleeping in Issei's room, but Kuroka and Roswace were quickly sick of Elizabeth crying and the new smells from that side of the room. Ravel usually stayed in her room, and Irina stayed in the church trio's room. Elizabeth was adored by the entire family. The child had begun to sprout dark brown hair like her father and had ocean blue eyes like her mother. The baby girl tended to be happiest around her parents but was not afraid of the other girls being around her. The only other person that brought the newborn comfort when her parents weren't around was Asia. Naturally, Asia's caring nature and previous life as a sister of the church had helped her work with the Elizabeth when the baby's parents could not. Whenever Rias and Issei were out at the club or at school, Asia would stay and watch over the little one. Of course, that was only when she herself didn't have school. If that was the case, then Rias would try and stay around. Worst case scenario, Akino and Kuroka were to watch over the little devil. Currently Issei was at school and Rias was talking to her brother in the underworld, so Asia had watch over Elizabeth. The infant in question was not happy. Oh, come on Ellie, Mommy and Daddy will be home soon. Can you be a good girl for Aunt Asia? She picked up the crying infant from her bed and held her close. It didn't take long for Asia to figure out the problem. Whenever Issei or Rias were not in the house, Elizabeth could not sense her parents. She would normally wail when she could not feel them when the other girls were watching, but when Asia was around it was better. Her calming aura seemed to soothe her. Akino was always gentle with the baby. Elizabeth seemed to like Kaneko, but only when her parents were around. Kuroka decided to have limited contact with the child. Zenobia and Irina were a little too touchy and made Elizabeth uncomfortable. Ravel seemed to like the new addition but was uneasy and thought she might break. Asia, how does she like you the most? Zenobia asked Asia as she held the small baby. I don't know. Maybe she can sense my past. It was a long shot, but it made sense. She is a little devil after all. Both girls laughed. At that moment, Rias returned to the home and found her daughter. There's my little demon. Rias carefully received the baby from Asia and held her close. Oh, Mommy missed you Ellie. Ellie had quickly become the infant's nickname. The child cooed when she sensed her mother's presence. Here is her bottle, Rias. Asia handed the new mother the child's bottle. Do you know when Issei will be home? Rias asked her. No, I don't know. He normally gets home around 5. It was about 4:45. Okay, do you mind going to find Akino? I have something I wish to discuss with her in private. Yes, ma'am. Asia made her way down the hall to where Akino's room was. She opened the door and found Akino reading a book. Hey Akino, what are you reading? Akino quickly shut the book and covered its title. In nothing. She stammered and stood. Okay, Rias wants to see you. Asia smiled. She was curious about the book but decided not to press the issue. All right. Akino proceeded to walk and find Rias. She knocked on the door and waited. Rias opened up the large white door, the handle in one hand and her baby in the other. Hello Akino, thank you for coming. Of course. She shut the door behind her. What was it you needed me for? Oh, just some girl time. Rias sat down and rocked Elizabeth in her arms. Akino sat in the large leather chair across from her. That's not why I'm here. She giggled. I made you a promise not too long ago. Well, you don't say. I'm amazed you remembered that one, and I'm surprised you were serious. I try and keep my promises, Akino, you know that. So, you will lend him to me for a day. Yes, I promised. Issei will be yours for 24 hours starting tomorrow. But I want him back when time is up. Akino jumped up and hugged Rias, being careful of Ellie of course. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Rias embraced her friend. I know how much he means to you. He saved you from your past as he saved me from mine. It tends to be his thing. What tends to be my thing? Both girls turned to find Issei standing in the door. He had his school bag over his shoulder and his jacket in his arms. Welcome home, Issei. Rias made her way towards Issei after handing Ellie to Akino. I missed you. She kissed him passionately. We all missed you. Akino giggled as she brought the squirming Elizabeth to her father. There's my little angel. Well, devil I guess. Issei chuckled as he kissed Akino on the cheek and took hold of his daughter. Daddy missed you, little one. He kissed his daughter on her head and held her up. I think she missed you the most out of all of us. The fallen angel went to move past him and leave the room. She wanted to get prepared for tomorrow as well as sort out some personal issues. What's with her? Issei asked as he held his daughter. I promised her a date with you tomorrow. I guess she is just nervous about it all. I should go and speak with her. I assume you are more than capable of dealing with our little demon here. Of course, dear. She kissed his lips as he walked out the door. Akino shut the door to her room and waited. She knew it was only a matter of time before Issei followed her. As if on cue, a knock came from the door. Can I come in? Issei's voice was on the other side. Of course. She put on her cheery smile, but he knew it was a facade. Want to talk about it? Whatever do you mean? I don't know, that's why I'm here. He sat next to her on the bed. I can tell you're worried. Do you hate me? Akino, why would I ever hate you? He pulled her to him and kissed her head. Because I'm a fallen angel. We've been over this before. I don't care about that. Rainer's spell is broken. He sat behind her on the bed and held her to him. But what if you leave me out in the cold like my father did or you? She was cut off when Issei turned her head and pressed his lips into hers. After a minute, he pulled away. Tears from her eyes dropped between them. Akino, I see no reason to abandon you ever. I love you. I know your past and I know you're hesitant to trust and love again. He held her as she cried on him. I'll ask Riaz if I can spend the night with you in here, just the two of us. Then we can get an early start in the morning. She wiped a tear from her eyes. Yes, I'd like that. Issei stood and kissed her forehead. Then I'll be right back. Akino was left to her own thoughts. I don't want to be hurt again. I don't want to be alone again. But Issei won't do that to me. He loves me and I love him. The day began as smoothly as any other day. Issei opened his eyes and found himself unable to see through a tuft of black hair. It was only then that he remembered where he was. He had spent the night with Akino. He recalled the conversation with his wife that allowed him to stay. Flashback. Absolutely not. Riaz continued breastfeeding their daughter, distracting Issei the slightest bit. I know you said her time starts tomorrow, but after the talk I had with her, she doesn't need to be alone. Issei was trying to keep his mind on the subject and not on where his daughter's mouth was. What exactly were you two talking about? Riaz knew that Akino was not above sneaking an early reward. About her past. I figured that after last time she would be over it. Turns out, she's more damaged than I thought. He sat next to her and smiled. It'll only be for tonight, I promise. She sighed, conceding. All right, but no games. You've got one daughter and right now that's enough. Thank you, Riaz. He kissed her gently before returning to Akino's room. Walking in, he found Akino getting changed into sleepwear. He quickly averted his gaze to a random object. I am sorry, Akino, I didn't realize you would be changing. You act like you haven't seen me naked before. Besides, you've been inside me. I couldn't possibly care if you saw me changing. She giggled her usual way and motioned for him to join her on the bed. But, still, he laid down, his train of thought completely lost when she wrapped herself around him. This isn't how you normally sleep. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. It's okay. Do what feels right. And so, she laid on his chest and held him and he held her. In flashback, Issei brushed the black hair out of his eyes only to find the sweet face of a fallen angel lying on his chest. He pushed the remaining hair away from her face and smiled. Today is going to be interesting. Akino moaned as she felt Issei's hand on her face. Issei, not so rough. She spoke in her sleep. Clearly, she was dreaming. The smile on her face was enough to clue him in on what it was. Always the masochist, aren't you? The idea was entertaining, but today was to be a date. Time to wake up. He patted her head and kissed her cheek. This got her up. Oh, good morning, Issei. Quite the dream you were having. What do you mean? She stammered. Was I talking in my sleep again? She thought. You said you wanted me to be not so rough with you. He chuckled at the blush that crossed her face. I did. That was embarrassing. So, is that what you wanted to spend our day doing? He leaned in close to her left ear. You want me to get rough and punish the naughty fallen angel? His smirk told everything. She let out moan as Issei was playing into her S&M side. Before she got too carried away, she stopped herself. No, I want to spend the day out and doing little things. She was able to stand up and move to the bathroom. She turned back to him before she shut the door. I just want to spend a normal day together, just a boy and a girl. Her small smile was enough to tell her story. She wanted to be alone with him and act like a normal teenage couple. Okay, get dressed and meet me at the door. He called so she could hear him through the door. Meanwhile, Akino was sitting on her bathroom floor leaning against the door. Her head was swimming with thoughts on today. She thought back to her first date with Issei, the day where he saw her darkest side and her past. It was also the day where she claimed that she didn't want to be alone anymore. Issei stepped out of his room and was ready to go. He was wearing his school pants along with his red t-shirt and his striped over shirt. If you didn't know better, you would think this is the only clothes he owned. He grabbed his jacket and made his way to the front door. Akino was waiting on him. Come on, Issei, let's get going. Akino was practically bouncing with joy. She was wearing a purple jumper that matched her eyes and a white undershirt. She also wore a pair of purple flat-sole shoes. All right. He grabbed her hand, and she began to lead him out the door. Looking back, he saw Riaz on the stairs with Ellie in her arms. He smiled to her and waved before getting dragged out the door. Come on, Issei, we're gonna be late. The two were walking through the streets with haste. Clearly, Akino had an idea of what she wanted to do today. About 10 minutes later, Issei found himself at a movie theater. Looking on the board, he saw the only movie that Akino could want to see. It was called Love Across Borders. She explained the movie on the way in. Apparently, this movie was about an angel and a demon that fall madly in love. The angel had been cast out of heaven and the demon belonged to the daughter of the demon king. sound familiar? The two sat down in the theater and waited for the movie to start. Akino, why did you pick this movie? Because, if you think about it, it's kinda like us. Her blush was very bright. The movie started, and to his surprise, she was exactly right. The movie was almost a mirror of their lives, except for the end. In the end, the demon was murdered by the jealous daughter of the demon king. Instead of living on her eternal life without him, the angel took her own life in fear of being alone. The two were buried by their friends, and a pair of roses sprouted from the graves. One red, one white. By the time the ending credits rolled, Akino was crying. Issei had taken the liberty of masking their presence and the sound of her crying. The fallen angel had connected to the characters on a personal level. Soon enough, Akino's tears were done and Issei unshielded them. As they walked, she stared at the ground in shame. I'm sorry, Issei. For what? For making you come to see a movie that made me cry. Another tear escaped her eye and Issei wiped it off. I was fine with the movie. I kinda liked it. However, it seemed like it played a little too well into our lives. He realized his mistake when she started crying again. By now all the girls had been told of Issei's short lifespan issue. Asia, Riaz, and Akino took it the worst. I don't want you to die, Issei. She wailed into his shoulder. They had reached a small park and Issei sat her down with him. It's okay. Even if I die, I won't be gone forever. You know how hard it is to kill me. He chuckled as he kissed the top of her head. If you die, I want to die too. That shocked Issei. He had no idea that she was that lonely. Her life was really nice. On their last date, he learned of her past and did his best to help her through it. Now he needed to help her with her future. No, you don't. You have so many people who love you. They need you, Akino. He tried to soothe her, but to no avail. She shook her head into his shoulder. If you go, I won't have anyone to love me anymore. I would have no reason to go on. He really didn't want to suggest this idea. He had made the promise to Asia not too long ago to marry all of them at some point. What can I do? How can I make this right? There wasn't much of anything he could do. Give me what you gave Riaz, she whispered quietly. It was just loud enough so that Issei could hear her. Are you sure about that? Once I do it for you, every other girl is gonna be on me. He chuckled, but she was dead serious. I can't change your mind, can I? No. If you want me to live when you leave me, I want a piece of you to be with me. Akino, think about what you are saying. I could expect this from Asia, but not you. He wrapped his arms around her tight. I love you. You know I do. If this is truly what you want, then I will do it. He kissed her head. But please, give it some time to think on it. Okay. She put her head in his neck and stayed there till long into the afternoon. They got home around 6 and found Riaz and Asia in the living room with Ellie. Akino went straight to her room and didn't say a word. Issei just sighed. What happened? I've never seen her that upset. Riaz asked as she handed Ellie to Asia and came to her husband. Can we talk in private? His face was low, like he was deep in thought. Sure. The two entered their room and Issei sat down on the bed. Riaz sat next to him. She's broken. Issei clenched his fist and released it. You knew that. Her childhood scarred her. This is different. She took me to see a movie. The movie ended with the guy dead and the girl unable to move on and killing herself to be with him in death. She feels that once I die, she'll be alone again. Nonsense, she's loved here. Riaz was appalled. This was not like Akino. I asked her what I could do to make it up to her, to keep her living after I'm gone. She told me she wants what we have. You don't mean? Yes. Issei breathed deep. Akino wants me to get her pregnant. Ravel Phoenix had adjusted her life to her current surroundings. She was happily living in the house belonging to Issei Hayaodu and his wife Riaz Hayaodu Gremory. Her mother had sent her to live with him for the specific purpose to fall in love and marry him. She had completed one of those goals. It didn't take long for the young blonde to fall for the red dragon. She had figured out her own personal crush on him not long after the defeat of her brother. Riser's defeat had shown her that Issei Hayaodu had power and was willing to protect the ones he loved. Her crush started as respect for him, but when she met him again in the underworld at a leader's summit, her view changed. After that point, she saw he was just a normal guy that had been blessed with an incredible power. He made her heart flutter at the thought of his kindness. These days she lived in his home with his family. She was in charge of doing the paperwork for the Occult Research Club. Riaz had assigned her this position not long after she transferred to the school. That was over a year ago. Since then, Issei had taken over the club. Asia was his VP. Zenobia, Kaneko, Kiba, and Gasper still did their contracts with ease, but Ravel was never sent out. Today was no different. Everyone was around the room relaxing and Ravel was on the couch alone. Issei had an idea to get on the girls' nerves but also to clear something up. So, Ravel, how do you feel about going out and doing contracts like Kaneko? Issei was seated at the large desk with his feet kicked up on top of it. She stammered as she dropped her pen. Everyone directed their eyes to the young girl. They weren't trying to intimidate the girl, just curious of her answer. Can I have the room please, guys? The new president asked. They all complied and removed themselves. All but him and Ravel. There, now you have no one to judge you for your decision. He walked around the desk and sat next to her on the couch. I don't know. She looked down sheepishly at her clipboard. Let me guess. You don't feel comfortable going out and filling contracts, do you? No, look here. He placed a gentle arm around her, making the Phoenix blush. She did as he asked and looked up at him. His kind eyes once again made her heart beat fast. You don't have to if you don't want to. I was simply offering a change of view for you. I like doing paperwork. It's easy and straightforward. No complications that can't be solved, and I get to stay near you. She slapped a hand over her mouth at the last comment. I said that out loud, didn't I? Yes, you did. Issei unwrapped his arm, gaining a silent groan from the girl. That being said, I like having you close. You aren't as familiar with the territory as the others. Are you saying I'm incompetent? Ravel shot up and glared back at him. Not at all. He remained calm and seated. I'm saying that I know that you are not familiar with the area enough to be on your own here. If you decided to go out with Kaneko or with Kiba, then I wouldn't stop you. But I do like having you here. Ravel took a second and tried to calm down. Yeah, well, it's not like I chose to stay behind. Last I checked, you did. He got up to go back to his desk. If that's all, then that's it. Wait, that's it. What did you want me to say? That you need me here, that you want me here. She was almost shouting at this point. I did, weren't you listening? Aye. She sat down with a flushed face. I told you I liked having you here. It's a change in faces. I love seeing Asia, Zenobia, and Kaneko here, hell even Kiba, but having you here makes everything different. He moved back to the desk and sipped from his cup as he allowed her to take a second. You also said you like staying here and doing paperwork, since it's easy and you get to stay near me. He set the cup down and returned to the couch. What are you saying? I know why you came here in the first place, Ravel. It would be a shame of you not to finish your mission. After all, you did come here with the intention of marrying me. Ravel's face went bright red. Why yes, but Then do it. I have a plan to marry the other girls anyway. I can add you to the group if you would like. He then began to walk to the door. Or, you can stay as the cute intern that fills out paperwork. Ravel thought for a moment. She had fallen for Issei and liked the idea, but this seemed too fast. Realizing she had little choice, she got up. All right. Issei stopped where he stood in front of the door. All right, what? I'll marry you, she said sheepishly, the pride of the phoenix wiped away by the games of a dragon. Come here, Ravel. He opened his arms and she walked briskly to him. She was soon in his arms, enjoying her position. This is nice. She stayed with him for a little while longer. I know. You're welcome to join this family and stay as long as you like. He made a move and kissed her head. The younger girl began to cry. Thank you, Issei. I've never been this happy in my life. I'm glad. He patted her head. I've got an idea. Let's go get some dinner, just you and me. Are you sure? Won't Riaz get mad? No, she knows that all of you are important to me. Besides, you and I both need a break from all of this. He walked back over to his desk and grabbed his wallet and keys. Together the two reached the dark green Aston Martin parked outside. You want to drive? I could never. I'm just kidding. Maybe one day I can teach you how to drive. He got in and started the car. Yay, one day. Ravel joined him. The two rode in comfortable silence to the restaurant that Ravel had chosen. They were soon seated in a booth tucked in a corner. After ordering, Issei began to make conversation. So, Ravel, how are you and Kaneko getting along? Better now. That spoiled brat cat isn't as bad as I thought. She sipped her drink. From my point of view, you are both spoiled a little bit. Only difference is, Kaneko came from nothing and has been spoiled by me. You were born spoiled. He caught the stare on her face. That is not to say that you don't get to be spoiled now. I want to treat all my girls the best I can. That means that both you and Kaneko, as well as Asia and Riaz, get spoiled. I think I get it. She sat back as the waiter placed their plates down. Issei, yes, little birdie. He grinned, mimicking one of Kuroka's insults. Is this a date? Do you want it to be? Kinda. Then, it's a date. He snickered at her flustered face. You can be so infuriating sometimes. Ravel groaned as she took a bite of her steak. I've been told that by more people than I can count. Issei took a bite of his own. I'm sorry, Issei. For what? For being a spoiled brat. I was horrible to Kaneko and Kuroka when I first got to your home, and I've been horrible to you. She put her head in her hands. A small tear came out of her eye. I don't see it that way. Ravel lifted her head up to question him, but he continued. I know the kind of family you come from. It's not easy to change things. You were never really required to be nice until now. He chuckled. You've grown a lot since you came to us. You've grown stronger, wiser, and even more beautiful. Thank you. You're welcome, Ravel. Soon the two were finished with their meal and on the way home. As they pulled into the driveway, Ravel tapped his shoulder. She had been silent the entire way home, as if she was deep in thought. Issei, yes. Can you give me what you give Asia and Riaz and Aquino? You mean a kiss? Issei smirked at how much she tried to dodge it. Yes, if it's what you want. He gently turned her face to him and pushed his lips into hers. It wasn't long before the phoenix began to push back. Seconds felt like hours as they kept going. Issei finally stopped and opened the door. That was fun, Ravel. I promise that this will not be the last time we do this. The promise gave Ravel a skip in her step. Okay, thank you, Issei, for the meal and the talk. She ran inside and up the stairs past Kuroka. What's up with Firebird? She asked the man of the house as he walked in. Oh, we had a nice evening out and she is just excited that she got the kiss she wanted. He walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. Kuroka soon followed. So, when do I get my date with you? The black Nekishu asked. I figured you would rather stay in and play video games. By the way, remind me to beat your high score later. Not gonna happen, lover boy. Kuroka kissed him and sat on his lap. I want alone time. Just you and me. Consider it done. Now, down kitty cat. Doing as he asked, she moved back to his side and snuggled up like a cat should. She purred softly as they watched TV together. It didn't take long for her to fall asleep with only one thought in mind. I wonder if I can convince him to get me pregnant since I'm in heat. Issei woke up around 4 in the morning and found Rias already up. He looked around him and realized that she was the only one not in his bed. Akino was by his head on his left, Asia below her, Zenobia was near the foot of the bed, Kaneko was on his chest, and Kuroko was on his legs. The darker cat girl had recently started sleeping with him and followed her sister in being on him. He took a moment and looked around for the red-headed princess that he called his wife. It was a bit harder since he could only move his head and neck. The rest of his body was trapped. As he struggled to move, he caught a glimpse of his wife near the large window. Since it was still dark outside, he could only see her silhouette. "Hey, Rias," he whispered. "Sh-sh-sh. I just got Ellie back to sleep." She smiled as she held her baby girl. "Damn, I didn't hear her. I'm sorry." His face fell into a frown. "No, I caught it before she got loud." Rias gave a light chuckle. "We all know how tragic that would be." She gently laid the baby back in her crib and returned to her husband's side. "I've been thinking, Issei. That's never good." He kissed her head as she wriggled closer to him. A quick bop on the head shut him up and allowed her to continue. "No, dummy. I want to go to college. I figured. That's why I bought you guys that car almost a year ago." The realization hit instantly. Wow, that night was almost a year ago. They had sex a lot after that night, but that was the time that started it all. Yep, the beginning of the rest of our lives. She nodded and started to fall back asleep. Issei just stroked her hair and let her drift to sleep. Later in the morning, Issei woke up again and found all the girls gone. All but one. A certain girl was still on his lap. His eyes opened a little more and the distinct sight of cat ears came into a less blurry view. "Morning." He smiled at the girl in front of him. "Naya." The Nekomata yawned. "Morning, Lever Boy. So, you've gone from calling me Dragon Boy to Lever Boy, huh? It seems to fit more." Kuroko rolled off of his lap and pulled herself closer. "However, I still haven't had my fun with you. That's what I plan to do today." He sat up, stunning the dark cat girl. "Wait, what? Today is you and me? No other girls, no baby, just us. I like the sound of that." She purred as she rubbed her head on his shoulder. Something was off, but Issei didn't really look into it. He just played it off as Kuroko being herself. He was soon up and going with his morning routine while she did the same. The two reconvened in the kitchen where they found Rias and Asia making breakfast, Akino holding a smiling Ellie, and Kaneko sitting on the counter with a bag of whatever snacks she could find. "Kaneko, if you eat too much, you're going to ruin your appetite for breakfast." Issei scolded as he picked her up off the counter and set her on his shoulders. "We both know I have room." She purred as she kept eating. Looking back, Kaneko did seem to have a big appetite regardless of what she ate. Turned out Kuroko was the same way. Both girls could eat a grocery store dry and keep on eating. "Yeah, I know. I still have no idea where you put it all." Issei chuckled and set her on the floor. He then found Akino with Ellie as she fed the baby her bottle. "Morning, Angel." He kissed her cheek. "Issei, Arena is the angel. Did you get confused again?" Akino giggled and this made Ellie laugh as well. "I wasn't talking to you, Akino." He smiled as he moved around her and took Ellie from her hold. "There's my baby dragon." He tapped her nose and the baby kept laughing. It was probably a good time to find his wife. The father-daughter duo snuck up behind Rias and Issei set Ellie on the counter next to his wife. "Your turn." He kissed her neck. "Morning to you too." Rias smiled and picked up her daughter. "How did you get all the way over here?" "I thought Auntie Akino was watching you." "I was, until Daddy Dragon came in and swooped her away." Akino had followed them in and sat on the island in the middle of the room. "Anyway, Rias, I did tell you my plan for today, correct?" Issei asked his wife. "Yes, dear." He planned to spend the day with one of the girls. She wasn't going to say who to keep Asia and Kaneko from getting jealous. "Indeed I am." He turned to find the black Nekomata who had made herself a spot on the couch. "All right, Kuroko, what are we doing today?" "I don't know. Not helpful. Can we just stay here? I figured you would want a nice day out like the others get." He sat beside her on the couch and turned on the TV. "You said it yourself. I just want to play games, it's fun." She picked up the controller and turned it on. "All right, what are we playing?" He did the same. How about Mortal Kombat?" She had a cheeky grin on her face as Issei started up the game. "I want to play too, big sis." Kaneko ran into the room and jumped onto Issei's lap. She sat down and laid back into his chest. "You can watch Shiren. Today is my day with Issei." She patted her sister's head. It was hard saying no to Kaneko. The two went on and played the game. Somewhere in there, Kaneko fell asleep. Issei took a minute and moved her to the other couch. Once he got settled back on the couch, Kuroko took her sister's spot. "She's not going to be happy about that, you know." Issei grinned. "She'll have her day. Besides, I have a new way to play." This caught his interest. "And that would be, whoever loses the match removes a piece of clothing." She snickered. If he accepted the challenge, her trap would be set. "I'm game, but you're only wearing a kimono and I'm guessing underwear. So, I win 2 matches and you're naked." Issei could tell that this was the cat girl's plan all along, but decided the challenge would be fun. "I don't plan to lose." "I don't either." And so, the battles began. Both players used their knowledge of the characters they chose as well as the arenas they fought in to try and gain an advantage. After the first 3 matches, Kuroko was out of her signature black kimono and Issei had been relieved of his shirt and shorts. Both were in their underwear. Kuroko had hoped that her boobs being this exposed would give her opponent a distraction to let her win. That wasn't the case when Issei used Aaron Black's 6-shooter finisher to win the match. "Ha, I win. Take him off, kitty cat." Issei fist pumped and smirked at the loser. "Fine, a deal's a deal." Kuroko slid off her panties and sat back onto his lap. This caused the reaction that she had been expecting. "Look who's come out to play." She got off of him and took her time examining the bulge in his boxers. "Sorry, Kuroko, that thing has a mind of its own." A blush crept onto his cheeks as he looked away. "Well, you know what they say." She got off of him and knelt down on the floor. Great minds think alike. She moved her head closer to him when a groan stopped her. The two glanced over to see Kaneko shift in her sleep. Kuroko was quick to try and cover herself. Issei just laughed. "Come on, let's go upstairs to your room if we're gonna play." He took her hand and noticed her blush. "What, you don't want to play another game with me? I never thought you would be so open to this idea, especially after Ellie." She looked back and saw Kaneko. "Sorry, Cheyenne. I'm the one in heat right now, so I need him to help me." "Why wouldn't I be? Just because my first time I ended up with a kid doesn't make me scared to have sex, Kuroko. I just gotta be careful." Issei and Kuroko were silent and continued their way to her room. As they rounded the corner in the hallway, they caught a glimpse of Asia coming out of Issei's room. Most likely, she was helping Riz put Ellie down for a nap. She continued down the hall singing a song. Quickly, the two morons, that had been in too much of a rush to put on clothing, opened a door and jumped inside. They heard Asia as she passed. "Should it all come crashing down around me? Would you be there should I stumble and fall, pick up the pieces?" Kuroko was about to say something, but Issei shushed her once he realized where they were. She turned and followed his gaze to find Akino asleep on her bed. The fallen angel was usually a light sleeper and could be woken by any sound they made. However, it was strange that she was asleep around midday, but now was not the time to worry about that. Issei opened the door slowly and saw Asia get in the elevator to go down. Once the door closed, he and Kuroko continued their journey. They soon arrived and she pushed him in. "I can't take it anymore, Issei." The Nekomata cast a quick soundproofing spell on the room as well as a barrier. "I need you. I could tell something was up. Care to let me in?" "I'm in heat." That was news for him. But being the caring friend and lover, he decided to help her. "All right, just please let's not have kittens yet." Why not?" She pouted as she pounced him. Her tongue was quickly on his neck. "Because, while I do like the idea of having more children, I would like to be out of school first." He groaned as the pleasure kept building. "So, I have to wait a year." "What do you mean a year? Nekomata only go into heat once a year. My time just happens to be now." "Kaneko will find out sometime soon since she turned 17 last November. I don't want to wait a year. There is no way for me to get pregnant any other time. It has to be now." She quickly kissed him before he could respond. The fact that he had a naked cat girl on top of him kissing him made everything kind of lose sense. I mean, most guys that have seen a cat girl in anime would like to be with one at some point. Boom, fourth wall gone. "I see. In that case, I'll give you what you want. You just have to help me with something." "Name it." Kuroko was ecstatic. Now she was finally going to be able to have children with someone she cared about. "Whenever Kaneko's heat season comes around, help me stop her from trying to get with me." He seemed serious. "Why, I thought you wanted her." "I do, but I want to wait until she's a bit older. Give her body a chance to grow a bit." To keep the focus on the Nico in front of him, he flipped them so that he was on top. "But for now, it's all about you." After many minutes of love-making, they both relaxed. Kuroko curled up by his side with a satisfied smile on her face. "I love you, dragon boy." Issei rubbed her head. "Yay, I love you too, Kuroko." As Kuroko and Issei slept off the highs of pleasure, Kaneko woke up from her cat nap to find herself alone. After rubbing the sleep out of her eyes, she glanced around to find both her sister and Issei gone. What really caught her attention was the pile of clothes on the floor. Issei's shirt and shorts, and Kuroko's kimono and panties. "Big sister, you took him, didn't you?" Kaneko grumbled. She quickly gathered the discarded clothing and placed them in the laundry room. There she ran into Asia. "Hello, Kaneko." Asia smiled as the young cat devil placed the bundle in a basket. "Have you seen Issei and Kuroko?" she asked in a cold voice. In her mind, she already had an idea of where they were. "Nope, I just came from his room after helping Rias put Elizabeth down for a nap. I didn't see him up there." Asia thought back to her trip down and couldn't recall seeing the two. "Oh, well, I think I know where they are." Kaneko turned on her heel and stormed out of the room, leaving Asia wondering. "I swear, Kuroko, if you did it with him, I'm gonna claw you to pieces." She continued her investigation into the elevator to go upstairs. Only then did she take a second to think. Looking at the reflection of herself in the elevator's wall, she saw her hoodie. The white cat hoodie was on her almost every second of the day. She thought back to when Issei had to come explain to her teacher why she was wearing it in school. Flashback. "Ms. Taoju, why are you wearing that jacket instead of a school uniform?" Her teacher scolded. Kaneko dropped her head in shame. She just liked wearing it and couldn't bear to take it off. Luckily, Ravel was on it and texted Issei quickly to come help. The Phoenix quickly raised her hand. "Mrs. Sho, Kaneko didn't have a clean uniform this morning, so she wore her jacket." Ravel hoped this worked. "That is right. You live with her, Ms. Phoenix. Perhaps your guardian can explain this. Mrs. Sho showed no signs of buying it. I'm right here. Issei stepped into the room. Mr. Hayaodu, am I to understand that these two girls are under your care? Yes, ma'am. My parents are currently out of the country and these two board at my house. Is the current man of the house that puts them in my care, Issei said smugly. He knew this was too easy. Then explained to me why Miss Taoju is not in her school clothes. Simple. After returning from vacation over the weekend, we had little time to prepare clothes for the school day. Kaneko just happened to not have another set clean, so she wore her skirt and jacket. He folded his arms and winked at Kaneko, causing the young girl to blush. Well, I expect this issue to be a one-time occurrence. Mrs. Sho turned back to the board and Issei left. You're so lucky to have Issei as your guardian. He seems like he cares a lot. One of Kaneko's classmates, Ruruko Namura, whispered to her. Kaneko noticed the blush on her face and smiled. Yay, you're right, Ruruko. He loves all of us. She let out a love-struck sigh and turned her attention to the lesson. In flashback, Kaneko exited the elevator with a new view on the situation. The fact that Issei could be with Kuroka in bed did not mean that he didn't love her. It just meant that it was Kuroka's turn to have Issei. She would get hers one day. The young Nico soon reached her room and put her ear to the door. Hearing no noise, she opened it to the sight she figured would be there. Issei was on the bed in just his boxers and Kuroka next to him. She was as naked as the day she was born. Well, I expected nothing less. Kaneko shut the door and pulled a blanket over Kuroka before laying down on Issei. The unexpected weight awoke the sleeping dragon. He looked down to see Kaneko getting settled. Hey kitten. He pet her head and she purred, feeling his hand. I'm sorry about this. Don't worry about it. Big sis needed her time to be loved. Mine will come. She laid her head down on his chest. She heard his strong heartbeat and an idea popped into her head. Moving swiftly, she pulled her jacket off so her bare skin was showing. Issei eyed her curiously, but did nothing to stop her. He figured she was just getting comfortable. That was until she moved her bare chest above his face. Kaneko lowered herself until her chest was an inch from him. The old Issei would be having a nosebleed right now. This just goes to show how much he's grown. Turn your head a bit, Kaneko asked with a pleading look in her eye. Being impossible to tell her no, Issei rolled his head to his left. She lowered her body so her chest hit his ear. Can you hear it? Can you feel my heart? Yes. It sounds fast, like you're out of breath. It's because I came up here angry at Kuroka for stealing you. She looked over at her discarded jacket that lay on the bed. Then I saw myself in the jacket you bought me. I remembered when you came and straightened things out with my teacher about why I was wearing it. You wouldn't do that if you didn't love me. Then I remember the day you bought me that jacket. I remember the kiss. Issei thought back to that day with her. He loved the look on her face when she first put it on. He remembered her laugh when he put her on his shoulders. Then the feel of her lips on his as she kissed him outside his home came to mind. Yay, I remember. A cheeky idea popped into the dragon's mind. How about I give you a reminder? Without warning, Issei brought her face down to his and kissed her gently. A gentle kiss soon turned into a deep, passionate one. Since Kaneko didn't have any experience in this field, Issei led her through it. His hands started roaming before he could stop himself. They landed on her small breasts. As his hands brushed over her nipple, she let out a small moan. Kaneko was in heaven. She had never thought that doing something like this could feel so good. If you had asked her 2 years ago if she would be in bed with Issei Hayaoru, she would probably kill you. Nayo. It would appear that Sairaorg couldn't wait for her own fun. Kuroka had woken up after hearing her sister moan. She snickered and stood up and put some clothes to go downstairs. Don't mind me. Sairaorg, you want a snack? No. This surprised both Issei and Kuroka. The bottomless pit isn't hungry. Issei chuckled before Kaneko kissed him rough. I didn't say I wasn't hungry. She had a wicked grin on her face. All right, remember our deal, Issei. Kuroka left the room. Wait, what deal? Kaneko sat up and pouted. She wanted something in exchange. I asked her for a favor. Issei hoped she wouldn't push it. Bad idea. What did she want? That's a secret, kitten. The wheels in her head turned. Her thoughts began to figure things out. Fine, then what favor? Issei knew he was trapped. She wouldn't let up now. I asked her to help me keep you in check. Keep me in check. When your heat season comes around. Both of their faces went bright red. Kaneko had no idea where he learned about that. Since she had just turned 17, she had never experienced it before. And since Kuroka left before she turned 17, she never saw her sisters either. And my heat season? Yes. Kuroka mentioned how hard it was to control it when you aren't used to it. I asked her to help keep you in control when yours comes around. He wrapped her in his arms and pulled her to him. Please don't think bad of me. I don't. I know you only want to help me. She nuzzled into his chest and purred. She had found her peace in life, and it was in the arms of Issei Hayaoru. Kuroka came in a few minutes later and found her sister laying on Issei. While the young devil was asleep, Issei was on his phone. She really does love you. Kuroka sat down on the bed and held Kaneko's jacket. Believe it or not, when we first met, she hated me. Never hesitated to call me out on being a perv, not that I blame her. Most of the time whenever I tried to be nice to her, she shut me out. Once I learned of her past and helped her through it, she opened up to me. Issei stroked Kaneko's fluffy white ears while she slept. It's obvious she loves you a lot now. And I know you love her. That's why I need your help when her heat season comes around. I want to keep her from doing something she isn't ready for. It had been about 3 months since Issei had his day with the darker Nekomata sister. Once again, the orc had taken charge of cleaning the swimming pool at school. Rias decided it would be nice to bring Elizabeth and have her get some sun. The baby was never really outside when she was at home. The group got to the pool and separated into their respective changing rooms. Kiba, Issei, and Gasper in one and all the girls in the other. Issei got changed and walked out to get started. He found that the pool wasn't as bad and got to work on setting out the chairs to be sprayed off. Akino was the first out of the changing room and helped him using her magic. After a little while, the other girls came out. Rias was holding Ellie on her hip and took her to the large umbrella to apply sunscreen to the baby's skin. The church trio got to work on putting the chairs back into place. Apparently, Kuroka was having trouble with her swimsuit, so Kaneko stayed back to help. Issei thought it strange and decided to go investigate. He knocked on the door before entering. He found Kaneko in the middle of the room in her light blue one-piece swimsuit, and Kuroka was nowhere to be found. Issei, Kaneko asked as she saw the dragon enter. Hey, where's your sister? Asia said she was having trouble. He pet her head and looked around. I am in here. Kuroka's voice came from one of the stalls. Is something the matter, Kuroka? Issei asked as he approached the door. Why, yes and no. Not helpful, big sis. You might as well tell him. Kaneko blushed, telling him she knew what was up. Tell me what. At that moment, the door opened. Kuroka came out in her small black bikini, but something didn't look right. Her middle was bigger. What did you expect to happen, Kuroka? He asked as he held her hands. Her teared-up face told him she knew already. This was the trade-off, wasn't it? The younger Nico asked. She wasn't mad, but she remembered the deal. Yes, if Issei gave me children in my heat season, then I would help you when it came to yours. Kuroka sat on the bench and a tear fell from her eye. It was true that she had wanted to have children, but she had not thought everything through. Do you mind if we tell Rias? Being my wife, she has a right to know. Okay. The black cat began to cry. Kaneko was soon at her side to comfort her. Don't worry, Rias won't be mad. She held her sister's hand. Issei flashed one last smile and left the room. He walked over to where Rias was playing with Elizabeth in the water. Up we go. Rias held Ellie up and back down. Then she dipped her in the water up to her waist. She then noticed Issei. Hey look, Daddy's come to play too. Hehe, not right now. Rias, I need you to come help me with something. Okay, Asia, you don't mind, do you? Rias began to carefully hand off Ellie. Nope. Come on Ellie, let's go float with Akino. The two laid on a rubber float and drifted to Akino's corner. Alright, lead the way. Rias followed Issei to the changing rooms and found a crying Kuroka inside. Kuroka, what's wrong? She kneeled in front of the crying cat girl. Kuroka uncrossed her arms from her middle and showed Rias. Aye. Rias was taken aback. She expected this from Akino, but not so much from Kuroka. Issei got you too, huh? Rias chuckled. Why, you're not mad? Of course not. I understand Issei loves all of us. I also get how Nekomatas work. I'm guessing this happened during your day with him and you were in heat. She waited and Kuroka nodded. I also know that he's smart enough not to do this twice without a reason. So, what deal did you make? In exchange for getting her pregnant, I asked her to help whenever Kaneko's heat season came around. Issei had hoped that this didn't set her off. She mentioned that the first heat season is difficult to control and I didn't want Kaneko to have to suffer alone. The girl in question ran and hugged him. Thank you, Issei. I'd do anything for you, Kaneko. He picked her up and set her on his hip like a little kid. Normally, she would have protested, but she didn't mind. Are you mad? Kuroka asked Rias. No, Kuroka, I'm not mad. She pulled Kuroka into a hug. I just think that this is a little soon. I mean, he just had a daughter. Are you sure it's a good idea to have more? To be honest, I didn't really think it through. I just wanted to be with him, and my senses were overwritten by. She started to babble. It was obvious that she was nervous still. Come on, Kuroka. Let's go enjoy the day. Later on, we can have Asia help us come up with a health plan for you. She wrapped an arm around Kuroka and the two walked out followed by Issei and Kaneko. That went better than I thought. Kaneko leaned on his shoulder. Yeah, I was sure Rias would be angry. He spoke a little too soon. Oh, and Issei, I have a task for you. Rias called back to him. Don't worry, it's one you've done before. I wonder what she has in store. Issei set Kaneko down and walked out to where the other girls were. Once the group arrived, the announcement was made that Kuroka was pregnant. One certain face was visibly agitated, another was a little disappointed, and the others were happy. Asia did not like that Issei had not been with her. Akino had the same thoughts. As the girls began to crowd Kuroka, Issei noticed one was not close at all. In fact, she was still by the pool. Hey Ravel, you okay? Oh, hi Issei. She stood up from her seat on the edge of the pool. Kind of surprised you haven't gotten in yet. He chuckled, catching Ria's attention. That's your task, Issei. You get to teach Ravel how to swim. She walked over to them. You're right, I have done this before. Issei chuckled and took Ravel's hand and led her to the shallow end. They were soon in the water and his hands were holding hers. All right, now when I start pulling you, I want you to kick your feet in a rhythm. Okay, she blushed. This whole situation was so embarrassing. Ready, kick, 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 kick. He pulled her through the water and allowed her to take her time. Aha, Birdie doesn't like water. Kaneko giggled as she watched. This is so embarrassing. Ravel muttered as she stopped kicking. Since they were in the deep end, she clung to Issei's torso. It wasn't too long ago that you were in this same position, Kaneko. That shut the smug little kitty right up. Really, Kaneko had to do this too? The young phoenix asked. Somehow, that made her feel less self-conscious about it. Yep, first time I came here, I had to help Kaneko and Asia with their swimming. Kaneko looked a lot like you right now, embarrassed to have to be helped. Asia, on the other hand, enjoyed it. I think she kept messing up so I'd help her. Issei laughed at the memory. Wow, she really likes being around you, doesn't she? She giggled at the thought of Issei pulling Asia through the water. Hey, he looked over to the young woman holding his daughter. I guess she does. Everything was good in the Hayadu house. Ellie was enjoyed by everyone who she saw. She also grew to tolerate more people holding her and playing with her. Recently, the baby had favored hanging around a certain white Nekomata. Kaneko found herself being stared at more than a few times from the infant. However, she never really played with her until Rias helped her learn how. Since Elizabeth was only comfortable being around Kaneko when either Issei or Rias was around, they didn't spend an awful lot of time together. Once she figured out that this child would not shatter at a simple touch, Kaneko spent more time with her. Alright Ellie, let's not pull Aunt Kaneko's tail this time. Kaneko giggled as she held the baby. The two were sitting on the couch and Kaneko was teaching her about restraint. She would wave her white tail in front of the baby's face and see if she was quicker than the little girl. At first, Ellie would grab the tail and pull it. Afterwards, she would grab and let go. Good, you can be taught. You're a lot smarter than your knuckle-headed daddy. She teased and tickled Ellie's sides. I thought I was pretty smart. A voice startled Kaneko but didn't faze the giggling baby girl. You are, but she takes after Rias in that aspect. Keep that up and you won't get your date tonight. Issei winked at her and walked off into the kitchen. Date? The curious cat picked up Ellie and followed him. What do you mean date? I was gonna take you out for a nice evening out, but since you would rather spend time with my daughter. He chuckled. How could she pass this opportunity up? The only time she had been alone with him was when they bought Kuroka's clothes a year ago. Since then, he had been busy with the wedding, the baby, the whole ordeal up in heaven. She wanted a day out with him. When do we go? Oh, so now you want to go? Yes, more than anything. Kaneko started to jump up and down with excitement. Whoa there, kitty cat. He quickly took Ellie from her hands. Gotta be careful. I'm sorry. Her smile faded and her gaze hit the floor. It's okay. He patted her head. Now, go get ready. We leave in 20 minutes. Kaneko sprinted out the room and raced up to her room. There she found Asia and Kuroka. Asia had been helping Kuroka go over a health plan much like the one she made for Rias. Since she was in her late 5th month of pregnancy, it was crucial she start eating right. Whoa, Sairaorg. Got a hot date. Kuroka laughed as she watched Kaneko go through her clothes. Yeah, Issei said he's taking me out. She picked up her short light blue skirt and her white cat hoodie and went to the bathroom to change. As Kaneko slammed the door shut, Kuroka giggled happily. I'm glad he makes her smile. Asia looked glum. Don't worry, Asia. I'm sure he's saving something extra special for you. This made the blonde cheer up instantly. You really think so? Of course. I can tell, after Rias, you're his favorite. This wasn't true and she knew it, but every little bit helps. Everyone knew that after Rias, Issei loved them all equally. Suddenly, the bathroom door burst open and Kaneko came out. So, how do I look? Both older girls thought she was adorable. You are so cute, Kaneko. Asia smiled. She's right, Sairaorg. Absolutely adorable. Thanks guys. See you later. Kaneko raced out of the room to start her date. I'm glad you're happy. Kuroka smiled and turned back to Asia. Kaneko sprinted down the stairs and found Issei waiting. Let's go. He patted her head and they left. Kaneko picked a pizza place for their date. Not really fancy, but it was her pick. The waiter took their orders and left them be. They had some interesting conversations as the night progressed. Some about cars, some about Ellie, and even some about Kaneko's future niece or nephew. The night went smoothly, that is until Kaneko started feeling lightheaded. Hey Kaneko, are you okay? Issei asked as she held her head a moment. She started to stand to walk to the bathroom. Yay, I think I just need to. The young cat devil passed out and hit the floor. Kaneko. Issei was quick to get up and pick her up. By now, a small crowd had gathered around them. Oh my gosh, is she okay? Poor girl. I hope she's alright. Issei didn't know what to do, so he quickly paid the bill and carried Kaneko to the car. He was very careful and strapped her in. Then, he drove home at a smooth but quick pace. He didn't want to make it worse. Thinking quickly, he called Rias. Rias, Kaneko is sick I think. What? How? Rias asked. She had to be quiet so that Kuroka didn't get worried. The less stress for her the better. I don't know. She ate nothing weird I don't think. She just passed out. Bring her home, and we'll get one of the spare rooms ready for her in case it's contagious. Okay, we'll be there in 5. Love you. I love you too. Be safe. Always. Issei hung up and upshifted the car. The Astan's V12 growled to life. He soon pulled up in the driveway and got the unconscious Kaneko out the passenger seat. He carried her inside and up the stairs to the room Rias and Asia had prepared. How is she? Asia asked. Still unconscious. Issei's face was grim. At that moment, Kaneko started to wake up. Where am I? She groaned. Her head was pounding. You're at home, kitten. Issei got her into the bed. Hot. She whined. I got you. Issei took off her jacket and her skirt. This left the young Nekomata in just a long shirt and her underwear. Better. How are you feeling? Issei asked her as he helped prop her up on the pillow. Riaz and Asia had gone to get her medicine. Like I got hit by a truck. Her eyes had tears in them. Whatever was going on was making her miserable. Oh, come on. We both know that if you got hit by a truck that the truck would be in worse shape. Kaneko tried to laugh but it came out a coughing fit. My head hurts. She groaned and shivered a bit. Come here. Issei crawled in the bed and held her close. He could tell that his presence was helping her. This wasn't going to be a fun time for her, and he wanted to be there for her as much as he possibly could. Will you stay here with me? Kaneko squeaked out. Her voice was frail and soft. Of course, kitten. I won't leave you. He held her and rocked her. Can you sing me a song? Kuroka would sing to me when I was little. You know I can't sing, Kaneko. He chuckled and continued to stroke her hair. Okay, she said in a defeated voice. Issei took a deep breath. A lonely road crossed another cold state line. Miles away from those I love, purpose undefined. Can't help but think of the times I've had with you. Pictures and some memories will have to help me through. Dear God, the only thing I ask of you is to hold her when I'm not around, when I'm much too far away. He looked down and the frail girl in his arms was snoring softly. A small jolt hit his head as he supposedly prayed. Is she asleep? A voice came from the door. Hi Kuroka. How are you feeling? Issei asked. I'm good. More worried about Cheyenne though. Kuroka went to sit on the bed, but Issei stopped her. Hold on. We don't know if what she has is contagious. I hate to ask you to keep your distance for now. This was asking an awful lot, but Kuroka understood. Okay. She started to walk out of the room. Issei, please take care of my sister. I always will. He carefully got out from under Kaneko and met Kuroka by the door. Good night, Kuroka. I love you. Kaneko was surprised when he embraced her warmly but couldn't help but smile. I love you too. She blushed. Issei, I'm cold. Kaneko's sleepy voice came from the other side of the room. That's my cue. Issei chuckled and quickly kissed Kuroka. Don't worry, she'll be all right. Thank you. Kuroka took her leave. Issei walked back over to the bed and laid down. Kaneko instantly snuggled up closer. Her face was pale and she was shivering. I'm sorry, she spoke softly. For what? For making you stay with me. I'm sure you'd rather be with Elizabeth instead of taking care of me. He pulled her face up and kissed her gently. I'm needed here right now. Ellie has a whole house of people to take care of her. It's you that needs my attention. Kaneko started to cry. I love you, Issei. I love you too, kitten. He pulled her close and rocked her till she was asleep. After a few days, Kaneko's condition slowly started getting better. However, her fever still remained and caused her great discomfort. Issei normally stayed by her side and did his best to keep her comfortable. It was soon found out that her sickness was not contagious and that the other girls could be allowed to see her. Asia had tried healing sessions, but it didn't seem to be working on a natural sickness. Today was a day where Issei was at school. That meant that Asia, Zenovia, Irina, Ravel, and Roswace were all at school. Unfortunately, Riaz and Aquino had been called away to speak with Surzets regarding the two girls going to college. This left Kaneko and Kuroka with little Ellie. Kuroka had made it her task to watch the baby. Wow, you really don't do much, do you? She giggled as the little girl proceeded to crawl around the little playpen that she had. Kaneko was down there with them so that Kuroka could keep an eye on her too. Right now, the white Nekomata was sleeping. Poor Cheyenne. I know you feel terrible. She reached over and felt her sister's head. Still warm, huh? Ellie had noticed that Kaneko was very quiet and decided to explore. She crawled her way over to the edge of the pen and hitting her little hand against the wall. What is it, Ellie? Kuroka stood and picked up the baby, then set her on the floor, wondering if she'd lead her somewhere. Elizabeth instantly crawled to the couch where Kaneko was laying and tried to pull herself up. She was trying to check on her. Oh, you want to sit with Aunt Cheyenne? She once again held the child and placed her between Kaneko and the back couch cushion so she wouldn't fall off of it. Ellie started crawling up and laid down on Kaneko's chest. This woke the sleeping Nekomata. Kaneko started to sit up but found she couldn't. Oh, hey Ellie, how'd you get up here? She held her head with one hand and rubbed the baby's back with the other. She missed her Aunt Cheyenne and wanted to hang out. Kuroka giggled. So, you put her up here with me? Yup. Alright. Kaneko pulled Ellie up and changed her position so that she could lay with the baby. There we go. Better. She held Ellie in her arms and rocked her till she was asleep. Kaneko's smile began to fade. Don't worry, Cheyenne. One day you will have kittens of your own. Until then, you can play with Elizabeth and my brat. She rubbed her swollen belly. Yay, I know. Her headache began to fade as she looked at Ellie's face. Big sis, can you check my temp again? Sure. Kuroka picked up the thermometer and held it to her head. It broke. Your fever is almost gone. Good. Kaneko was soon asleep with the baby in her arms. About 2 hours later, Kaneko woke up to find Riaz and Issei smiling down at her. She was really confused. Why are you two looking at me like that? She asked. Because you've done such a good job with Elizabeth. Riaz chuckled. Issei bent down and placed his hand on her head. Back to normal. That's always good. He kissed her forehead. How was Ellie? Quiet. Kuroka put her up here while I was asleep earlier. The baby in question was still asleep where Kaneko had left her. In her arms and on her chest. She's precious. Yes, she is. May I? Riaz asked. Kaneko nodded and Riaz took the baby from her. Ellie woke up after feeling the change of hands. Hi baby. She tapped the infant's nose, making her laugh. I'm going to go feed her. Thank you for watching her, Kaneko. Rias left the room. So, you feeling better? Issei asked as he sat down on the couch. Kaneko took the invitation and crawled into his lap. Yay, I don't feel like crap anymore. That's good. He stroked her ears. You're disappointed that Rias and Kuroka have children and you don't, aren't you? A little bit. But I get that you just want to make sure my body can handle it. She laid back into his chest. Thank you for getting me to feel something again. For so long, I was emotionally shut down thanks to Kuroka leaving. Now, when I'm with you, I feel happiness, joy, contentment, and love. Her cheeks flushed. Don't worry, kitten. I'm not going anywhere. He hugged her to him and sat there with her for a while. Kuroka was upstairs reading a book on babies when Rias walked in holding Ellie. You wanted to see me, Kuroka? Rias asked as she sat on the bed. I don't know how to be a mom. Kuroka rubbed her belly. She was about 6 months in, but she was still nervous. To be honest, I don't either. She laughed. Elizabeth started squirming a bit, so Rias set her on the bed. I just kinda wing it. It's not as hard as you would think. Every baby is different. You need to feed them, change their diaper, bathe them, help them learn, and most importantly love them. It'll take time to find your own way to do that. That helps a lot. Thank you, Rias. By now, Ellie had crawled up to where Kuroka was. Hey brat number 1. She picked up the baby girl and held her up. One day soon you'll have a kitten sibling. See, you're already good at handling a baby. Now you need to learn the everyday parts. At that exact moment, a new foul odor filled the room. Thank you, Ellie, for helping me with this parenting lesson. Both girls giggled as they took the baby to the other room to change her. They laid her on the table and Kuroka practiced changing a diaper. It took a few tries to get it right, but she figured it out. Yuwa, babies are gross. Kuroka tossed the soiled diaper out and picked Ellie up. But she is adorable. So, in the end, I guess it's worth it. The infant in question just laughed. So Kuroka, you have your appointment tomorrow. Yes. Do you mind if I tag along? No, of course not. I know that you are more familiar with all of this than I am. I was actually going to ask you to come with us. The next day, Kuroka, Issei, and Rias took a trip to the doctor to see Kuroka's baby. As the three waited in the waiting room, Kuroka kept fidgeting in her seat. It's going to be all right, Kuroka. Issei placed a hand on her own. I know, I'm just nervous about what gender it is. Rias finished. I was too. I had a dream on our honeymoon that we were having a baby girl. When we came, I was scared that I was wrong. Now that I look back at it, I would have loved my baby either way. That's nice to know. Kuroka stared at the floor for a moment. What do you want it to be? Rias asked. I kinda want a little boy. Kuroka blushed and smiled. One that looks just like his daddy. Soon, they were called back, and Rias was to wait outside. The doctor was not at all surprised to see Issei here with a different girl. Since this doctor was the same who saw Rias almost a year ago, he knew who Issei was in his lifestyle. He also had read over Kuroka's file and knew what she was. Mr. Hayaodu, gotten busy again, have we? He chuckled. It was more of a trade-off and this was the result. But I'm happy with the way it turned out. Issei held Kuroka's hand as the gel was put on her stomach. That's cold, she whined. I know. Rias said the same thing. He laughed at her. Doc, do you mind if Kuroka pops her ears and tail out? I think she'd be more comfortable that way. Of course. I know who you are, Miss Taoju. Please, by all means. Kuroka wasn't expecting a last name to be said. She turned to Issei confused. Taoju? Yes. I figured that since you and Kaneko have made up, taking her last name would be fitting. He shrugged. Well, at least until you take my last name. Kuroka just blushed. All right. The little one is looking just fine. I assume you want to know the gender. The doctor chuckled. Yes. Kuroka answered instantly. Here he is. Doc turned the monitor and showed them the blob that was the baby. A little baby boy in the making. The dark Nekomata was overjoyed. She instantly pulled Issei into a kiss. Thank you, Issei. You had a part in this too, you know. Issei held her hand and kissed it. Has he been kicking at all? The doctor asked. No, not yet. He's been quiet. Kuroka smiled. Is that normal? That's perfectly normal. He should start kicking in the next few weeks. So, if you experience any weird movement down there, it's your baby boy saying hello. Kuroka was overflowing with happiness. At first, she was nervous about all of this, now she was ready for everything. A few days later, Akino and Ria started going to college. Both girls were a little nervous since it was their first day, but Issei had given each of them a good luck kiss to help. The day went by very smoothly as it was first day of classes. The two devils only ended up with a couple of classes together. Soon enough, the day came to an end. As they drove home from the campus, Rias was reminded of a conversation she had with Issei. Flashback. The two entered their room and Issei sat down on the bed. Rias sat next to him. She's broken. Issei clenched his fist and released it. You knew that. Her childhood scarred her. This is different. She took me to see a movie. The movie ended with the guy dead and the girl unable to move on and killing herself to be with him in death. She feels that once I die, she'll be alone again. Nonsense, she's loved here. Rias was appalled. This was not like Akino. I asked her what I could do to make it up to her, to keep her living after I'm gone. She told me she wants what we have. You don't mean? Yes. Issei breathed deep. Akino wants me to get her pregnant. In flashback. Akino. Yes, Rias. Akino smiled as she rode in the passenger seat. Are you okay? Of course, Rias, I'm fine. Whatever do you mean? Akino giggled. Rias instantly pulled the car over and put it park. No, Akino, you're not fine. She took a breath. Issei told me about your date a while back. He did. Akino's face instantly fell. Yes, he did. He told me about the movie and how it made you feel. He also mentioned what you told him you would do if he died. This made Akino start to cry. I'm sorry, Rias. I just don't want to be alone again. I finally was able to let myself love again. I don't want to give it up. Rias reached over and hugged her friend. We all know how you feel, Akino. He seems to not have much longer with us, but you know he's good at pulling off the impossible. How will he escape death this time? He can't. Both girls fell silent. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have snapped. I just feel that if I had his child also, that I could bear it better when he's gone. It's okay. Rias wiped tears from her own eyes. Akino, you will always have us. Even if you don't have him, part of him lives on through his children. She started to drive home. She made the internal decision to let Issei get her pregnant as well. The two girls walked in to find Issei holding Elizabeth on the couch. The baby was asleep and Issei watching TV. Akino went to her room without so much as a hello. What's with her? He asked his wife as she sat down beside him. We had a little heart-to-heart. I asked her about the date you two went on. Issei, she's terrified of losing you. Rias kept her gaze to the floor. Issei wrapped his arm around her and pulled her close. You think that you would be the one that would be scared of not having me around? The looming future was not something to joke about. Partner, Isseidragon spoke up. Isseidragon, what is it? I have noticed a change as of recent. Your lifespan is steadily rising. Right now, you are closer to 1,000 years. The dragon spoke. How is that possible? Your lifespan seems to extend each time you have a child. It would appear that by extending your family line, you also extend your own life. So, he's not gonna die soon? Rias tearfully asked. Unless he does something stupid and gets himself killed, then he should live a fairly long life. Isseidragon chuckled. He's very fortunate to be surrounded by those that love him enough to bear his children. The dragon fell silent again. Rias looked up at her husband with tears in her eyes. She then jumped into his arms crying. Little did the couple know, Akino had been sitting around the corner and heard everything. So, he's gonna be okay. She mumbled as tears fell from her eyes. But now he won't want to have a baby with me. Of course, I do, Akino. She jerked her head up to see Issei standing over her. Issei, She didn't get the chance to finish as Issei pulled her up and into a heated kiss. Akino, if you want to have a baby, then I will grant you that wish. He wrapped his arms around her as she cried. But you already have an 8-month-old daughter and a son on the way. One more would be too much, won't it? Not with all of you here to help. I'm sure Asia would love to play with another baby. It would be nice for Elizabeth to have siblings her age. Issei appeared back in the living room and saw Rias holding the sleeping infant in question. I don't know if I'm ready. Akino stared at the floor. Well, let's ask Rias. Issei pulled Akino into the living room. Hey Rias, do you think Akino is ready to have children? Rias saw the nervous look on Akino's face and smiled. Of course, she's ready. She stood carefully and handed Ellie to her aunt Akino. Hold her. Rias helped Akino hold the baby correctly. She's absolutely amazing. The fallen angel slowly rocked the baby girl. I still don't know, guys. I believe in you. Besides, you will have two mothers to help you through it. Issei kissed her head and took her hand in his. All right, I guess we can try. Her signature smile coming back and lighting the room. Do you mind, Rias? Of course not. But please, try and stay quiet. I don't want you two waking Ellie or disturbing Kuroka. Both need their rest. Akino started to pull Issei up the stairs, but Rias wasn't quite done. Oh, and Akino. Akino turned to face her. No lightning bolts, please. Oh, come on, Rias. You know I get too into it sometimes. She giggled and pulled Issei along. Before she got out of sight, she turned back. Rias, are you sure about this? Absolutely. You heard Isseidragon. Issei needs to have children to extend his life, so you need to help him. Rias smiled and looked down at Ellie. She needs friends her age anyway. Akino ran back down the stairs and hugged Rias, being careful of Ellie, of course. Thank you. Just go have fun. Rias held her best friend a bit longer. She quickly returned to where Issei was waiting and took his hand. The elevator brought them up to the second floor and she was trying to run with him down the hall. Come on, Akino. Surely you don't have to run. Issei chuckled. I want to have as much fun as I can with the time I get. She blushed as she slowed and looked back at him. The more times you get to finish inside me, the better the chances I get pregnant. That made both devils blush. No matter how many times Issei had been through this same scenario, it was never any less awkward to talk about. He just decided to go with it. The two kept going for hours before Akino's pleasure waves took their toll on her. Her energy was zapped. Instead of continuing, they decided to take a break and lay in each other's arms. Issei, do you love me? Her eyes were glossy. A thought had slipped into her mind that nagged her. What if Issei was only using her to extend his life? He turned his head and kissed her. After a minute he pulled back. What kind of question is that? You know that I will always love you, Akino. I'm making it a life mission to make sure that you're never alone again. That includes marrying you. A tear escaped her eye as she buried her face into his chest. Thank you, always. He stroked her hair, and she was soon asleep on his chest. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.